and opened all the supply boxes: 72 wooden planks, 33 stones, 10 hams, 43 metal sheets, 37 pieces of cloth, 8 instant noodles, 67 stones, 1 blue steel essence, 41 plastics, and 1 A-grade apple. Notably, under the influence of the double amplification, he had acquired 24 blue steel essences, which filled Yi-Chuan with exhilaration. Such items were indeed rare in the entirety of the oceanic realm. He suspected that he alone possessed such a quantity of blue steel essences at this moment. Without hesitation, Yi-Chuan infused all the blue steel essences into the forbidden gun. As a faint luminescence enveloped the weapon, he couldn't help but smile and nod. This is splendid. The small hill grew an additional 30 meters, establishing itself as the tallest point on Sea Turtle Island, reaching a height of approximately 300 meters. Lush and nearly entirely cloaked in vegetation. Remarkably, the path previously carved remained unchanged and had even widened by nearly a meter. Climbing along that path, he observed that the items at the summit had remained constant, while the distant forest had expanded by several hundred square meters, growing ever larger. The last encounter with the mutated booze giant ape had already classified it as an SSS-level terrestrial creature. What might emerge from this evolution? As Yi-Chuan pondered, the system's voice suddenly announced, "Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has been upgraded to level 19. You have received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it?" Yi-Chuan promptly replied, "Open it." Opening. "Congratulations, host. You have received 4,000 evolution points. Absolute Defense 5, Island Stabilization Device 1, Island Propulsion Device 1. Evolution Value Package 1, Basic Resources Package 1. In this double amplification, everything transformed into double. However, Yi-Chuan's attention was immediately drawn to the Island Propulsion Device, prompting a curious inquiry. What is the Island Propulsion Device? A speed enhancement device that can double the speed of Sea Turtle Island for a duration of 24 hours. The system promptly elucidated. This revelation stirred Yi-Chuan's spirits. This was precisely what he needed, and he hadn't anticipated its arrival. At present, Yi-Chuan promptly activated an island propeller, and he could distinctly feel the speed of Turtle Island significantly increase. Nevertheless, the journey remained remarkably smooth, and with the protection of the shield, the slightest breeze was imperceptible, a delightful experience. "Brother, why has the speed suddenly surged so much?" inquired Xiao Feilong, puzzled. As breakfast was served on this Saturday morning, "I've installed an island propeller to enhance the island's speed." Yi-Chuan chuckled. "Now? The turtle is cruising at 190 nautical miles per hour. We shall catch up to that battleship by this afternoon. Is it truly that exhilarating?" Xiao Feilong asked with delight. Liang Hongying also beamed with joy, her heart yearning to unearth the treasure of the Tear of the Moon and restore the fountain of immortality to her family. With the speed booster, not only could they swiftly resolve the affairs of the Sea Dragon Palace, but they might also discover the treasure ahead of schedule. The anticipation was palpable. Just after finishing breakfast, the Bu clan giant ape arrived, gesturing towards the woods. Yi-Chuan could not help but inquire, "Are you suggesting that there exists a terrifying presence within that even you dare not approach lightly?" The Bu clan giant ape nodded vigorously, grasping Yi-Chuan's arm, urging him to venture into the forest. "Let us explore together," Yi-Chuan exclaimed, calling for Zhao Feiyu and the others to join him as they entered the woods. After all, the mutated Bu clan giant ape had never shown fear. Yi-Chuan was eager to uncover the mystery lurking within. After walking for a few minutes, Xiao Feilong suddenly felt a twinge of apprehension, pointing to a specific spot and whispering, "Brother, look." Following his gaze, they beheld a white serpent, approximately 30 meters in length, motionless on the ground. "Is it dead?" Zhao Feiyu asked suspiciously. As they approached, they discovered it was merely a serpent's shed skin. "Goodness, if the skin is this large, how enormous must the serpent itself be?" Xiao Feilong exclaimed in astonishment. "It seems we haven't encountered serpentine creatures in quite a while. Let us take a closer look," Yi-Chuan insisted. Thus, the four individuals and the ape ventured deeper into the woods, where they soon witnessed a massive white serpent, at least 50 to 60 centimeters thick, devouring a B-class lion. Though the majestic lion struggled, it was utterly unable to escape the serpent's voracious jaws. The sight was particularly chilling. At that moment, the serpent turned its head, catching sight of Yi-Chuan and his companions. They finally beheld the true form of this colossal creature, reminiscent of a cobra, with neck folds spanning 3 to 4 meters in width and a length of 7 to 8 meters. However, the most striking feature was the pair of horns atop its head, resembling those of a true dragon, exuding an imposing presence. "This creature appears exceedingly dangerous," Xiao Feilong murmured. "System, what species is this creature?" Yi-Chuan quietly inquired. "Demon horned king snake. SS-class terrestrial creature, treacherous and cunning. Abilities: Demon Horn Lightning, Lethal Fangs, Death Entanglement. The system promptly provided the information. A mere SS-level terrestrial creature possesses 3 remarkable abilities, which is indeed astonishing. At that moment, Yichuan took a few steps back, a smile gracing his lips as he remarked, "This is the magic horned king snake, an SS-level terrestrial being, highly venomous. I shall observe from the sidelines. Surely, the 4 of you can handle this. Rest assured, big brother, leave it to us." Little Flying Dragon chuckled, immediately donning his battle armor. In an instant, the trio and the ape prepared to engage. Suddenly, the air was filled with crackling sounds as white arcs of electricity danced atop the magic horned king snake's head. Just as Little Flying Dragon was about to strike, a bolt of lightning struck him fiercely, its speed nearly surpassing that of light itself. Little Flying Dragon had previously boasted that his armor was waterproof, electric-proof, and fireproof. Yet, at this moment, he found himself convulsing violently from the white lightning, which propelled him skyward before sending him crashing several meters away, nearly ejecting him from the forest. This spectacle left the others momentarily stunned. The capabilities of this serpent were indeed hard to fathom. In unison, the 2 and the ape launched their attacks, splitting into 3 directions to confront the magic horned king snake. Yichuan rushed to Little Flying Dragon's side, who was now struggling to stand. Leaning against a sturdy tree, he removed his battle armor, sheepishly admitting, "Big brother, this creature's electricity is no ordinary voltage. It even penetrated my armor. Could it be that you are simply inadequate?" Yichuan retorted, exasperated. "I was careless." Little Flying Dragon responded with a look of helplessness, raising his hands. "Now I feel pain all over. Participating in the battle seems out of reach for the moment." "Oh, you." Yichuan shook his head in resignation. "Just rest for now." With that, he returned to the fray. Even as the trio battled the magic horned king snake, the creature remained unfazed, ensnaring the mighty ape with its massive tail. Despite the ape's immense strength, it could not break free, only able to roar in fury while pounding its fists against the serpent's body. The sea-dwelling sea dragon and the sky-soaring flying dragon are both classified as pseudo-dragons, yet they are merely of S level. Yichuan couldn't help but furrow his brow, murmuring to himself, "This creature, still categorized as a serpent, is an SS-level terrestrial being. It truly defies belief." Suddenly, with a powerful flick of its tail, the magic horned king snake hurled the ape far away, its tail then striking towards Liang Hongying. She raised her arms to defend against the terrifying blow, but the tail deftly coiled around her lower torso. The relentless pressure, even within her fiery battle armor, caused her great discomfort, prompting a sharp cry as her longsword plunged into the serpent's flesh. In that instant, the magic horned king snake let out a furious roar, abandoning Zhao Feiyu and turning violently to bite at Liang Hongying. In a moment of haste, Liang Hongying instinctively reached out to defend herself, only to be bitten on the arm by the king of the demon-horned serpent. Its sharp fangs pierced through her battle armor, embedding themselves into her flesh and injecting venom into her bloodstream. How infuriating! Liang Hongying's complexion changed dramatically as she felt a fleeting wave of dizziness, prompting her to swing her long blade upwards with great force. Chapter 395, Blood Detoxification, Selling Serpent Meat. With a crisp sound, the massive serpent's head was cleaved from its body by the long blade. In that instant, all sounds faded into silence, and the body of the king of the demon-horned serpent slumped to the ground. Liang Hongying felt the world spinning around her. Darkness enveloped her vision as she lost consciousness. "Hongying!" Zhao Feiyu rushed forward, only to find Liang Hongying's skin turning dark, her eyes tightly shut, and her breathing growing alarmingly faint. This serpent possesses potent venom. With her armor breached, it was likely that the toxin had infiltrated her body. Yichuan said gravely, simultaneously inquiring of the system, "What should we do in this situation?" The system remained silent, exuding an air of indifference to her plight. She was on the brink of death from the poison. Yichuan spoke seriously, his mind racing as he sought a method to counteract the toxin. "She's nearly out of breath." Xiao Feilong exclaimed anxiously. "What if we try bloodletting to detoxify her?" "If we resort to bloodletting for detoxification, the end result is that you too will become poisoned," Zhao Feiyu retorted irritably. "This is the venom of an SS-grade creature. Unless we perform a blood transfusion, no, there is another way to detoxify." Yichuan interjected, brandishing a short blade and slicing open his palm. "Open her mouth." At this command, Zhao Feiyu immediately pried open Liang Hongying's mouth, and blood flowed into her mouth. "Whether it be from the liver or a miraculous pill, both have granted me immunity to all toxins. Thus, my blood must also contain detoxifying properties. If my deductions are correct, I can save Liang Hongying now. In this manner, Liang Hongying ingested 200 milliliters of his blood. Retreat, retreat. Xiao Feilong shouted with excitement. Liang Hongying's previously darkened body began to regain its natural hue, and her heart finally resumed its rhythm. Yichuan withdrew his hand, observing as Liang Hongying gradually returned to color, her eyes slowly opening. I felt as though I had already perished, she murmured. It was my brother's blood that saved you. Xiao Feilong exclaimed with joy, laughing heartily. He had not anticipated that his brother's blood could counteract all toxins. Truly, his brother was a treasure in disguise. Brother. In that moment, Liang Hongying knelt before Yichuan. Since becoming his subordinate island lord, she had been saved by him on 2 occasions. Had it not been for him, she might have perished within the first month of entering the novice area. What is this? We are all part of the same team. We cannot function without one another. Yichuan replied with a smile. However, consider this a lesson. We must not be so careless in the future. Indeed, Liang Hongying nodded vigorously. However, she had silently vowed in her heart to follow Yichuan for the rest of her life, never to betray him. At that moment, Liang Hongying glanced at her arm and murmured, but the creature's teeth are far too sharp. They could even pierce through the yin-yin battle armor. It's simply astonishing. Its 2 fangs could hardly be called fangs anymore. They resembled steel needles. Yichuan pointed to the serpent's head not far off and remarked, with such sharp fangs, I fear no armor would withstand them. Yet, she pondered, I just don't know how to repair it. Liang Hongying sighed. System, this battle armor was provided by you. Surely you cannot withhold the method of repair? Yichuan asked, somewhat irritably. A piece of blue steel essence can repair it, the system finally responded. Only 1 piece of blue steel essence is needed for the repair. Yichuan immediately said, does anyone have a piece of blue steel essence on hand? It could be put to good use. I do. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed, raising his hand. I have 2 pieces that I've never used. He then produced 2 pieces of blue steel essence and handed them to Yichuan. Yichuan took the yin-yin battle armor and the blue steel essence and, utilizing the system, seamlessly infused both pieces into the armor, not only repairing the damaged arm, but also enhancing its resilience and hardness. Thank you, big brother. Liang Hongying exclaimed with excitement. Buclan Giant Ape. Yichuan laughed heartily and called out to the creature, drag this thing out. We shall feast on serpent stew this noon. Is its meat not toxic? Little Flying Dragon asked suspiciously. Of course not. The venom glands are located in its head, which has been severed. The flesh itself is non-toxic and, being of SS grade, will be exceedingly delicious, Yichuan replied, rubbing his hands together. Thus, with the Buclan Giant Ape dragging the demon horned king snake, the 4 of them swiftly departed the woods. Brother, you're back. Blueberry Jam and the others immediately rushed over. Upon seeing the large snake behind them, they were momentarily stunned. Goodness, was that the sound we kept hearing earlier? Were you battling this enormous serpent? Indeed. I was even struck by electricity. My whole body aches terribly now. Little Flying Dragon nodded repeatedly. That is merely a sign of your inadequacy. What are you complaining about? Blueberry Jam shot him a glance, speaking with mild annoyance. Others were unharmed. Such words left Little Flying Dragon momentarily speechless. He pouted slightly, feeling somewhat helpless. Laughter erupted among everyone. However, since the previously vanquished demon tree was of SS grade, they received no rewards this time. Nevertheless, the prospect of such ample serpent meat was a consolation. At noon, with the collaborative efforts of the group, a portion of serpent meat had been sliced off, and Saturday began to prepare serpent stew. Yichuan then stated, this time, having dealt with an SS grade creature, I believe we can exchange it for something valuable. Sell it. Blueberry Jam immediately inquired. No. We already have sufficient funds. It would be best to exchange it for rare items. Yichuan promptly shook his head and solemnly declared that the minimum exchange would begin at 1 kilogram, with the quantity determined by the rarity of the opponent's items and their availability. With Yichuan's authorization and standards in place, everyone immediately commenced selling the snake meat on the super tablet after dividing it. Yichuan also glanced at the public chatroom, which had erupted with excitement regarding this matter. Wow, has anyone noticed that someone is selling SS-level snake meat? That's incredibly impressive. It appears to be a novice island lord. Indeed, I've noticed that 4 or 5 novice island lords are selling it. They must be a group. Impressive. 4 or 5 novice island lords managed to slay an SS-level giant python. Does anyone know their location? Should we? Don't get your hopes up. I've checked. And they are in the Forbidden Sea. What? Chapter 396. The Assault on the Super Battleship. After this revelation, the island lords who initially intended to target this group of individuals quickly lost interest. After all, only those with genuine skills would dare venture into the Forbidden Sea. Otherwise, they would not risk their lives. Furthermore, these individuals were novice island lords. Even some seasoned island lords, who had been navigating the ocean world for years, would hesitate to enter. It is wise to avoid provoking such individuals. Moreover, SS-level snake meat is indeed a highly sought-after commodity in the ocean world. Even veteran island lords have never slain SS-level creatures, let alone tasted them. Several established island lords promptly presented valuable items for trade. Each one had initially prepared 200 kilograms of snake meat, which sold out in less than an hour. The items received in exchange were diverse, including incomplete treasure maps, blue steel essence, and island expansion cards. Each one had already acquired 7 treasure maps, and upon combining them with the ones obtained through trade, he completed a full treasure map, which indicated a location in the outer sea. If he intended to seek this treasure, it would likely have to wait until after the conclusion of the Forbidden Sea expedition. Although most items were rare, many were not immediately useful. The group then constructed a temporary warehouse to store these items until they were needed. Before long, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Using the super radar, they observed that the distance between both parties was diminishing, now only a little over 200 nautical miles apart. Zhao Feiyu could not help but ask solemnly, "Brothers, should we execute a large-scale ground bombardment to incapacitate them completely, or should we confront them directly?" "We are Turtle Island," each one analyzed. Although they are aware of large marine creatures approaching, they are unaware that there are individuals aboard. Therefore, I believe we can take our 3 larger and 3 smaller vessels to board their battleship, just as we did when dealing with the Tianzi and his crew. That makes sense. The young dragon snapped his fingers, grinning as he remarked, "By seizing their ship, we not only acquire a vessel but all of their possessions as well, a perfect twofold gain." The group swiftly reached a consensus, with Liang Hongying steering 3 formidable creatures, each one riding the loyal Wangkai, accompanied by 2 smaller companions, as they hastened towards the grand ship. Half an hour later, they finally beheld the warship, a black behemoth measuring over 600 meters in length and 70 meters in width, gliding swiftly across the sea. This was no ordinary vessel. It was a super battleship, nearly 200 meters longer than the ships commanded by Tianzi and his crew. Each one furrowed his brow, perplexed by the craftsmanship behind such a formidable warship. Could they possess a method to augment the battleship's size? As he pondered, the super battleship's automated defense system activated, unleashing a barrage of bullets that filled the air. However, the trio of formidable beasts was impervious to such attacks. They plunged directly onto the super battleship, their sharp claws swiftly dismantling the close-range cannons with the coordinated effort of Zhao Feiyu and his companions. It was only then that Yichuan safely alighted on the deck of the super battleship. An elderly man, radiating vitality, led several creatures up from below and scrutinized Yichuan and his companions, a cold smile forming on his lips. "How delightful to have the island master deliver himself to me," he sneered. "Is Zhozha your associate?" Yichuan inquired directly. "You know Zhozha?" The elder was taken aback. "We rescued Zhozha from the sea. In gratitude, he revealed the secrets of the Sea Dragon Palace," Yichuan explained. "We seek the treasure map of the Sea Dragon Palace." "Ha!" The elder erupted in laughter. "You are truly amusing. What makes you think you can claim the map of the Sea Dragon Palace? Not only am I a formidable Mirror Realm expert, but my 4 companions are also SS-level creatures. Do you think you can defeat us? Is an SS-level creature truly that formidable?" The young dragon scoffed. "We just dispatched an SS-level serpent this morning. So, it is your serpent meat that is being sold?" The elder paused, then shook his head with a chuckle. "Your combined strength to fell 1 SS-level serpent does not imply you can overcome my 4 companions." Without allowing Yichuan and the others to respond, he immediately issued the command to attack. In an instant, 4 powerful SS-level terrestrial creatures lunged at Yichuan's group. The trio of formidable beasts showcased their SS-level aerial prowess, engaging 3 of the terrestrial foes. The young dragon and Liang Hongying likewise shouted defiantly, confronting another terrestrial creature. The elder was momentarily taken aback. "No wonder you possess the courage to confront me. It seems these mounts are also SS-level creatures. Then, shall you now present the map of the Sea Dragon Palace?" Yichuan asked with a smile. "Very well, let me demonstrate the true might of a Mirror Realm expert." The elder shook his head slightly, a dark short dagger materializing in his hand, signaling the end of this confrontation so he could prepare dinner. With a low shout, he lunged at Yichuan. A cold smirk flashed across Yichuan's lips as he gripped his long knife, unleashing a force of absolute gravity that struck the elder with tremendous impact. The elder, caught off guard by Yichuan's formidable strength, was propelled several dozen meters away, colliding violently with a few heavy artillery pieces, which were left deformed from the blow. "Damn it! Cough cough!" The elder slowly rose, rubbing his chest in disbelief as he stared at Yichuan. You are also a master of the realm. Oh, I forgot to mention, Yichuan chuckled. While we saved Zhou, he attempted to enslave us, so we ended up killing him. The elder clenched his teeth, filled with regret. This was the first time an ill-fated island lord had sought trouble with him, as he had initially intended to flaunt his prowess by eliminating these individuals, only to find himself outmatched and schooled instead. Now, having sustained injuries, the prospect of vanquishing his opponent seemed utterly preposterous. Moreover, he could no longer rely on the 4 SS-level creatures. After all, they too possessed their own strengths, and one of them had yet to engage. Regardless of the circumstances, it was undeniably his defeat. The elder could not help but declare, "You seek the treasure map of the Sea Dragon Palace, do you not? I shall give it to you." "Apologies, but I have changed my mind." Yichuan shrugged. "Not only do I desire the treasure map, but I also covet your magnificent worship. Do not push your luck." The elder's complexion darkened, gritting his teeth in anger. Chapter 397. I have 2 virtues. Are you jesting? Yichuan regarded the elder as if he were a fool. Just moments ago, he had contemplated killing them, and now, upon realizing their superior strength, he accused them of bullying. "You." The elder glared at Yichuan, his body trembling with rage. He could not help but swing his hand forcefully, striding towards Yichuan with renewed speed. A small red snake shot from his sleeve, darting ahead of him towards Yichuan. The snake, roughly the thickness of a thumb and over 30 centimeters long, opened its jaws wide to bite at Yichuan. At that moment, Yichuan scoffed disdainfully, lightly flicking his long knife to sever the snake in two. However, in an instant, there was a faint explosion and the snake detonated, splattering red liquid all over Yichuan. Just as Yichuan prepared to defend himself, the elder's attack arrived. The dark short dagger slashed towards Yichuan's throat with a menacing force. Yichuan stepped forward, angling his long knife upwards as his body leaned to the side, the 2 blades clashing together and producing a shockwave that forced both combatants to stagger back a few paces. The elder erupted into laughter. "Kid, you have already been poisoned by my snake. You will soon collapse and fall prey to me. Why not kneel and beg for your life? Are you joking?" Yichuan scoffed, his words nearly breaking the elder's composure. "You have mocked me once, which sufficed, yet you dare to mock me a second time? This is truly intolerable." In a desperate bid to accelerate the venom's effect, the elder let out a fierce roar and charged once more at Yichuan. Yichuan's speed intensified, his assault growing increasingly ferocious, while the elder's strength waned from an initial parity to a state of utter exhaustion. Anxiety consumed him. How could my precious little serpent, which I have nurtured with such care, be so lackluster? Logically, this youth should have already collapsed, yet he only grows more formidable. This defies reason. Bang! In the fleeting moment the elder lost focus, Yichuan launched a powerful kick, diverting the blade's trajectory to the side. And with a swift upward slash of his long knife, he inflicted a grievous wound upon the elder, deep enough to expose bone. Ah! The elder staggered back a dozen steps, gazing down at his torn garments and the horrific gash, his eyes bulging with rage. "You scoundrel! How dare you wound me? Isn't it only natural for you to be injured? After all, you were never a match for me." Yichuan shrugged, stating, "Now, relinquish everything to me, and I shall treat you as you treated Zhou. Though you may possess nothing, at least you can retain your life. Should fortune smile upon you and you are rescued by the island's master, you may continue your boastful existence, no?" Glaring coldly at Yichuan, the elder's teeth ground together in frustration, yet he found himself powerless. Ultimately, his combat prowess paled in comparison to this fiend, and the venomous serpent had failed to affect him. Faced with such a prodigy, his options dwindled to either submission or death. "You truly will not kill me?" the elder asked, his voice icy. Roar! Just as the words left his lips, a mournful cry pierced the air. 3 of the 4 SS-level creatures had been slain, and the remaining one was on the brink of demise. The elder felt a pang of regret. He had invested considerable time in subduing these beings, only for them to be lost. "I have no other virtues, but I possess one, a tender heart," Yichuan declared earnestly. "As long as you provide what I seek, I assure you, I shall not lay a hand upon you." "Very well." The elder nodded without hesitation. In this world, nothing surpasses the value of one's own life. After all, material losses can be regained, yet without life, all is lost. Consequently, the elder produced a super tablet and transferred everything he owned to Yichuan. "May I leave now?" the elder inquired softly. "Of course. I am a man of my word. If I vow not to kill you, then I shall not," Yichuan replied with a shrug. "Good." The elder took a deep breath, preparing to leap from the super battleship. However, Zhao Feiyu shouted loudly, "Old man, Where do you think you're going? What do you mean by that? The elder was taken aback, his voice turning somber. He had already promised not to kill me. Do you intend to go back on your word? Not at all. His promise not to kill you is his affair. It has nothing to do with me. Zhao Feiyu retorted, raising his hands in a gesture of indifference. I have found you unlikable from the start, and now I am even more inclined to end your life. Do you think you can escape? You. The elder was infuriated. At last, he comprehended that he had been ensnared by them. In that moment, the elder let out a roar and charged directly at Zhao Feiyu. Despite Yichuan's formidable prowess, he refrained from intervening, leaving the elder with every confidence in his ability to confront this individual. Come on. At this juncture, Xiao Feilong and his companion noticed the unfolding situation and swiftly rushed over, transforming their earlier duel into a skirmish involving 4 combatants. Although the elder had entered the fray, he bore internal injuries inflicted by Yichuan, along with a grievous wound visible to the bone across his chest. While dealing with Zhao Feiyu was manageable, contending with all 3 adversaries simultaneously proved to be a daunting challenge. Meanwhile, Yichuan had settled onto a nearby cannon, quietly observing the clash of the 4. Unable to suppress a loud exclamation, "Be careful not to damage my super battleship." This remark further ignited the elder's fury. After all, he was a seasoned veteran who had navigated the Forbidden Sea for over a decade, yet he found himself outmaneuvered by this impetuous youth. The elder's frustration mounted as he pondered the situation. With 3 opponents besieging him, it seemed inevitable that he would have to sacrifice one to escape unscathed. Otherwise, his demise would be utterly in vain. In a fit of rage, the elder unleashed an even more terrifying battle prowess, seizing an opportunity to deliver a kick to Xiao Feilong. Despite the latter's armored attire, the blow inflicted considerable pain, sending him crashing into a railing over 20 meters away, warping it in the process. Ouch! Xiao Feilong squatted on the ground, howling in agony. You dare to strike my brother? This scene caused Yi Chuan's expression to darken. In an instant, he surged into the fray, colliding with the elder and propelling him several dozen meters away, exacerbating the ghastly wound on the elder's chest. You brat! You dare strike me? The elder glared coldly at Yi Chuan. I am a man of honor. Yi Chuan gritted his teeth and retorted. I cannot abide by anyone harming my friends, and you have crossed my line. But you promised you wouldn't kill me. The elder exclaimed in desperation, raising his voice. Are you not alive and well at this moment? When have I ever threatened your life? Yi Chuan shrugged. The elder was momentarily speechless. Having thrived in the Forbidden Sea for so many years while manipulating others, he had only now realized how innocent his past victims had been when he himself became a target. If time could be rewound, he would undoubtedly choose to be a better person. With rage and the agony from his grievous wound overwhelming him, the elder finally succumbed, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Yi Chuan chose to disregard him and began to retreat slowly. Let us take him down, Xiao Feilong shouted, and in an instant, the 3 once again charged at the elder. Weakened by his injuries, the elder's combat capabilities diminished further, ultimately leading to Liang Hongying exploiting a flaw and delivering a decisive blow, slitting his throat. The elderly man fixed his gaze upon Yi Chuan, as if he were attempting to etch the young man's image into his memory. In an instant, however, he was forcefully expelled from the warship by the little flying dragon. At long last, it was over. The little flying dragon let out a long breath and remarked, "It truly is baffling how someone can be so formidable after entering the scene. Even with the 3 of us combining our strengths, we could not overcome his injured state." That is only natural, Yi Chuan shrugged and replied. Come, let us see what treasures he possesses. With a commanding shout, Yi Chuan led the 4 of them downward. It must be said that this venerable island master, who had navigated the oceanic realm for decades, was indeed far superior to the average seasoned island leaders. Remarkably, he sought neither gold nor cash. Instead, he craved antiques. There exists a select group of individuals on Blue Star who are passionate about antiques, willing to spend exorbitant sums to acquire a single piece. This old fellow likely had at least 2 compartments brimming with antiques, valued at no less than trillions. Moreover, there were various formidable weapons, island expansion cards, and an array of other splendid items, truly a cornucopia of treasures. However, what Yi Chuan valued most was the treasure map of the Sea Dragon Palace. The secrets concealed within the Sea Dragon Palace could elevate his cultivation to new heights, far surpassing the worth of mountains of gold and silver. Brother, look, Liang Hongying exclaimed, presenting a small object to Yi Chuan. Does this look familiar? It resembles the one on Zhou, like a beetle. Yi Chuan's expression shifted. Could it be a mechanism of the Sea Dragon Palace? The little flying dragon inquired. Leaning closer, beetles do not inhabit the sea. It is likely not so, Zhao Feiyu analyzed. However, The precise purpose of this object remains uncertain until we encounter the right circumstances. Yichuan nodded in agreement. At that moment, the super battleship had already come to a halt, and the sea turtles swiftly caught up. Lu Shuai and the others boarded the battleship, and as they beheld the magnificent surroundings, Blueberry Jam could not help but exclaim, "This is truly awe-inspiring. I believe this battleship must rank just below my brother's ultimate warship." Yichuan furrowed his brows, suddenly recalling that he had forgotten to inquire how the individual had acquired such a grand battleship. Whether it was a matter of accumulation or conquest remained a mystery. Nonetheless, with the old man now deceased, the matter would remain an enigma known only to him. With that in mind, Yichuan instructed, "Little Flying Dragon, dispose of all the antiques and any items we do not require for now. Let us temporarily place them on Turtle Island. I will store the super battleship in a bottle for future use." Understood. Immediately, Yichuan placed all the antiques and other items into the system's inventory. The group then returned to Turtle Island, sealed the super battleship within a mystical bottle, and arranged all the antiques and numerous other treasures in the courtyard. I will contact my mother now and have her reach out to those connoisseurs of antiques to purchase these treasures at a premium. The little dragon snapped his fingers and cheerfully declared. Immediately, he began to operate with great enthusiasm. Yichuan took out the treasure map, which promptly displayed the route ahead, quite similar to the path leading to the Tears of the Moon treasure, albeit deviating approximately 5,000 nautical miles to the left. Yichuan nodded and remarked, "If we proceed at full speed to this location, it will take us around 3 days. Once we have resolved matters here, we can head to the Tears of the Moon, and with some acceleration, we should arrive in just over a day." As he spoke, Yichuan glanced at Liang Hongying. Without a moment's hesitation, Liang Hongying smiled and said, "I trust my elder brother's judgment. Let us first proceed to the Sea Dragon Palace." The others nodded in agreement, prompting Yichuan to instruct the sea turtle to set off at full speed towards their destination. Before long, evening descended. Zingkiliu prepared dinner to celebrate their successful heist of the super battleship, and Yichuan popped open champagne and red wine. The group indulged heartily, and 3 hours passed before they finally finished their feast around 10 o'clock at night. After washing up, Yichuan returned to his bed and checked the messages in the public chat room. "Are you all aware that 2 veteran island masters in the Forbidden Sea have been taken down? Seriously, is that true? Those are seasoned island masters, incredibly formidable. How could they possibly be killed? Is there any justice left? Who could be so powerful? I would love to witness this. Come on, if we went there, their pets would probably eliminate us effortlessly. ISNT that's seeking death? Do you have a death wish?" I was merely asking out of curiosity. Yichuan found himself genuinely puzzled. Previously, it was understandable that island masters were aware of such news. But how could this individual know about a recent event that had occurred so soon? Moreover, there was nothing within 1,000 nautical miles. How did he obtain this information? Consequently, Yichuan directly messaged the person, "My friend, how did you come by such confidential news? This is quite explosive." The response came, "I am part of the Ocean Intelligence Association, and I possess extensive knowledge of various intelligence matters. We specialize in collecting information, particularly regarding veteran island masters and SSS-class marine creatures." The Ocean Intelligence Association? Despite being the top student at his school, this was the first Yichuan had heard of such an organization. "Indeed, we have our observation satellites positioned at an altitude of 800 kilometers, allowing us to monitor their every movement," the individual confidently asserted. "Of course, if you need to locate someone or seek other information, you can approach us. We offer excellent value." Chapter 399. The Ambush of the Cunning Octopus. "I will provide you with a coordinate. Could you check on the individuals there?" Yichuan inquired directly. 1 LA, grade freshwater. The individual promptly quoted a price. "I will offer you 100 milliliters of S-grade freshwater, which is far more valuable than 1 LA, grade freshwater. Is it not?" Yichuan stated, directly trading 100 milliliters of S-grade freshwater to the other party. After a few minutes, the other party accepted the S-grade freshwater and responded, "Within 12 hours, I shall provide you with an answer and a photograph." With that, there was no further communication. Yichuan felt no concern regarding this matter. After all, he was already aware of the other party's coordinates. If they dared to deceive him, they would be the only ones to regret it. Time for sleep. Detected that the host has not yet signed in. "Would you like to sign in?" The system's voice awakened Yichuan the next morning. At 6 o'clock, the outside world was already bright. "Sign in," Yichuan promptly declared. "Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 4,000 evolution points and an island stabilization device 1. The system responded. Simultaneously, a message arrived in his watch, sent by the island owner from yesterday. They had sent Yichuan several photographs and replied. The island you mentioned is completely devoid of any inhabitants and shows signs of devastation, as if it has been bombarded by missiles. Upon viewing the photographs, Yichuan furrowed his brow, his expression darkening considerably. The entire island had indeed been ravaged, the protective shield long gone, leaving it in a state of ruin, nearly flattened. Where could Louis possibly be? However, Louis still appeared among his friends, indicating that she was not dead. Could it be that she had been captured to serve as a captive bride? The crucial point was that she had not responded to his messages at all. All right. I understand. Thank you. Yichuan replied without further ado. Do you need assistance in locating someone? 1ls, grade freshwater. The other party responded once more. Not for now. I will contact you if needed, Yichuan replied, choosing not to dwell on the matter any longer. There was nothing to ruminate upon. Since Louis did not wish to communicate with him, what was the point of searching for her? He decided to wait for her to reach out to him first. With this thought, Yichuan stepped out of the villa. On the first floor, Friday was busy preparing beef pizza, and even from outside, the rich aroma wafted through the air. Gazing at the newly risen sun, Yichuan stretched lazily and took a stroll around the island. Inspecting the vegetables and fruit trees that Friday had planted, all flourishing and laden with fruit. It must be said that Friday was indeed an expert in cultivation, enabling everyone to enjoy fresh fruit daily. However, for the time being, the group primarily consumed meat, with vegetables as a supplementary option. Perhaps it was time to slightly adjust their dietary structure. Meanwhile, the miraculous tree had grown significantly during this period. Its main trunk, now standing at 180 meters, was as thick as an infant's arm, and the first 30 meters had gained an additional half centimeter in girth. Furthermore, it was adorned with vibrant red fruits, the rich fragrance only perceptible upon closer inspection. Brother Chuan, these fruits should be ready for harvesting by tomorrow, Friday approached with a beaming smile. Should we continue making fruit preserves? By the way, this time, we have over twice as many fruits as last time. Continue making the fruit jam. Each bottle should contain 200 milliliters. I consume it every morning, Yichuan instructed. No problem, replied Friday with a snap of his fingers. Nodding in acknowledgement, Yichuan returned to join a few others for breakfast. Brother, I feel that the speed of the sea turtle is gradually decreasing, Liang Hongying remarked while enjoying her pizza. If this continues, we should roughly arrive at the location indicated on the map by tomorrow noon. In terms of time, it's not slow. Yichuan nodded. In the blink of an eye, the time has passed. There is no need to hurry. However, the Sea Dragon Palace must be underwater, right? Xiao Feilong interjected. We have no means to enter the depths of the sea. Even if it's 3,000 meters deep, we could only hold our breath for a maximum of 5 minutes. This was indeed a concern, and after some contemplation, Yichuan could only respond. We'll address it when the time comes. After all, only one diving suit could support 15 minutes underwater, and considering breath holding, there was a total of 20 minutes. Yet, there was only one suit, meaning he could only take one person down. With a plan in mind, everyone decided not to dwell on the matter further. The Sea Turtle Island continued to swiftly advance towards its destination, and for the time being, everyone engaged in their respective activities. Blueberry Jam commenced a live broadcast, sharing the scenic views of Sea Turtle Island. Having not streamed recently, her return immediately attracted millions of viewers. Jam, did you skip the beauty filter? Your skin looks even better than last time. What skincare products are you using? Please recommend. I assert that Blueberry Jam is the most remarkable internet celebrity on this platform. I trust there are no objections? Blueberry Jam, why did the entire fleet led by Wanqing go to negotiate a collaboration with you, only to vanish entirely? Did you eliminate them all? Blueberry Jam, where are you? If you have the audacity, tell me. I will lead my fleet to find you and seek justice for my daughter. With this proclamation, a wave of agitation surged through the live chat, and Blueberry Jam felt a surge of irritation. She promptly retorted, I am in the Forbidden Sea, currently venturing deeper into its depths. If you dare come, I, Blueberry Jam, am awaiting you. Is that true? The depths of the Forbidden Sea? Some viewers remained skeptical and began to provoke her. Why should I believe you? What proof do you have? I cannot provide proof, but the water here is red. Additionally, I can share the coordinates. Though I fear you may lack the courage to come, Blueberry Jam declared, revealing the coordinates. As for Wanqing's affairs, they have nothing to do with me. Do not seek me out. If you truly wish to come, I, Blueberry Jam, will be here waiting. To the detractors in the chat, she added, there is no need to instigate. You lack my wealth, my prowess, and my capabilities. Do you not feel ashamed coming here to stir trouble? After delivering her remarks, Blueberry Jam resumed her usual demeanor, radiating a charming yet commanding presence, winning over yet another wave of admirers. Bang! As everyone was engrossed in their own affairs, a thunderous roar erupted, heralding the arrival of a colossal tentacle that surged forth from hundreds of nautical miles away, striking the protective shield with tremendous force and shattering it into fragments. What on earth is happening? A wave of shock rippled through the crowd as they hastily gathered together. Yichuan promptly activated the temporal protective shield, squinting at the menacing tentacle that reared back for another assault, and gravely remarked, "It appears to be the enigmatic tentacle octopus." Chapter 400, United in Purpose. Battling the Octopus. The mention of the enigmatic tentacle octopus caused several faces to pale. Back in the novice zone, this creature had engaged in a skirmish with me, only to be driven away. Yichuan stated with utmost seriousness, "Zhozha had a run-in with it not long ago. It seems this belligerent creature has returned to trouble me once more. We currently lack sufficiently formidable weaponry." Xiao Feilong lamented. "This is an SSS-class marine creature. Even hundreds of warships from the multinational alliance could not subdue it. Yet was it not I who drove it off before?" Yichuan retorted with a cold smirk. "I firmly believe that if we unite in our efforts, we can not only defeat it, but perhaps even vanquish it entirely. Well then, let us confront it head-on." Lu Shui added with a scoff. "Guizhang, Wei Wei, you two ascend the mountaintop, ready the heavy artillery and repeating crossbows for an imminent assault." Yichuan commanded decisively. Lu Shui, "Initiate ground-to-ground attacks from all angles. You go, let us foremount our flying creatures and engage it fiercely." Understood. The group acknowledged their orders and swiftly dispersed to their respective stations. Although the viewers in the Blueberry Guizhang livestream could not see this spectacle, they could hear it clearly, and the atmosphere erupted with excitement. My heavens, Guizhang is actually preparing to battle the SSS-class enigmatic tentacle octopus. That creature is a true monstrosity. It is said that the enigmatic tentacle octopus is nearly impossible to kill. I have heard tales from those who have fought against it. Is this the legendary figure from the novice zone? Guizhang, please do not end the livestream. We all wish to witness the fierce clash with the octopus. Goddess, please be cautious. I intend to send 100 carnival gifts. At this moment, Guizhang and Wei Wei had reached the mountaintop. Wei Wei readied the spinning crossbow arrows, while Guizhang prepared the heavy artillery, aiming towards the distant, surging enigmatic tentacle octopus. Yichuan had already activated the island stabilization device. The sea turtle now served as a formidable ally. Although it might not match the enigmatic tentacle octopus in power, it would surely not fall far behind. As the four ascended into the skies, the enigmatic tentacle octopus was now alarmingly close, for massive tentacles lashed out towards them, while its body crashed violently against the sea turtle. At this moment, the sea turtle, with most of its form emerging above the water, unleashed an absolute gravity maneuver, charging towards the enigmatic tentacle octopus. As a seasoned SSS-class marine creature, the enigmatic tentacle octopus had engaged in hundreds of battles, yet it was unprepared for the sheer ferocity of the sea turtle's strength. The force of 20,000 tons surged forth, causing even the enigmatic octopus to recoil a full mile. The tortoise, too, suffered significant injury, retreating in haste. In that very moment, Blueberry Jam and Willow swiftly pressed their launch buttons, unleashing a barrage of crossbow bolts and cannon fire directed at the mysterious octopus. In an instant, the octopus unleashed a pulse of energy, rendering all weaponry ineffective as they helplessly fell toward the sea's surface. The tortoise promptly employed a countercurrent technique, diverting the pulse energy to either side without sustaining any harm. The three larger entities and their three smaller counterparts immediately veered off course, evading the tentacle assault and deftly dodging the pulse attack, spinning in the air for several revolutions before regaining stability. Simultaneously, Lu Shui unleashed a relentless volley of 18 ground-to-ground missiles, with 180 small warheads dispersing in all directions towards the enigmatic octopus. The octopus, with its 11 tentacles, flailed wildly in the air, intercepting at least half of the warheads, yet a considerable number still struck its form, inflicting only minimal damage. The crossbow bolts and cannon fire surged once more, striking the octopus with ferocity, while the octopus's tentacles continued their relentless assault. The heavy artillery inflicted severe burns upon its body. One enormous tentacle lunged toward Turtle Island, intent on smashing the attacking weaponry. The tortoise rose up, its sharp claws striking with brutal force, nearly severing the robust tentacle in half. Another water projectile struck, bringing the tentacle crashing down. Though the octopus could not vocalize, it could not suppress its fury at that moment, unleashing two tentacles that collided violently with the tortoise. As the tortoise's prior assault lingered, the octopus retaliated, its tentacles growing larger and longer, ensnaring the entire tortoise and pulling it beneath the surface, deeper into the ocean's depths. Furious at this sight, Yichuan furrowed his brow and immediately plunged into the water, employing absolute gravity as his long blade brutally cleaved through the tentacle, entangling the tortoise. A thunderous sound erupted as a faint blade aura manifested in the water, sharp and lethal, severing one of the tentacles and causing the enigmatic octopus to falter. In its agony, however, another tentacle stealthily approached and ensnared Yichuan. "You truly are relentless," Yichuan remarked coldly, invoking his power to struggle against the tightening grip of the octopus. Yet, even as a powerful being ensnared by an SSS-level creature brought excruciating pain. Meanwhile, the trio of little flying dragons had also entered the water, launching their own attacks against the enigmatic octopus, causing Yichuan to frown. Realizing it was too late to intervene, the enigmatic hand octopus, classified as an SSS-grade marine creature, possesses an exceptionally high intelligence. At this moment, it is evidently luring all its adversaries into the water, for its prowess intensifies beneath the waves. The trio, having scarcely engaged in battle, found themselves ensnared by its tentacles. Even merely being dragged along would inevitably lead to their demise over time. "Strike its tentacles," exclaimed Lu Yue and Blueberry Jam, their gazes fixated on the blood-red sea surrounding them. With a synchronized assault, they aimed at the tentacle entwining the sea turtle. Despite the tight grip of the enigmatic hand octopus, the tremendous force of the crossbow bolts and cannon fire began to weaken its hold. Seizing this opportunity, the sea turtle broke free from its constraints, unleashing an overwhelming force aided by the current, amplifying its gravity by at least 50%. The resultant 30,000 tons of pressure crashed mercilessly against the octopus's abdomen. In its moment of agony, the tentacles binding Zhao Feiyu and the others loosened, allowing them to escape swiftly towards the surface under the protection of the sea turtle. This incited the octopus's wrath, which surged forward once more, its tentacles striking fiercely at the fleeing figures. From the depths of the ocean, a dolphin suddenly charged, delivering 10 tons of force directly into the body of the enigmatic hand octopus with its fateful horn. Chapter 401. The tenacious enigmatic hand octopus. Though shielded by the sea turtle, the octopus's supple tentacles easily struck the group. As the dolphin plunged its fateful horn into the octopus, the trio braced themselves with their hands before them, enduring the impact. In that instant, the tentacles lashed out violently, propelling the three of them over 10 nautical miles away. However, mere seconds later, the octopus began to lose its senses. "Well done, my dolphin," Yichuan chuckled heartily, brandishing the forbidden gun and delivering a powerful blow to the octopus's head as it surfaced. In that moment, the forbidden gun expanded dramatically, transforming into a colossal spear over 100 meters long, crashing down upon the octopus's head. The massive tip pierced into its body, rousing the previously unconscious creature from its stupor, causing all its tentacles to converge upon Yichuan in a furious assault. Standing atop the octopus's head, Yichuan deftly evaded the strikes as the creature lashed out repeatedly, its own tentacles rebounding against its head, igniting its fury. 8 tentacles split into all directions, aiming for Yichuan's head. With a swift somersault into the air, Yichuan transformed the forbidden gun into a long blade, extending his body mid-flight to strike forcefully against the approaching tentacles. With a resounding crash, one tentacle was severed. However, another still struck Yichuan. Despite his timely use of the reverse current technique, he was sent hurtling backwards, though he was caught by Wang Kai. Yet even so, Wang Kai staggered several kilometers back before finally regaining his balance. The octopus intended to continue its assault, but the sea turtle had already gathered its strength. Once again, an overwhelming force of absolute gravity erupted, striking the cunning tentacled creature with great ferocity. The octopus, having sustained consecutive setbacks, was now utterly exhausted, especially after losing a tentacle to Yichuan's blade just days prior, which had only just regrown, only to be severed again by the same adversary. This relentless targeting ignited a fierce rage within the octopus. "You can't just feast on one target," it seethed. "Do you think I'm some sort of multi-armed deity?" However, battered and weary, it found itself outmatched by the sea turtle, flipped over by the absolute gravity, and began to contemplate retreat. "Thinking of escaping?" Lu Shuai scoffed, unleashing a harpoon with precision just as the octopus neared the edge of its range, striking it solidly. The barb opened, and in a frantic struggle, the octopus nearly dragged the sea turtle underwater. Only after employing a levitation spell did the turtle manage to stabilize itself, avoiding being pulled into the abyss. "Well done," Lu Shuai cheered the group as they returned to Turtle Island. Zaya Feeling laughed heartily, delivering a playful punch to Lu Shuai. "If it had gotten away, all our efforts would have been in vain. This octopus possesses not only remarkable vitality, but formidable combat skills," Yichuan remarked, his expression grave. It feels even tougher than the solitary reef bull. Ultimately, the crux of the matter lay in our lack of lethal weaponry. Zhao Feiyu nodded in agreement. Had we retained our super shockwaves and missiles, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Let the sea turtle lead it away. Once it tires, we shall confront it. Yichuan decisively suggested. Seeing the battle momentarily conclude, Lu Yewei and Wei Wei rushed down from the mountain. Meanwhile, in the live stream of Blueberry Jam, millions had already gathered, witnessing the intense confrontation unfold before their eyes, their excitement palpable. Wow, they really are taking on an SSS-level cunning octopus. Incredible. It seemed that hundreds of battleships from a multinational alliance had been utterly vanquished by it before. Yet now, it was being driven off. The prowess of the Goddess team was truly astonishing. The thrill was exhilarating, far surpassing even commercial blockbusters. By the way, didn't someone mention going to confront the goddess? When are we doing that? I want to see the spectacle. Xia Wonking's father had been observing the battle closely, his countenance darkening to an extreme. He could scarcely believe that this small team, Blueberry Jam, dared to challenge an SSS-level octopus. He pondered what else they might fearlessly confront. The thought of taking on Blueberry Jam seemed absurd. Even the four major conglomerates would likely meet with failure in opposing them. Noticing that some netizens began calling for him, he chose to ignore them, disappearing from view. Brother, how is it going now? Blueberry Jam inquired softly. It's trying to escape. But we've got it under control with our harpoons. Xia feeling chuckled. It can't get away. Determined to exhaust its strength and ultimately vanquish it. Liang Hongying spoke in a low voice. At that moment, the elusive octopus moved with remarkable speed, while the turtle deliberately exerted greater resistance, slightly diminishing its swiftness. However, the turtle's intended destination was, surprisingly, the Dragon Palace, which greatly pleased everyone, as it saved them considerable effort. Goodness, it's been over 2 hours, and this creature still possesses such vigor? Little Flying Dragon remarked, somewhat speechless at the octopus's continued rapidity. After all, being an SSS-level marine creature, it would be rather disappointing if it were to tire so easily. Yichuan smiled and said, Lu Shuai, you should launch another wave of ground-to-ground missiles to motivate it further. All right, Chuangu. Saturday promptly ran off to prepare lunch. Just as everyone noticed the turtle seemingly slowing down, the elusive octopus unexpectedly launched a counterattack, its massive form hurtling towards Turtle Island. Yichuan furrowed his brow and immediately cast an absolute defense spell. The turtle simultaneously employed absolute gravity while utilizing levitation, causing the absolute gravity to collide upward, meeting the octopus head-on. Yet, the octopus's ambush caught the turtle off guard, resulting in a significant setback as it was propelled toward the ocean's surface. Boom. Simultaneously, a thunderous explosion erupted as 18 ground-to-ground missiles struck the elusive octopus, causing a series of detonations upon impact. This time, the 18 missiles did not have time to separate their warheads, resulting in a combined explosive force equivalent to that of 10 missiles. The octopus let out a roar, flipping over and plunging back into the water. The 18 missiles were akin to a single super missile, exacerbating the injuries of the already wounded octopus, creating a large wound from which blue blood gushed uncontrollably. The octopus ceased its forward motion, rapidly descending into the depths of the sea, intent on dragging the turtle down or severing the reinforced steel cable. Chapter 402. Subduing the octopus, the shock of the onlookers. Even in such dire circumstances, it still contemplates escape? Little Flying Dragon exclaimed in astonishment. Its vitality is indeed remarkable. At that moment, a warning signal suddenly emanated from the dolphins. Yichuan immediately employed the same eye transmission technique and beheld a dozen giant sharks approaching from the distance. Over a dozen giant sharks are coming, Yichuan declared solemnly. This is the blood of an SSS-level marine creature. It surely differs from ordinary blood, Zhao Feiyu explained. In the Forbidden Sea, such terrifying creatures as giant sharks are merely the younger siblings, which is why they appear in groups. We may just sit back and watch the fierce struggle, reaping the benefits. Quickly, let's get a large submarine. We must descend to observe. Little Flying Dragon shouted excitedly. Yichuan felt compelled to descend and observe the unfolding spectacle. He promptly retrieved a fortified large submarine, and all aboard swiftly plunged into the depths of the ocean, approximately 5,000 meters beneath the surface. The enigmatic hand octopus was locked in a fierce struggle with a multitude of great white sharks. In the open sea, these formidable predators reigned supreme, yet before the octopus, they appeared as mere children, easily severed by a single tentacle. However, the sharks, undeterred, charged en masse. As the adage goes, a fierce tiger cannot withstand a pack of wolves. Despite the valiant sacrifices of some sharks, others managed to latch onto the octopus's wounds, causing it to writhe in pain. Ensnared by reinforced steel cables that left it no chance of escape and restricted its ability to retaliate. Viewers in the live stream were captivated by the underwater scene, gasping in astonishment. My goodness, a dozen great white sharks attacking a giant octopus. Such a sight I could scarcely dare to dream of. Blueberry jam is indeed the most extraordinary internet sensation, unparalleled and unmatched. I must borrow money from my ex-wife to gift my goddess 200 carnivals. As a fellow island lord, I cannot even begin to fathom the environment blueberry jam inhabits. At least half of the island lords in the outer seas were tuned into this live broadcast. They may not know how the seasoned island lords fare in the oceanic realm, but they sensed that this small team led by Blueberry Jam was certainly no weaker than the established lords. Brother, did you notice the glowing orb situated between its eyes? Exclaimed Lu Yue suddenly. It was exposed when a great white shark took a bite out of its flesh. This must be its core. Once I extract it, the creature is finished. Yichuan stated solemnly. Provide me cover. I shall retrieve this core immediately. With so many great white sharks around, it could be quite perilous. Zhao Feiyu interjected hastily. What danger could an A-class marine creature pose? Yichuan replied nonchalantly as he dashed toward the torpedo launch chamber. His speed remained undiminished underwater, deftly evading the attacks from the sharks and tentacles. Armed with a long knife, he struck fiercely at the core of the octopus's eyes. However, after enduring for so long, the octopus suddenly unleashed a pulse of energy, its terrifying force obliterating all the great white sharks. Even the large submarine was affected, with its electrical systems failing. Beginning a slow descent into the depths of the ocean, Yichuan immediately employed a reverse flow technique, but the force propelled him over 10 nautical miles away. Fortunately, a dolphin sped forth, bringing him back to the vicinity of the enigmatic hand octopus. This seemed to signify the octopus's final act of defiance. After emitting that pulse, it remained motionless in the water, devoid of the strength to even struggle. This was precisely what Yichuan desired. He once again directed his long knife toward the octopus's core. Roar. At that moment, the enigmatic octopus let out another furious roar, its terrifying strength propelling Yichuan once more into the air. However, Yichuan had managed to grasp its inner core, and together with it, he was whisked away several nautical miles. Deprived of its core, the enigmatic octopus finally lay still, offering no resistance even as the approaching great white shark and other creatures began to feast upon it. With the assistance of dolphins, Yichuan surged out of the ocean's surface and swiftly made his way to Turtle Island, where he pressed the retrieval button, initiating the rapid pull of the enigmatic octopus towards the shore. How infuriating! Little Flying Dragon cursed vehemently, skillfully maneuvering the large submarine. It was only as the vessel neared the colossal rocks of the island that it finally reactivated, ascending towards the surface at the moment of imminent collision. Yes, Little Flying Dragon snapped his fingers, and the group collectively exhaled in relief. As the enigmatic octopus was pulled ashore, at least a third of its body had already been consumed. Saturday and Friday promptly began their preparations, severing the devoured parts and casting them back into the ocean. The collective tension among the onlookers in the live stream dissipated as they finally returned to the shore after leaving the submarine, with comments flooding in. That was incredibly thrilling. Even more so than the last live battle, huh? Thank you, goddess, for allowing me to witness the brutal reality of the ocean world. I had intended to venture into the ocean myself, but now I dare not even think of it. Alas, we ordinary folks are just suited to watch live streams, shower gifts, and wait for death. No, this only fueled my determination to enter the ocean world. I aspire to become a man as formidable as the goddess. MD, the goddess is a girl, what are you babbling about? At this moment, Blueberry Jam addressed the viewers, concluding the stream and effortlessly earning over 100 million. Killing this enigmatic octopus was indeed no easy feat, and everyone had worked hard. Yichuan said with a smile, once we had lunch, you four, along with brother you, should each take 100 pounds of octopus meat home for your families to taste. Tonight we shall indulge in a grand octopus feast, allowing you to experience the melt-in-your-mouth texture of the octopus. Brother, this inner core is astonishingly large. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed, gazing at the core, which was nearly the size of a basketball. Even the inner core of the solitary reef bull monarch had not been this grand. After all, it was an SSS-grade marine creature. Yichuan shrugged. I have also accumulated some S-grade inner cores. I will have you consume them later. As for the SSS grade, you are not yet prepared for that. Indeed, we should enhance our abilities, Zhao Feiyu remarked. Only by battling SSS-grade marine creatures do we truly grasp the disparity between us. Just as he spoke, Zhao Feiyu's phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Zhao Taifeng. Uncle, what prompted you to call me? Zhao Feiyu inquired with a smile. Feiyu, the creature you defeated was the enigmatic octopus, the SSS grade being with 12 tentacles, correct? Zhao Taifeng asked bluntly. Chapter 403. The 12th tentacle of the octopus? Indeed, uncle. What is it? Zhao Feiyu inquired, puzzled. It is not a trivial matter. I need you to speak with your brother about whether the 12th tentacle of the elusive octopus can be secured for our military, Zhao Taifeng stated with grave seriousness. This component is of utmost importance to us, but it only possesses 11 tentacles. There is no 12th. Zhao Feiyu frowned and replied in a low voice. It never had one during our confrontation. How could that be? Zhao Tiefeng's tone darkened. That is indeed the case. However, prior to our encounter, we faced a formidable battleship with 2 individuals aboard, one of whom was named Zhou Zhe, Zhao Feiyu explained. They had also engaged in combat with the elusive octopus, but due to our inferior strength, we parted ways after the skirmish. Uncle, what purpose does this 12th tentacle serve? It pertains to the secrets of humanity's second realm. Zhao Taifeng replied solemnly. The specifics remain unclear to us. We can only ascertain the truth once we acquire that 12th tentacle. Understood, Zhao Feiyu nodded. Should I uncover any leads, I will inform you. With that, both parties ended the call. His assistant, unable to contain his curiosity, asked, Island Master, how credible do you find Feiyu's words? 7 parts out of 10, Zhao Taifeng replied with gravity. Ultimately, the elusive octopus was slain by his brother, and the 12th tentacle undoubtedly belongs to him. Feiyu wishes to avoid putting his brother in a precarious position, thus he claims ignorance. What shall we do then? The assistant whispered. Pinpoint Feiyu's location and mobilize the super battleship. We shall pursue them. Zhao Taifeng decisively commanded. Our sole objective is to uncover the secret of transformation. Everything else is of secondary importance. Will this disappoint Feiyu? The assistant hesitated to ask, considering the implications of their actions for the military and, by extension, the nation. Zhao Taifeng replied solemnly. Moreover, the super battleship bears no military insignia. No one will discern our true identity. Understood. The assistant straightened up and declared loudly to Zhao Taifeng. Thanks, brother Yu. Yichuan smiled at Zhao Feiyu. There is no need for thanks. We are, after all, a team. Zhao Feiyu responded with utmost seriousness. Besides, I truly have not seen the 12th tentacle. Yichuan, patting Zhao Feiyu on the shoulder, felt a sense of reassurance. As a soldier, Zhao Feiyu had already made significant sacrifices by deceiving Zhao Taifeng. Well then, we should have no further concerns. Xiao Feilong clapped his hands. With the elusive octopus propelling us forward at such speed, we should arrive at our destination by tomorrow morning. Time to eat, shouted Saturday, addressing everyone. The meal is ready. Let us dine first, and we will dissect the octopus afterward, Yichuan stated decisively. In the span of an afternoon, everyone was engaged in dismembering the enigmatic tentacled octopus. Yichuan, however, took out the inner cores of the octopus, as well as the inner core of the previously encountered bull emperor from the solitary reef, and the rewards received earlier, all at once consumed them, initiating his cultivation. The inner core of an S-class marine creature equates to the efficacy of 20 LS-class freshwater, while the inner core of an SSS-class marine creature corresponds to the potency of 50 LS-class freshwater. Thus, 3 of these would amount to 150 liters. Upon consuming them, a terrifying power began to surge throughout his body instantaneously. The small bead, akin to a yellow soybean, located in his dantian, was now emitting a blinding white light, seemingly cracking open as if something within yearned to break free. Yet, in an instant, the power faltered, returning to tranquility, although the circulating energy within him quickened significantly. He could distinctly sense a slight enhancement in his strength, albeit not overwhelmingly pronounced. Upon opening his eyes, Yichuan was startled to find that night had fallen. Checking the time, he realized it was already past 9 in the evening. He exited his bedroom to find everyone in the living room, engrossed in a film. Little Flying Dragon immediately exclaimed, "Blueberry jam. Big brother has awakened. Quickly, prepare the octopus feast." Oh. Blueberry Jam nodded vigorously and dashed to the kitchen. How could it be so late without anyone calling for me? Yichuan stretched and inquired. During dinner, Jam checked on you and saw you meditating with your legs crossed. So she didn't want to disturb you, Zhao Feiyu explained. That's fair. I was indeed cultivating, Yichuan shrugged, producing 4 S-class inner cores and tossing them to Zhao Feiyu and the others. These are S-class inner cores. Use them tonight. They will aid in your strength enhancement. All right. Thank you, big brother. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed, a glimmer of excitement lighting up his face as he burst into laughter. After dinner, in a hot shower, Yichuan returned to his bed. Habitually, he checked the messages in the public chat room, knowing that everyone had witnessed Blueberry Jam's live stream and was curious to see if any hostile island lords had emerged as a result. Blueberry Jam's team is indeed formidable. The SSS-class tentacled octopus was swiftly defeated, comparable to those veteran island lords who dared to venture into the Forbidden Sea. Come on, which veteran island lord could possibly be so formidable? Let us not forget that over 300 warships from a multinational alliance failed to subdue this creature. Breaking news, a super battleship is rapidly heading towards the Forbidden Sea. Is it perhaps targeting the goddess? Wow, there's a super battleship in the outer sea? They truly have audacity, daring to confront the goddess? Upon reading these words, Yichuan furrowed his brow. It seemed there were not many capable island lords in the outer sea, and he had already eliminated several. Who else could possess the strength to venture into the Forbidden Sea, especially aboard a super battleship? If he were to consider any island lord, it would likely be someone from the military, Zhao Taifeng. Yichuan increasingly felt the plausibility of the situation. After all, having already subdued the enigmatic octopus, it would be hard to believe there was no 12th tentacle. It appeared that the Zhao family was also grappling with a crisis of trust. However, as the saying goes, one must confront soldiers when they come and block water when it flows. Even the military must consider their strength when attempting to seize what belongs to him. Upon waking the next morning, Yichuan slowly stirred at the sound of the system, which prompted him to sign in. Sign in, he murmured, gazing out the window to find a heavy downpour obscuring the view. The system's voice followed, announcing, sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 4,000 evolution points and a super missile package. Chapter 404. To the Sea Dragon Palace. Is it necessary to overturn the boat? Indeed. Another super missile package had bolstered his confidence somewhat. Descending from the villa, Yichuan found Xiao Feilong, Zhao Feiyu, and Liang Hongying already present. They observed the torrential rain, and Liang Hongying remarked seriously, Elder brother, the sea turtle appears to be stationary. This must be the location. But why such heavy rain? Visibility is nearly non-existent. Since it is the Sea Dragon Palace, it must be underwater. I will investigate further, Yichuan declared, swiftly employing his shared vision to direct a dolphin towards the ocean depths. Yet, upon reaching the seabed, there was no sign of the fabled Sea Dragon Palace. System, what is the situation? After all this effort, where is the Sea Dragon Palace? Yichuan inquired sternly. This treasure map cannot possibly be a fabrication. Where is it? The system retorted, the torrential rain is due to the spring within the Sea Dragon Palace. Then do tell me, where is the Sea Dragon Palace? Yichuan yelled in frustration. Find it yourself. The system replied abruptly, leaving him in silence. Exasperated, Yichuan resumed his meticulous search of the seabed with his shared vision. He encountered corals, massive rocks, gravel, and a variety of marine life. Yet the elusive Sea Dragon Palace remained absent, and he still lacked clarity on the function of the octopus's 12th tentacle. Perhaps I should dive deeper myself, he concluded, plunging into the water and swiftly descending to scour every corner of the ocean floor. Still nothing. Yichuan felt a surge of irritation as he prepared to leave, only to suddenly uncover a palace right before his eyes, albeit as if it were merely a reflection, seemingly non-existent. This must be the Sea Dragon Palace. Yet why does it appear only as a reflection, as though I am standing on the shore gazing at its image in the water? Yichuan mused with skepticism, passing through the illusion of the Sea Dragon Palace and re-emerging on Turtle Island. Elder brother, what did you find? Xiao Feilong inquired eagerly. Only a reflection. The Sea Dragon Palace is nowhere to be seen, Yichuan replied, shaking his head. Nothing can be seen beneath the surface, yet when I look up, I see the reflection in the water. Liang Hongying, with her chin in hand, murmured in doubt for several minutes. Suddenly, her expression shifted. She pondered. If we reverse our approach, might we then reach the Sea Dragon Palace? This suggestion was indeed quite constructive. Yichuan contemplated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Very well, after breakfast, we shall give it a try. At that moment, Blueberry Jam called the trio to breakfast. Subsequently, Yichuan fashioned a small vessel measuring over 10 meters in length and 3 meters in width, declaring, now, everyone must secure themselves to the boat, as I intend to overturn it. Brother, are you out of your mind? Are you trying to end your life? Blueberry Jam exclaimed in astonishment. Nonsense, Liang Hongying retorted, playfully pinching Blueberry Jam's cheek. We are merely transitioning into another dimension. The Sea Dragon Palace does not reside within this one. I was just casually mentioning it. Blueberry Jam pouted, looking rather pitiful. All right, everyone, let us get to it. Yichuan clapped his hands and temporarily sealed the sea turtle into a bottle. Observing that everyone had secured themselves in their own way, he finally spoke. Hold your breath. I shall commence. With a firm shout, he grasped one side of the railing and unleashed absolute gravity, causing the entire vessel to begin its rotation. It's flipping. It's flipping. At that moment, Blueberry Jam cried out loudly. The boat executed a complete 180-degree somersault, capsizing onto the surface of the sea, sending everyone plummeting downwards. They quickly grasped onto whatever they could on the boat, causing the entire vessel to begin its descent. After a few seconds, the boat flipped again, resurfacing on the ocean, with everyone returning to the vessel, drenched to the skin. Yet, the sky was clear and blue, showing no signs of recent rain. Where are we? Blueberry Jam inquired in astonishment, gazing around. Have we arrived in another dimension? The azure waters below ruled out the possibility of being in the Forbidden Sea. Little Flying Dragon, peering down, remarked with a hint of irritation, Sister Hongying is indeed impressive. She guessed exactly how to reach this dimension. Heh, get lost. Liang Hongying shot him a fierce glare at his rather lewd demeanor. Yichuan then released the sea turtle, and everyone returned to the island. Too bad we didn't bring my dolphin along. It would have been far more efficient for it to explore than for us to venture down ourselves, Yichuan mused. Shrugging slightly, Yugu, put on your diving suit. Let us dive together. All right. Zhao Feiyu nodded, changing into his diving suit. And the two prepared to descend into the water. Brother, be careful. Blueberry Jam called out sweetly. Yichuan turned back, flashed a smile at her, and promptly leaped into the sea. In this maritime expanse, where the depths barely exceed 1,000 meters, the two adventurers found themselves effortlessly submerged in the azure waters. Beholding the majestic dragon palace, sprawling over thousands of square meters, they intended to enter directly, yet were unexpectedly repelled by an invisible force. Thus, they descended towards the grand entrance at the ocean floor. Alas, it seems that without a key, entry remains impossible. Yichuan chuckled, shaking his head as he produced the 12th tentacle of an octopus, cautiously extending it towards the entrance. However, it too was rebuffed by that unseen power, leaving no room for dignity. System, given the current predicament, surely you must enlighten me on how to utilize this 12th tentacle? Yichuan lamented, his expression drooping. If they could not even enter, it would be utterly exasperating. The system remained silent. Oh, come on. Frustration surged within Yichuan as he reacted to the system's obstinacy. Fine, if you choose not to speak, then I shall abandon this quest. The matter of transcendence can be revisited another time. With that, he prepared to call Zhao Feiyu to ascend. Just then, the system unexpectedly chimed in. The guidance of shrimp soldiers and crab generals is still required. Shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Yichuan was taken aback. Were these not characters from Journey to the West? And yet, here they were. Two humanoid beings leapt forth from the dragon palace, seemingly embodying the very shrimp soldiers and crab generals the system had mentioned. Who approaches? State your name. The shrimp soldier demanded, glaring at Yichuan. Yichuan, here in search of treasure, he replied straightforwardly, presenting the 12th tentacle of the enigmatic octopus. The two guardians gasped in astonishment. You possess the key to activate the dragon palace? Yet we remain uncertain how to unlock it. Yichuan shrugged nonchalantly. Our duty is to escort the one with the activation key into the dragon palace, the crab general stated solemnly. However, there exists another concern. Should you gain entry, the guardian beast within will undoubtedly present a formidable challenge. A guardian beast? Yichuan was taken aback. Yet, considering the sheer scale of the dragon palace, it was reasonable to assume it housed numerous rare treasures, thus a guardian beast would be expected. Without further ado, Yichuan surrendered the 12th tentacle to the shrimp soldier and crab general. The two immediately grasped opposite ends of the tentacle and began to rotate it rapidly. Remarkably, under the influence of the 12th tentacle, a key-like object materialized, colliding with the invisible barrier. In an instant, a flash of white radiance illuminated the surroundings, the barrier dissipated, and a powerful aura surged forth from within the dragon palace, forcefully displacing the surrounding seawater by several meters. The shrimp soldier and crab general gestured invitingly. We wish you luck, poor treasure seekers. With that, they entered the dragon palace, vanishing from sight. Poor treasure seekers? Yichuan pondered the phrase, feeling an unsettling dissonance. Shouldn't it be fortunate treasure seekers? However, the two did not dwell on the matter any longer and promptly entered the sea dragon palace, which seemed to exist in its own realm, devoid of water. Zhao Feiyu finally gasped for air, exclaiming, had I lingered for another minute, I might have suffocated. It is indeed better to be in a place with air. Brother, you look, Yichuan said, his expression grave as he surveyed the surroundings. All around were remnants of walls, with treasures strewn across the ground, suggesting that the place had long been pillaged. Zhao Feiyu, equally bewildered, remarked with a serious tone. It appears someone has been here before us. Could there be other keys to enter besides the 12th tentacle of the enigmatic octopus? Yichuan gazed thoughtfully at the scattered gold and jewels, pondering that they could not have been left behind by the island's lord. Otherwise, such valuables would certainly not remain. Additionally, the shrimp soldiers' and crab general's words wishing good fortune to the unfortunate treasure seekers surely held a different meaning. Let us venture further in and see what we can find, Yichuan whispered, taking measured steps deeper into the sea dragon palace. As they reached the second chamber, a sudden rustling noise caused them to exchange wary glances. Was there someone else in the room? Cautiously, they advanced, intending to catch the intruder off guard. However, the room was cluttered with objects, and in a state of heightened tension, Zhao Feiyu inadvertently brushed against a small bowl, which sent a jarring silence through the air. Moments later, with a resounding crash, the door burst open, revealing a colossal creature, armored from head to toe. Resembling a centipede, it towered nearly 2 meters high, brandishing 2 massive pincers and wielding 2 enormous warhammers, glaring furiously at Yichuan and Zhao Feiyu. Its lengthy tail, exceeding 2 meters, was covered with a myriad of legs, giving it an exceedingly sinister appearance. This creature seems formidable, Zhao Feiyu muttered under his breath. What is this thing? Yichuan immediately inquired of the system. Water-ground pincer dragon, a pseudo-dragon of SSS rank, possessing immense strength and indestructibility. It is wary and suspicious. The system promptly responded, though it did not specify its abilities. Yichuan quickly relayed the information to Zhao Feiyu, and the two of them slightly bowed, preparing for battle. The water-ground pincer dragon, already irritated by their presence, advanced aggressively, swinging its hammers toward them. Zhao Feiyu swiftly dodged while launching an attack, and Yichuan stepped forward, fiercely clashing his long blade against one of the hammers. With a resounding clang, the impact between blade and hammer generated a faint shockwave, prompting Yichuan to evade to the side, finally comprehending the creature's power, which indeed surpassed that of an ordinary SSS-level entity. Thus, Yichuan initiated an offensive from the front, while Zhao Feiyu attacked from the side, the brothers coordinating their efforts to momentarily restrain the water-ground pincer dragon. After a brief skirmish lasting mere seconds, the water-ground claw dragon seemed to grow impatient. With a furious roar, its elongated tail suddenly lashed out towards Zhao Feiyu with astonishing speed and power. Almost as soon as Zhao Feiyu adopted a defensive stance, his entire body was sent flying several meters away, crashing against the surrounding wall and creating a massive dent. Damn it! Zhao Feiyu cursed angrily. This blow felt akin to a ground-to-ground missile striking him, leaving him breathless and on the verge of spitting out blood. Following this strike, the water-ground claw dragon turned its attention to Yichuan, employing the same tactic. As it swung its dual hammers towards Yichuan, it simultaneously unleashed a powerful tail strike aimed at his waist. Bang! A long spear materialized, effectively intercepting the 2 hammers. Immediately afterward, Yichuan summoned an immense gravitational force, refusing to evade and instead charging forcefully into the oncoming tail. In the heat of battle, the water-ground claw dragon believed it could easily eliminate Yichuan with a single blow, intending to deal with the other opponent afterward and effortlessly secure a double kill. However, it was unprepared for Yichuan's speed, which exceeded its expectations. Not only did he withstand the hammer strikes, but he also collided with the tail, creating shockwaves that obliterated everything in the courtyard, even causing the wall that Zhao Feiyu had just dented to finally collapse. Brother, this creature is exceedingly difficult to handle. Zhao Feiyu, having regained his composure, slowly approached Yichuan. Adorned in thick armor, he was impervious to ordinary attacks. I noticed, Yichuan replied, his expression grave. After a moment of contemplation, he spoke decisively. Yugo, you must return immediately and bring Xiao Feilong and Honging down as well. The more allies we have, the greater our strength. I will engage it alone for now. Are you sure you can manage? Zhao Feiyu frowned. Rest assured, I have a plan, Yichuan insisted, firmly pushing Zhao Feiyu away for the time being. Chapter 406, Surrounding the Young Beast. The water-ground claw dragon was perplexed by Yichuan's maneuver. Nevertheless, it charged once more at Yichuan, its legs propelling it forward at speeds exceeding the sound barrier. With his enhanced speed and hearing, Yichuan surpassed the water-ground claw dragon, swiftly dodging its attack. He promptly deployed 3 upgraded large drones equipped with automatic firing systems, which ascended high into the air, their barrels trained on the water-ground claw dragon. Having never encountered such devices, the water-ground claw dragon was momentarily taken aback. The next second, a barrage of bullets rained down upon it. Although these bullets posed little threat to the creature, they momentarily hindered its movements. Meanwhile, Zhao Feiyu had returned to the surface of the sea, where Xiao Feilong and the others rushed to meet him. How did it go? Before them loomed an SSS-class marine creature, its nature uncertain, whether it was a guardian beast or an aggressor, currently engaged in a fierce battle with the Yi brothers. Zhao Feiyu spoke in a grave tone. How could you ascend alone? It is impossible for you to confront an SSS-class marine creature by yourself. Blueberry Jam exclaimed anxiously. What will we do if something happens to you, brother? It was he who urged me to come up for reinforcements. Zhao Feiyu's expression darkened as he quickly clarified. We must have Xia Filong and Honging accompany me down. That creature's defensive capabilities are formidable. The more hands we have, the greater our strength. Very well. Liang Honging nodded in agreement, and without hesitation, they plunged into the water, with Zhao Feiyu guiding them swiftly towards the Sea Dragon Palace. The Waterland Scorpion Dragon, exasperated, hurled two massive hammers at the drones, smashing them to pieces, while another drone was cleaved in two by its powerful tail during a swift maneuver. In that fleeting moment, the forbidden spear transformed into a lance over 10 meters long, crashing down upon the Waterland Scorpion Dragon. As the hammers were flung away and had yet to return, the long spear descended with devastating force. This time, the Waterland Scorpion Dragon found itself unprepared. Its pincers snapped shut, attempting to counter with a colossal swing. However, the immense force of the spear struck down upon it, causing its pincers to droop for the first time as it experienced pain. Enraged, it emitted a piercing shriek, akin to a shockwave directed at Yichuan. The forbidden long spear vanished in an instant, and Yichuan swiftly dodged to the side, his long knife reappearing in his hand as he maneuvered to strike the Waterland Scorpion Dragon once more. Yet this time, the creature clearly discerned Yichuan's attack trajectory and evaded with a quick sidestep, its heavy tail whipping towards him. In a split second, Yichuan abruptly retracted his blade and leaped into the air, utilizing his forward momentum. The forbidden spear elongated again, crashing down towards the creature's head. Caught off guard by Yichuan's cunning maneuver, the Waterland Scorpion Dragon found itself at a disadvantage. Though its body was encased in armor, there was one area left unprotected, its head. Despite being an SSS-class marine creature with formidable defenses, it still felt dizzy and overwhelmed by the immense force of Yichuan's blow. In a frenzy, the Waterland Scorpion Dragon roared in fury, turning to retrieve its great hammer and launching itself at Yichuan. Just then, Xia Filong and Liang Honging arrived, marveling at the grandeur of the palace while witnessing the Waterland Scorpion Dragon charge at Yichuan. Almost simultaneously, they struck, their dual blades colliding with the creature, sending it reeling. Brother, the two rushed to Yichuan's side. Its armor is impenetrable. The only vulnerability lies in its head. Yichuan promptly reminded that shattering its skull would lead to its demise. The four of us shall attack simultaneously, surely overwhelming it. The little dragon whispered, Brother, we shall create distractions while you deliver the fatal blow. We hope for a swift kill. Yichuan nodded in agreement. As he spoke, the Waterland Pincer Dragon resumed its assault. At that moment, Zhao Feiyu and the others launched their attacks, momentarily entangling the Waterland Pincer Dragon. Yichuan remained vigilant outside, seeking an opportunity, and unleashed a barrage of flaming feather arrows, 3 of which pierced through the gaps in its armor, igniting flames and causing the Waterland Pincer Dragon to flail in confusion. System, this creature seems to possess only about 2/3 of the strength of the trickster octopus, perhaps even less. Yichuan remarked gravely. Is it just newly matured? Undeveloped. The system promptly replied. This revelation left Yichuan speechless. For humans bullying a juvenile, what would its parents think if they knew? He couldn't help but chuckle softly before drawing his long knife and joining the fray. With 3 individuals grappling the Waterland Pincer Dragon, Yichuan felt a significant reduction in pressure. As he deftly evaded its attacks, he seized an opportunity when Liang Honging was flung aside by a powerful tail swipe. In a swift motion, he darted behind the Waterland Pincer Dragon and brought his long knife down upon its head. The sheer force combined with the blade's sharpness allowed it to penetrate its skull. However, the Waterland Pincer Dragon's struggle flung Yichuan away, causing it to retreat into a room, leaving an eerie silence. Yichuan executed a somersault midair and landed gracefully, rushing to help Liang Honging up. How do you feel? Not bad, Liang Honging replied with a smile. Fortunately, the blue steel essence reinforced the armor's durability. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to withstand. Why did it retreat into that room? The little dragon inquired, a hint of suspicion in its voice. Could it be its lair? Let us investigate, Yichuan decisively stated. My knife is still lodged in its head. He dashed into the room immediately. Inside, chaos reigned. Ancient tomes were gnawed beyond recognition. Yet, in one corner, A cavern approximately 1 meter in diameter loomed. Its depths shrouded in darkness, concealing all within. Did it flee in here? Zhao Feiyu said solemnly. It's dark and cramped. We can't see anything. The little dragon murmured, apprehensive about entering. Zhao Feiyu nodded and produced several luminescent sticks, snapping one before tossing it into the abyss. Chapter 407. The Pincer Dragon Falls. The Azure Dragon appears. The stick fell for 7 seconds, descending from a height of over 200 meters. Zhao Feiyu calculated silently before speaking. Yichuan glanced down as the luminescent stick plummeted, landing quietly without incident. Yichuan then said, I will descend first. You all follow closely. Hong Ying will remain on guard above. Should any trouble arise, sound the alarm immediately. Understood. Liang Hongying replied, nodding vigorously. At that moment, the three entered the cave in single file. Upon landing, they quickly moved to the side, noticing that there was still some distance ahead, and the further they ventured, the brighter it became, suggesting an absence of danger. The trio remained vigilant, cautiously advancing forward until they traversed approximately 100 meters, arriving at a vast chamber. This immense space spanned around 500 to 600 square meters and stood over 3 meters high, illuminated entirely by luminous pearls and similar treasures. Lying motionless on a yellow stone was the water-earth claw dragon, appearing as if it were lifeless. Could it be that all the treasures from the Sea Dragon Palace have been pilfered by this creature and brought here? The little flying dragon exclaimed in astonishment. It certainly appears so, Yichuan concurred, acknowledging that although this being was merely a pseudo-dragon, it could not escape its draconic nature, which inherently inclined it to hoard such sparkling items and treasures. System, could the secret of the transformation be concealed within this place? Yichuan quietly inquired of the system, which remained unresponsive. He chose not to press further, intending instead to collect everything in this chamber into the system's inventory before gradually exploring the area. However, the water-earth claw dragon suddenly stirred. In that instant, it resembled a frenzied beast, recklessly charging at Yichuan, disregarding the pain inflicted by the long blade around its neck. In that moment, its heavy tail crashed once more into Yichuan. As if it were struggling in its final throes, the force of its attack intensified by a third, producing a violent sound as it tore through the air. One does not shed tears until faced with a coffin. Yichuan sighed, summoning the forbidden spear. One end plunged into the ground while the other elongated, driving deep into the ceiling, resembling a pillar bracing against the water-earth claw dragon. With a resounding crash, the heavy tail collided forcefully with the forbidden spear, causing it to shift nearly 2 meters to the side, and the entire ceiling began to tremble gently, as if on the verge of collapse. Yichuan's figure flickered and vanished in an instant. He then strode forward, seizing the long blade with all his strength, and with a mighty roar, his body twisted in midair, finally liberating the blade from the creature's head. With a thud, the water-earth claw dragon's head detached from its neck, and it stumbled forward a few steps before collapsing to the ground, lifeless. Yichuan then gestured grandly, transferring all treasures into the system's inventory, and with a swift motion, plunged the long blade into the creature's abdomen, extracting the yellow inner core with precision. Let us return. After surveying the surroundings and finding nothing else of interest, the three finally ascended to the surface. What happened? Liang Hongying immediately approached to inquire. The fellow below has gathered quite an assortment of treasures. No wonder the Sea Dragon Palace lies in ruins. It has all been wreaked by him. The little flying dragon responded directly. Wasn't it said that a guardian beast resided here? Logically, it should not have been reduced to this state. Zhao Feiyu expressed his doubts, pondering whether the guardian beast had been slain by this individual, leaving it to usurp its domain. Let us disperse and search around. In the end, Yichuan whispered. The four immediately separated, each venturing into a different alcove. The gold and silver treasures had dwindled significantly. The chambers were filled with destroyed tomes and various weapons. However, upon entering the final alcove, Yichuan discovered a rather ancient room, emanating an aura of intimidation, as if it concealed some terrifying, higher-level creature. Could it be a guardian beast, an entity of Ultra S rank? After all, even the mightiest SSS-class creature could hardly pose a threat to him. He had intended to inquire of the system, but sensing its rather haughty demeanor, he felt that asking would be futile. Since he had come this far, not venturing inside would surely be a considerable regret. Taking a deep breath, Yichuan gripped his long knife tightly and cautiously approached the door. Upon opening it, he beheld a coiled azure dragon resting in the center of the room, its terrifying aura emanating from its very being. Is it dead? The incessant emanation of its oppressive force had filled the chamber with a palpable dread. Yet upon entering, everything felt significantly less intense. and the azure dragon displayed no signs of life. Surely, it could not have been slain by that water-earth scorpion dragon, could it? As he considered this, Yichuan reached out to touch the dragon, which quickly shriveled, ultimately leaving only its skin behind. A dragon shedding? It is said that when a flood dragon undergoes its final metamorphosis, it breaks free from its shackles, akin to a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis to achieve the form of a true dragon. Could it be that this was once a flood dragon that transformed into a true dragon before departing the Sea Dragon Palace? System: what level of creature does a flood dragon become after its transformation into a true dragon? Yichuan inquired with curiosity. Forbidden level, the system replied tersely. This revelation left Yichuan bewildered. He had not anticipated the existence of a forbidden level beyond Ultra S rank. Such beings would certainly not willingly remain in the Forbidden Sea, but would seek to venture into the realms of life's taboos, thus abandoning the Sea Dragon Palace to the Water-Earth Scorpion Dragon. It was precisely because this azure dragon was concealed within this chamber that its fearsome presence had deterred the Water-Earth Scorpion Dragon from entering. Hence, the rows of shelves remained impeccably intact, making it the only undamaged room in the entire Sea Dragon Palace. Contemplating this, Yichuan turned his gaze to the shelves, all of which held small boxes. However, upon opening each one, he found them empty, yet they still bore a faint lingering fragrance, suggesting they had once contained something. Had the azure dragon consumed whatever was inside during its transformation? Continuing forward in search, I meticulously examined more than a dozen shelves. Upon reaching the final shelf, I discovered only a neatly folded thin piece of paper, seemingly crafted from the hide of a creature of SSS rank. Additionally, there lay a small, unopened box inscribed with 3 characters, Ruhua Dan. This was the secret of Ruhua. Consuming this pill would allow one to attain the realm of Ruhua. Yichuan murmured in excitement. Chapter 408. The existence of Super S rank, a taboo level being. You are overthinking it, the system interjected suddenly. Isn't this already the Ruhua Dan? And you still suggest I am overthinking? Yichuan exclaimed in disbelief. Could it be that this Ruhua Dan is counterfeit? The Ruhua Dan indeed facilitates entry into the second realm, but it is merely one of the prerequisites, the system elucidated. In addition to the Ruhua Dan, one requires the waters from the fountain of immortality and the fountain of the firmament. Only by consuming them simultaneously can one smoothly transition into the second realm. Such a hassle, Yichuan exclaimed loudly. Nevertheless, whether it be the fountain of immortality or the fountain of the firmament, both were essential for him to acquire next. Thus, he merely needed to proceed step by step to complete the tasks and collect the 2 types of waters, which would surely lead to a successful attainment of Ruhua. With this thought, Yichuan could not help but smile. Moreover, he directed his gaze towards the paper beside him. Upon unfolding it, he was astonished to find a treasure map, and judging by the route, it pointed directly to the forbidden zone of life, with the destination being the Sea Dragon Palace. This fellow, perhaps this is not just a treasure map, but rather his blueprint. Yichuan contemplated before speaking. He intends to venture into the forbidden zone of life, and then create another Sea Dragon Palace from there. If that were the case, he must have taken the majority of the treasures from the Sea Dragon Palace, leaving only a scant few behind. The more Yichuan pondered, the more plausible it seemed. Although the treasures acquired by the Water-Earth Claw Dragon were plentiful, if it had achieved the status of a taboo-level marine creature, then even if it was not a Super S-rank creature before, it must have been a top-tier SSS rank marine being. Moreover, considering their fondness for glittering treasures, it was certain that there would be far more than what remained. Bro. At that moment, the 3 little flying dragons approached, their expressions drastically changing upon seeing the dragon's skin. Holy cow, this is a Qinglong. Only the shell remains. Yichuan spoke solemnly. It must have once been a powerful flood dragon, which later transformed into a true dragon and departed. What about the pills inside? Glancing around, they found no pills within any of the boxes, leaving the 3 bewildered. They could hardly believe that Yichuan had taken them, for it was inconceivable that he could have extracted only the pills in such a short time without also taking the boxes. It would have been more plausible to take both together. They were likely consumed during its breakthrough. Yichuan shrugged. With so many boxes, only a single Ruhua Dan was left behind, along with this piece of paper. As he spoke, he tossed the blueprint to Zhao Feiyu. The trio stared in astonishment once more. Another Sea Dragon Palace? The treasures within this palace were scarce. I surmised that the Azure Dragon had transported them all to the new Sea Dragon Palace. Yichuan speculated, noting that this Azure Dragon had ventured into the forbidden zone of the Sea Dragon Palace. I believe we should abandon this pursuit. Huh. The little flying dragon was taken aback and asked with skepticism, why, brother? Since we possess this treasure map, we will inevitably enter the Forbidden Zone in the future. And at that time, we can simply seize this Sea Dragon Palace. This Azure Dragon is a forbidden-level marine creature. Yi Chuan shot a disapproving glance at the little flying dragon. Do you comprehend the implications of that statement? In that instant, the three inhaled sharply. They had yet to grasp the nature of SSS-level marine creatures, let alone that of the legendary forbidden-level entities, which could indeed command the elements and reshape the landscape itself. Let us set it aside for now. What will happen later remains uncertain. Zhao Feiyu finally spoke up. You will soon attain transformation. In the future, eliminating forbidden-level marine creatures may very well become a trivial endeavor. I am exceedingly eager for that. Yi Chuan erupted into hearty laughter. Subsequently, the trio confirmed that there was nothing of value within the Sea Dragon Palace before departing. The shrimp and crab soldiers had been watching from the sidelines, and upon witnessing the four emerge unscathed, they were taken aback. What? You actually returned alive? Is there a problem? The little flying dragon retorted, then paused in disbelief. I can actually converse with shrimp and crabs. We are shrimp and crab soldiers, not mere shrimp. One of the shrimp soldiers glared at the little flying dragon before continuing. The water-claw dragon has not troubled you? It has already claimed dominion over this area. We eliminated it, Zhao Feiyu stated with remarkable composure. What? The crab general was so astonished that his jaw nearly dropped, exclaiming incredulously, You actually dared to slay it? Do you comprehend the nature of the water-claw dragon? The shrimp soldier stammered in disbelief. I do not. The little flying dragon looked quizzically at the others. That creature intended to slay us. It seems entirely reasonable that we would turn the tables and eliminate it. Why the alarm? Have you not pondered why the guardian beast of the Sea Dragon Palace is absent, and how it dared to seize the Sea Dragon King's palace? The shrimp soldier continued to inquire. Buddy, when we arrived, you mentioned that the guardian beast would present us with a spectacle, yet we have not encountered it at all. Zhao Feiyu countered. Is there truly a guardian beast? The Sea Dragon King is the most formidable entity within the entire Forbidden Sea, a paragon among Super S-level marine creatures. The crab general finally composed himself and explained, after it transformed into a true dragon, it dispatched a top-tier SSS-level marine creature to guard the Sea Dragon Palace. While we merely serve as gatekeepers, albeit as super existences among the SS-level beings. However, shortly after the departure of the Dragon King, a terrifying entity utilized its extraordinary abilities to breach the protective barrier, slaying the guardian beast and transforming the water-earth pincer dragon into the new protector. Astonishment befell the group. This water-earth pincer dragon was both an invader and a guardian beast, indeed a case of the occupier usurping the nest. Yet, Yi Chuan suddenly gasped, whispering, Might the terrifying entity you speak of be the parents of the water-earth pincer dragon? Indeed, it is the father of the water-earth pincer dragon, a creature of Super S rank. The shrimp soldier replied with irritation. You have slain its offspring. And once it learns of this, it will wreak havoc upon the entire Forbidden Sea and will undoubtedly seek your demise. Oh my goodness. The little dragon quivered in shock, his eyes wide with disbelief. Chapter 409. Return to the Forbidden Sea, Justice or Familial Betrayal. The water-earth pincer dragon was indeed a juvenile. Each one nodded slightly, estimating it to be in its developmental phase. The trio fell silent. The four of them had expended great effort to defeat a mere juvenile, were the father to arrive. They would surely meet a swift end. Brother, the little dragon glanced at Yi Chuan. Let fate decide. Even if the father discovers his son's death, he will only learn of it upon entering the Dragon Palace. Yi Chuan maintained a less serious demeanor, turning to the shrimp soldier and crab general. However, I strongly advise you to seek refuge in the life-forbidden zone with the Azure Dragon. Otherwise, when he arrives, you shall find no escape from the consequences. Indeed. Even if we do not venture to the life-forbidden zone, we cannot remain here any longer. The shrimp soldier nodded vigorously. It is too terrifying. We do not wish to be obliterated. All right, we must take our leave. This place is soon to be leveled to the ground. You should be on your way. With that, Yi Chuan and the others exited the Dragon Palace, hastening towards the ocean surface, ultimately returning to Turtle Island. The little dragon and his companions finally exhaled in relief, yet lay still on the beach, appearing rather despondent. I say, why so glum? Yi Chuan chuckled. Do you not know that turtles are also of Super S rank? Huh. The little dragon was taken aback. While they were aware of the turtle's formidable strength, they were unaware of just how formidable it truly was. Upon hearing Super S rank, they were indeed startled. It is merely in a developmental phase. Yet it can certainly contend with typical SSS rank creatures, each one remarked with a smile. Once we level up a few more times, I suspect we shall be able to face Super S rank beings with ease. especially with our combined efforts. That's true. We have been consistently improving. The little dragon nodded thoughtfully. Taking a deep breath, he solemnly declared, even if it is Super S rank, we are not without the ability to fight back. Let them come. Now that's the spirit. Seeing the little dragon regain his confidence, Yichuan smiled. On the island, the three had long been awaiting their return. Blueberry Jam immediately approached, grinning as he inquired, brother, has that SSS rank marine creature been slain? Of course. Yichuan shrugged, remarking that this treasure hunt had come to a satisfactory conclusion, albeit with minimal findings, as most had been whisked away by the Sea Dragon King into the Forbidden Zone. So, have you uncovered the secret of the transformation? Blueberry Jam inquired further. It's rather complicated. We still require the eternal spring water from the treasure of Moonlight Tears, as well as the celestial spring from the dwarves. Yichuan replied, indeed, achieving the second realm of humanity is a lengthy and arduous journey. Such a hassle? Zhao Feiyu frowned, pondering how the island lords had undergone their transformations without accessing the Moonlight Tears and the eternal spring. Perhaps there are multiple pathways to transformation, Yichuan suggested, shaking his head. In any case, the clues I have gathered point in this direction. We must deliberate further on this matter. At present, we need to obliterate the Sea Dragon Palace from the seabed, ensuring there are no remnants of its existence. Otherwise, should that colossal entity discover our traces upon its arrival, the repercussions would be dire. With that, Yichuan produced 2 large submarines, assigning Xiao Feilong and Zhao Feiyu, as well as Lu Shuai and Liang Hongying, into separate teams to descend into the depths. They launched 10 torpedoes and 10 missiles towards the Sea Dragon Palace. In an instant, the ocean floor erupted with terrifying explosions, sending shockwaves that rippled across the surface, causing it to convulse violently. After approximately 10 minutes, they regrouped on their small vessel, retracing their steps back to the Forbidden Sea. Upon their return to Turtle Island, they were greeted by the piercing alarm of the super radar. The group gathered to inspect the situation, their expressions tightening as they noted a warship had just crossed the 1,000 nautical mile alert line and was rapidly approaching Turtle Island. I saw a message in the public chat room last night about a super battleship heading our way. Could it be this one? Xiao Feilong spoke in a low tone, incredulous at the audacity of this newcomer to venture so far to confront them. Why do I have the feeling they are targeting the Sea Dragon Palace? Yichuan said with a knowing smile. This remark caused Zhao Feiyu's expression to shift, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Brother, you don't think this is my second uncle sending someone, do you? It's merely speculation, as he is the only one aware of our location and possesses the capability. Yichuan analyzed. Considering that we have subdued several powerful factions in the Outer Sea, who else would dare enter the Forbidden Sea? Especially since you mentioned not having encountered the 12th tentacle of the Cunning-Hand octopus. I suspect he wouldn't believe it either. Zhao Feiyu fell silent. Just as Yichuan had surmised, he understood that Zhao Taifeng would harbor suspicions regarding this matter, for no matter how one viewed it, his own explanations lacked credibility. Brother Yu, I wonder if this is a case of your betrayal of the military or the military's betrayal of you. Xiao Feilong remarked helplessly from the sidelines. My second uncle does not represent the military. He acts on his own accord. Zhao Feiyu replied with a slight shake of his head, his tone solemn. He is undertaking this venture without the knowledge of the Grand Commander, leading troops here privately. Thus, even if we sink that super battleship, it would be of little consequence. Yichuan was taken aback. He never anticipated that Zhao Feiyu would utter such words. This was tantamount to a righteous act against Qin. As a member of the military, he was aware of the existence of a super battleship, yet this vessel was not documented, implying it did not belong to the arsenal of the military system. Zhao Feiyu elucidated that his uncle would only deploy this super battleship for clandestine operations, such as the earlier incident of seizing the merfolk's homeland. However, he had not foreseen that the merfolk were aware of his involvement and had been plotting revenge ever since. So, we can indeed sink this super battleship. Little Feilong exclaimed, grinning. However, let us ensure that we only sink the ship and spare lives. That way, it won't be deemed unreasonable by Brother Yu. Zhao Feiyu nodded in agreement. As a representative of the military in the oceanic realm, Zhao Tiexin was often relentless in pursuing his objectives. His entrance into the oceanic world was part of the Supreme Leader's plan to cultivate a second Zhao Tiexin. When one attains a certain height and power, the potential for loss of control invariably arises. Thus, a reasonable counterstrike was one of the methods to pull him back from the brink of danger. This occasion presented a splendid opportunity. In Chapter 410, Zhao Tiexin was engulfed in dread, the battleship immense and elongated. At that moment, the group conspired on a strategy to obliterate the super battleship while ensuring no harm came to its crew. Yichuan retracted Turtle Island and released the ultimate battleship, promptly preparing the weaponry and patiently awaiting the adversary's arrival. During this interval, he retrieved all the items from the Dragon Palace, including the transformation elixir and treasure maps, and began organizing them. He distributed a portion of the valuable items to several family members, while the remainder, aside from the useful ones, was entrusted to Little Phylon for sale. By noon, after lunch, the super battleship was less than 100 nautical miles away from the ultimate battleship. Yi Chuan then issued the command to commence the attack. In an instant, a barrage of ground-to-ground missiles was unleashed, targeting the super battleship with a carpet-bombing approach. On the bridge, witnessing the enemy's initial assault, Zhao Tiexin could not help but smirk coldly. Activate the long-range and close-range cannons, and retaliate simultaneously. Let them experience the overwhelming might of the super battleship. Yes, the crew shouted in unison, promptly executing the orders. Soon, numerous ground-to-ground missiles dispersed their warheads, accurately hurtling towards the super battleship, skillfully evading both long-range and close-range defenses. Despite the super battleship's dense barrage, several warheads struck it fiercely, causing the vessel to sway. Although the damage was not catastrophic, Zhao Tiexin's expression shifted. What is happening? Island Master, the enemy's assault is nearly impossible to counter. Even with our defensive measures in place, some have slipped through our net. The deputy immediately explained that although their warheads were not large, each tiny warhead possessed the power equivalent to that of a conventional missile. It seemed that Fei Yu's companion was indeed formidable. Zhao Taifeng couldn't help but scoff. Did they really believe they could triumph over an SSS-level oceanic creature and become invincible? It was essential to make him aware that there are always greater forces beyond human comprehension. Indeed, the deputy whispered fervently. However, during this encounter, 3 waves of ground-to-ground attacks erupted, causing slight damage to the super battleship's hull, though the impact was negligible. The super battleship itself launched 3 waves of counterattacks, and Zhao Taifeng conservatively estimated that the enemy's vessel must have sustained some damage as well. Once they closed the distance, utilizing their ultimate weapon would undoubtedly lead to the enemy's downfall. At that point, it would be a simple task for his subordinates to seize the 12th tentacle of the enigmatic octopus. This was a contest of strength, requiring no intricate strategies. Yet, when Zhao Taifeng beheld the intact ultimate battleship looming just beyond the sea, he couldn't suppress a gasp of astonishment. Damn it, that vessel is at least 50% larger than our super battleship. Island Master, I recommend we retreat immediately, the deputy urged with difficulty. We may not stand a chance against such a colossal adversary. If we withdraw now, we can still preserve our battleship. Activate the ultimate weapon, Zhao Taifeng coldly commanded, fixing his gaze upon the front. Island Master, the deputy was taken aback. Even though this battleship is larger, we are not to be underestimated. Zhao Taifeng replied sternly. We have fought in countless battles, and with the ultimate weapon in our possession, we have remained unconquered. If we can seize their ship, our strength will multiply. But Fei Yu, everything we do is for our country. The deputy hesitated further, prompting Zhao Taifeng to roar in anger, compelling him to take immediate action. What are they planning? Why have they ceased all movement? Yi Chuan inquired with a smile, noticing the super battleship's stillness. Are they concocting some grand maneuver? Little Phylon speculated, promptly aiming the super laser cannon at the position of the super battleship, prepared to unleash it if they indeed had a powerful scheme in mind. Moments later, a brilliant white beam erupted from the super battleship, striking fiercely towards the ultimate battleship. After all that, they were merely employing a laser cannon like ours. Little Phylon was momentarily speechless at the sight and quickly aligned his laser cannon to counter the incoming beam. Within seconds, the 2 beams collided midair, effectively nullifying the laser from the super battleship. Moreover, the super laser cannon on the ultimate battleship had been enhanced with weapon amplification cards, allowing it to surge forward after neutralizing the beam, ultimately obliterating the enemy's laser cannon into fragments. How is this possible? Zhao Taifeng exclaimed in disbelief, striking a nearby surface in frustration, unable to accept this reality. His super laser cannon, acquired after great effort, had previously allowed him to triumph over numerous island masters and even penetrate the weapons of the merfolk. He had believed that such an invincible laser cannon was exceedingly rare. Yet to his astonishment, the opposing novice island master also possessed one, and it was even more formidable than his own. Had he merely heard of this, he would have dismissed it as a fanciful tale, but now that it had unfolded before him, he was compelled to respond. Continue the attack. Ensure the destruction of that super battleship, Yi Chuan commanded, a smirk gracing his lips. Understood. Little Flying Dragon chuckled heartily, and Liang Hongying along with the others swiftly commenced their operations. Within mere seconds, All weapons were trained on the super battleship, initiating the assault. Block it. Hold them off. In that instant, Zhao Taifeng bellowed in desperation. The crew scrambled into action, activating all defenses while simultaneously unleashing their offensive capabilities. However, against the terrifying assault from the ultimate battleship, it took only moments for their defensive systems to fail, leaving them vulnerable to the onslaught. Zhao Tiefeng's despair deepened as he realized that none of their attacks inflicted any damage upon the ultimate battleship. This is outrageous. Brother, they are incapacitated. Let us approach and teach them a lesson. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed with glee, gesturing animatedly. Yugo, you must refrain from joining this time. Yichuan interjected promptly. Rest assured, none of the individuals aboard will perish. We shall subdue them until they are compliant. Yet, ultimately, we will require your presence. Troublesome indeed, Zhao Feiyu sighed, taking a deep breath and nodding at the others. Consequently, Yichuan, Little Flying Dragon, and Liang Hongying each mounted their flying creatures. Ultimately standing upon the deck of the super battleship, Little Flying Dragon could not restrain his fury, roaring, "All aboard the battleship, how dare you attack ours? Come forth and meet your demise." Chapter 411. Zhao Tiefeng's plea for help, his final request. His voice reverberated throughout the super battleship, and within 3 minutes, a throng of over 200 individuals surged forth, encircling the trio. Zhao Taifeng and his deputy then emerged slowly, casting a cold glare at Little Flying Dragon. "You insolent wretch, while remote attacks on the battleship may be tolerated, how dare you brazenly come aboard my vessel to provoke me? Do you truly hold me in such disdain? Who do you think you are? Why should I regard you at all?" Little Flying Dragon retorted, gazing at Zhao Taifeng as if he were a fool. "Today, I am in a foul mood, and I shall take it out on you lot. All of you, rush forward and meet your end," he commanded, inciting Zhao Tiefeng's face to contort with fury. After over 30 years of military service, it was the first time someone dared to speak to him in such a manner, and he could no longer suppress the anger boiling within him. "Eliminate them," he roared. In the next moment, a multitude of individuals brandished various firearms, aiming at the trio and pulling the triggers. The proximity of the trio was startling, and everything unfolded so unexpectedly. Fortunately, the battle armor was donned in an instant. Despite the formidable power of the gunfire, it proved utterly ineffective against the group. Even Yichuan remained motionless, merely watching as bullets struck him without consequence. Xiao Feilong laughed heartily and sprang into action. Although he wielded no weapon, his terrifying strength sent soldiers flying one after another. These soldiers, well trained and formidable against ordinary foes, were rendered mere lambs before a predator like Xiao Feilong, who could almost single-handedly contend with SS-class marine creatures. There was no need for the other two to intervene. Xiao Feilong could easily take on the 200 or so men alone. Zhao Taifeng and his aide wore expressions of ire, and after a thunderous shout, Zhao Taifeng charged forward, his aide following closely behind. Liang Hongying swayed slightly, drawing her long knife to confront Zhao Taifeng, while the aide brandished a military saber to block Xiao Feilong. Zhao Tiefeng's combat prowess was likely derived from consuming 100 LS level freshwater. Although he had yet to reach Liang Hongying's formidable level, he was still an invincible presence in most circumstances, easily capable of challenging an S-class marine creature. His aide, presumed to have consumed 50 LS level freshwater, displayed some semblance of skill, yet he was still far outmatched by Xiao Feilong. In less than 30 seconds, Xiao Feilong had sent the aide hurtling away with his overwhelming strength, causing him to crash against the bridge's exterior, where he coughed up blood and remained prostrate on the ground, unable to rise. Despite Zhao Tiefeng's confidence in his own abilities, he felt a flicker of fear in that moment. This was the first time during his years of dominance in the marine realm that he felt such trepidation. How could a novice island master, having only entered the marine world for a mere 4 months, become so powerful in such a short span, especially while donning such extraordinary battle armor? What had transformed these individuals into such formidable beings? Initially, he was no match for Liang Hongying, and now, caught in a moment of distraction, he was struck repeatedly by her, the blows causing his blood to surge, forcing him to swallow back the taste of copper rising in his throat. A profound sense of helplessness washed over him as he faced the looming specter of death for the first time. In that instant, Liang Hongying approached him slowly, a cold smirk gracing her lips as she declared, "Eliminating you will conclude this battle." "Wait." Zhao Taifeng immediately raised his hand, calling out, "Do you have any final words?" Xiao Feilong had already positioned his long knife at Zhao Tiefeng's throat, inquiring with a mocking smile. "I am your friend, Zhao Feiyu's uncle, Zhao Taifeng." Zhao Tiefeng's tightly clenched fists finally relaxed as he uttered these words. Even as he spoke, He could scarcely believe he had capitulated, resorting to his nephew's name in a desperate plea for survival. Little Flying Dragon burst into laughter, mockingly exclaiming, "Do you think we are all fools? Zhao Taifeng is the most formidable island master of the military, representing the nation, not like you bandits attacking us common folk with your super battleships. Indeed, I am Zhao Taifeng." He sighed and handed over his identification to Little Flying Dragon. This took Little Flying Dragon aback, and he regarded Zhao Taifeng with some suspicion. Yet I can't shake the feeling that this identification might not be genuine. To ascertain its authenticity, let us call you Go. At this moment, Yichuan finally spoke up. "Brother, you actually believe him?" Little Flying Dragon looked at Yichuan in disbelief before pulling out his phone. "I'll call you Go right now." Meanwhile, Zhao Taifeng began to take Yichuan seriously. Initially, he assumed Little Flying Dragon was the leader of this group, but since Little Flying Dragon referred to Yichuan as brother, it implied that Yichuan was the actual leader. Although he had not taken action, his ability to withstand bullets without any aid and command these formidable experts attested to the terrifying strength of this individual. After the call, a sound echoed, and Zhao Feiyu descended from the sky riding the wind god pterosaur. Upon seeing Zhao Taifeng, Zhao Feiyu could hardly believe his eyes. "Second uncle, is it really you?" "Feiyu." Zhao Taifeng sighed inwardly, feeling utterly embarrassed. Who would have thought that their reunion would find him in such a predicament? After the initial excitement, Zhao Feiyu wore a look of deep sorrow. "Second uncle, I truly cannot believe this. Why would you abandon your role as a maritime commander to engage in acts of piracy? Can you truly justify this to our nation?" "Feiyu, I think you are mistaken." Zhao Taifeng felt awkward. How could he explain? Admitting that he had deliberately disguised himself as a pirate to rob them would be absurd. The crux of the matter was that he genuinely had no way to clarify. Shaking his head as he said, "In truth, it's all because of the 12th tentacle of the octopus of deception. Here, you won't need this." Yichuan said indifferently. The 12th tentacle of the octopus of deception is the key to the Sea Dragon Palace, which no longer exists. Upon hearing this, Zhao Taifeng's expression changed dramatically, looking at Yichuan in disbelief. "What do you mean by that? We have already explored the Sea Dragon Palace and taken what we needed. However, we have offended an Ultra S-class marine creature because of this, so we destroyed the Sea Dragon Palace in hopes that it will take a while to find us." Zhao Feiyu explained. "Does that mean you have uncovered the secret of transformation?" Zhao Taifeng squinted his eyes, eagerly inquiring. "Naturally." Yichuan shrugged. "That's wonderful." Zhao Taifeng's expression shifted, and he nodded vigorously. "Young man, I hope you will submit the secret of transformation to the nation." Chapter 412. Patriotism should not be a moral coercion. Have you lost your senses? After all the hard work we put into defeating SSS-class marine creatures, we would just hand over the fruits of our labor to the nation, only to be pursued by Ultra S-class marine beings? The young dragon gazed at Zhao Taifeng with an expression of incredulity. "I ask you on what grounds? Just because you are a part of Jiuzhou?" Zhao Taifeng replied with utmost seriousness, "As children of Jiuzhou, is it not our duty to contribute to our homeland? Then allow me to inquire. What purpose does the secret of entering transformation serve?" Yichuan asked nonchalantly. "Of course, it is to cultivate masters of transformation for the nation," Zhao Taifeng asserted without hesitation. "And how many masters of reflection does the Jiuzhou military currently possess?" Yichuan pressed further. "None at the moment, but we will have some soon." Zhao Taifeng responded in a grave tone. "My elder brother is already a master of reflection. With the secret of transformation, he will soon achieve it." The young dragon interjected. "For you, it's impossible to attain transformation in 10 or even 8 years. Why should my brother grant you the opportunity for transformation? On what basis? You are actually a master of reflection." Zhao Taifeng exclaimed in disbelief as he looked at Yichuan. "I strongly hope you will join the Jiuzhou military and contribute to our nation. 500 million is merely the price for a mineral resource. Have I not contributed to the nation?" Yichuan retorted disdainfully. "I apologize, but I have always lived freely like a wandering cloud, unaccustomed to constraints. Moreover, I dislike using the military's name while secretly engaging in acts of plunder. If our strength were not superior to your formidable warships, you might have killed us, and your ships would have been seized. After all, despite your claims of representing the military, there was not a hint of military decorum in your demeanor just now." Zhao Taifeng furrowed his brow. "Uncle, as soldiers, we should act with integrity. Your behavior truly disappoints me." Zhao Feiyu remarked sternly. "I will discuss this matter with my father, and I hope you will conduct yourself accordingly." "Feiyu." Zhao Tiefeng's expression shifted again. "Enough of unnecessary words." Yichuan waved his hand. "As people of Jiuzhou, we all cherish our nation, but I hope you remember not to wield patriotism as a tool for moral coercion. You do not represent the nation, nor would it condone such tactics to impose upon others. With that, Yichuan gestured dismissively, and Zhao Feiyu followed suit towards Zhao Taifeng. The four mounted their flying creatures and turned towards the ultimate warship. Island Master. At that moment, the deputy limped forward, seemingly intent on saying something, but was interrupted by Zhao Taifeng. The actions he was currently engaged in were indeed unsavory, and the Supreme Commander was unaware. If this matter were to reach Zhao Taizhan, his elder brother, he would undoubtedly face consequences. This required careful consideration moving forward. Brother, thank you. Upon returning to the ultimate warship, Zhao Feiyu sincerely addressed Yichuan. We're all brothers, why mention it? Yichuan replied with a smile. However, brother Yu, Zhao Taifeng is, after all, the commander of the military at sea. Though our words carry some weight, it feels rather precarious. Let us give him this treasure map from the outer seas and allow them to seek treasure there. It will serve as our contribution to the nation. Brother. Upon gazing at the treasure map, Zhao Feiyu was rendered speechless with excitement. Yichuan, possessing not only exceptional leadership qualities but also profound wisdom, exhibited clarity in the face of significant moral dilemmas. Though not a figure of grand ambition, he undoubtedly embodied the essence of a hero. Zhao Feiyu immediately saluted Yichuan, expressing his gratitude. On behalf of our nation, I thank you. Yichuan replied. What do you thank me for? As fellow citizens of Jiuzhou, contributing to our homeland is but our duty. He waved his hand dismissively. Let us not dwell on such matters. We must proceed to the location of the tier of the moon treasure. You should consult with your second uncle. Understood. Zhao Feiyu inhaled deeply and nodded earnestly. Gradually distancing themselves from the super battleship, the group returned to Turtle Island. At that moment, the sun dipped below the horizon, and twilight enveloped the land. Zhang Haixia called Yichuan, informing him that 500 billion had secured 3,000 tons of high-alum explosives, while the remaining 2,000 tons would take approximately 7 days to arrive. She intended to deliver the initial 3,000 tons to Yichuan. After some contemplation, Yichuan decided to accept the explosives promptly to avoid any unforeseen delays, knowing they could be safely stored in the system's inventory. Thus, the two promptly finalized their transaction. After chatting for a while longer, they ended the call. On Saturday, dinner was prepared, featuring grilled octopus, tomato beef brisket, and a small bowl of snake soup for each person, which was devoured with great enthusiasm. The gathering continued until midnight, when everyone dispersed. After washing up, Yichuan glanced at the public chat room, where discussions revolved around a treasure location, presumably off the coast. Is it true that the Jiuzhou Island Lord has clashed with the Western Island Lord? Indeed, this Island Lord belongs to a prestigious family, but the opposing party is formidable as well. Both sides have commenced preparations for a confrontation. It remains to be seen which family prevails. Nevertheless, I feel that our Jiuzhou Island Lord should extend assistance, as this is an external matter, not an internal one, correct? It is indeed prudent to aid Jiuzhou, but if the other party lacks allies, our intervention could be problematic. Perhaps we should observe for now. Yichuan shook his head slightly. Matters of domestic concern were manageable, but those involving two nations could prove complicated. Nonetheless, this issue did not directly concern him, as it was a matter for the two families to resolve. Time for sleep. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? The next morning, the system's voice resonated as expected. Check in. Yichuan stretched and strolled outside. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 4,000 evolution points and an island propulsion device. The system's voice accompanied this announcement. Yichuan smacked his forehead, realizing he had forgotten to utilize the island propulsion device, especially after having mentioned the need for acceleration towards the tier of the moon treasure. Oh no, the turtle's speed has increased again. At this moment, the little flying dragon emerged from the villa, watching the rejuvenated speed of Turtle Island with excitement. The speed has doubled once again. By this time tomorrow, we shall nearly reach the treasure site of the moon's tier, Yichuan remarked with a smile. At this velocity, we have nearly reached the limits of speed. Chapter 413, SSS-class aerial creature, the Great Eagle. Awesome! Exclaimed Xiao Feilong, snapping his fingers in excitement. As someone who cannot remain idle, a continuous journey is the ultimate sanctuary. Accompanying Yichuan in battles and adventures, seeking treasures while earning a substantial sum for his family. This is undoubtedly the endeavor Xiao Feilong cherishes the most. Upon the mention of finances, Xiao Feilong suddenly recollected and immediately stated, Brother, that batch of antiques was sold last night at an auction. After deducting the fees, there remains approximately 14 billion. I will have my mother transfer it directly to your account. Transfer 10 billion to my account. The remainder you can divide among Hongying, Lu Shuai, and Yu Go. Yichuan promptly replied. Huh. Xiao Feilong was momentarily taken aback, Yet he hesitated and asked, "What about blueberry and jam?" "No need to send anything to jam. As for Lu Yi, give her a portion from the remaining 4 billion. Yichuan considered before responding. Immediately, Xiao Feilong dashed off to handle the transaction. The Turtle Island continued to surge ahead swiftly. By afternoon, a sudden tempest arose, darkening the sky, indicating the possibility of rain. Lu Yiwei stood and gazed into the distance, her expression turning serious. "This wind appears rather ominous, and it is directly ahead of us, rather than from the sides or behind. Could it be that our visitors harbor ill intentions?" Blueberry Jam curiously inquired. "Is it possible that the wind has a level as well? Have you not considered that this wind may be generated by a creature of a certain rank?" Lu Yiwei replied, reminiscent of the previous encounter with the golden armored tortoise, which had also conjured a massive vortex. "Surely, we can't be so unfortunate as to only encounter calamities," Blueberry Jam scoffed. "Let us not forget that we are in the Forbidden Sea, where dangers lurk at every turn. We must remain vigilant against any threat." Liang Hongying cautioned quietly as she stepped forward. "We are still a mile away from that tempest, and we must exercise caution." Yichuan soon heard the sounds of furious roars, as if two creatures were engaged in combat. Just as he intended to mention this, a piercing scream echoed through the air. A colossal bird plummeted from the sky, crashing heavily onto the ocean's surface, evidently gravely injured and devoid of resistance. As it barely touched the water, it was violently swept back into the sky. The terrifying wind began to rip apart the surroundings, and an SSS-class aerial creature was horrifically dismembered. In that instant, the expressions of the few on the island shifted dramatically. None had anticipated such a turn of events. Moreover, within mere seconds, several more SSS-class aerial creatures were shredded, helplessly falling into the sea, becoming prey for the lurking giant-toothed sharks beneath the waves. "My word, what a terrifying aerial creature!" Xiao Feilong exclaimed in astonishment. "It must surely be at least SSS class. Let us ascertain that," Yichuan declared. "Lu Yi Jam, you two head to the mountaintop and utilize the cannons and crossbows. Lu Shuai, you shall employ the surface-to-air missiles." "Understood." The three individuals nodded and immediately set off to execute their mission. Yichuan stretched lazily, moving his body as he remarked, "Since this is our inevitable path, the creature above will surely pose a threat to us. If we are capable of vanquishing SSS-class marine beings, then we can certainly defeat SSS-class aerial entities. Let us engage it." The small dragon, eager for battle, donned its battle armor with great enthusiasm. With the trio accompanied by Wang Kai, they ascended directly into the skies. Under the powerful influence of the sea turtle's reverse current technique, they skillfully parted the air currents below, enabling their ascent into the heights. There, they beheld a raptor with wings spanning over 100 meters, resembling a majestic eagle. It had just eliminated the last SSS-class aerial creature and now turned its gaze upon the four, opening its mouth wide in anticipation. Accompanied by a piercing screech, a terrifying sonic wave surged toward them, akin to tumultuous waves in the sky, overwhelming in its might. Now, Yichuan swiftly employed the reverse current technique. Colliding with the dreadful sound wave, the four of them dispersed in different directions, and in the next moment, they disengaged from the flying creature, hurtling toward the aerial beast with great force. As the aerial creature failed to strike, it immediately reoriented itself, its massive wings flapping rapidly, unleashing powerful gusts akin to a tempest toward the four, significantly hindering their movements. They began to descend, but were caught by the flying creature, which propelled them back upwards in search of an opportunity to break free. Despite Wang Kai being merely an S-class flying creature, its small stature allowed it to spot a flaw, darting through the gaps between the raging winds. With a sudden push from Yichuan, it shot skyward, nearing the aerial beast. At that moment, the creature detected Yichuan's presence. Its colossal body turned sharply, its eyes narrowing as it dismissed Yichuan's threat. One of its massive claws lunged toward him, intending to crush him instantly. Bang! Yichuan's sword appeared in his hand, and channeling all his strength, he swung it fiercely against the giant claw. A resounding clash echoed as the claw's talon was swiftly severed. Blood gushed forth, causing the aerial beast to roar in fury, its body diving towards Yichuan, its hardened beak aimed to peck at him. "Humph!" Yichuan scoffed, his body swaying slightly as he utilized levitation to propel himself upward by a meter. The forbidden lance erupted forth, extending to over 10 meters, crashing down upon the aerial creature with ferocity. Bang! Another thunderous sound reverberated as the lance struck the creature's abdomen, sending it into a free fall toward the sea. The tremendous force inflicted a painful blow, leaving a massive spark as the lance grazed its underbelly. With a resonant cry, The aerial beast continued its descent toward Yichuan. At that moment, Wang Kai shot in from a distance, catching Yichuan while a dozen blazing feather arrows surged towards the aerial creature. Under the terrifying pressure of the airwaves, it swayed perilously but ultimately pierced through the feathers of its adversary. In an instant, flames erupted, nearly engulfing the entire skyborn being. Is it done? The little dragon inquired with a hint of excitement. The aerial creature began to spin rapidly in midair, drawing the ocean's waters upward like a tornado. Drenching itself in a deluge that caused the flaming arrows to disperse from its feathers, the flames dissipating instantaneously, yet the creature's plumage glimmered even more brilliantly amidst the blaze. System, what manner of bird is this? The flames have no effect on its feathers whatsoever. Yichuan furrowed his brow, unable to suppress his curiosity. Chapter 414. Teaming up against the Hurricane Eagle King. Yichuan is injured. The Hurricane Eagle King, an SSS-class aerial entity in its growth phase, possesses skills such as Invincible Hurricane, Shattering Claw, and Destructive Soundwave, the system's voice echoed. Indeed, Yichuan scoffed softly. At this juncture, the four had temporarily returned to Turtle Island. As they observed the Hurricane Eagle King racing towards them, cannons and crossbows unleashed a barrage upon its form, transforming thousands of square meters of azure sky into a sea of flames. Yet, the Hurricane Eagle King effortlessly traversed the inferno and explosions, reaching the protective barrier where a multitude of massive crossbow bolts struck its abdomen, inflicting no damage. However, it seemed to sense pain and swiftly darted away to another location. Come on, Lu Shuai bellowed. 18 ground-to-air missiles soared skyward, splitting their warheads upon breaching the protective barrier. In an instant, 180 warheads formed a surrounding formation, bombarding the Hurricane Eagle King from all directions. The Hurricane Eagle King circled in midair, its colossal wings flapping vigorously, intending to swat away the incoming warheads. Yet it underestimated their propulsion. Although their speed was hindered, they pressed on relentlessly. Yichuan immediately instructed in a hushed tone, once the explosions commence, we charge in for a surprise attack. Upon realizing its wings were ineffective, the Hurricane Eagle King promptly revised its strategy, unleashing sound waves to strike at the warheads. The warheads erupted violently, triggering a chain reaction of explosions, with only a handful reaching the Eagle King's vicinity. The terrifying blast disoriented the Hurricane Eagle King, whose formidable defenses faltered against such a barrage of missiles. At the moment the explosions erupted, Yichuan and his companions were propelled skyward by 4 flying creatures, dispersing in 4 directions to assail the Hurricane Eagle King. Notably, Yichuan positioned himself directly before the Eagle King, grasping the forbidden spear, which began to elongate and thicken, as he aimed to strike down upon its head. As the explosion subsided, the Hurricane Eagle King began to regain its composure. However, upon witnessing the enormous forbidden spear hurtling towards it, its fury reignited. With a piercing cry, it sharply lifted its body backward, its claw aimed ferociously at the forbidden spear, intent on eliminating Yichuan at that moment. Bang! Yichuan unleashed absolute gravity, channeling nearly 30,000 tons of force onto the forbidden spear. Despite the Hurricane Eagle King's status as an SSS-grade aerial creature, an undisputed sovereign of the skies, it was still propelled backward by such overwhelming power. Its massive claw bleeding profusely, bones visibly fractured. Come on! The trio of little flying dragon burst into laughter as they disengaged from the wind god pterosaur's body, launching their most potent assault against the Eagle King. Though the Hurricane Eagle King was in excruciating pain, the arrival of the 3 provided it with an outlet for its wrath, prompting an immediate counterattack. While the trio's combined strength could contend with S-grade creatures, they were still outmatched due to the Eagle King's superior rank. Even as they sought to exploit its vulnerability, they found themselves lacking. Little Flying Dragon and Zhao Feiyu were both hurled into the sea by a sonic wave, leaving only Liang Hongying to seize the opportunity to dash onto its back. With a mighty roar, the Hurricane Eagle King began to twist its body in an attempt to shake Liang Hongying off. At a critical moment, she grasped a feather and leaped, her blade, ablaze with crimson flames, aimed at the Eagle King's back. Yet, the Eagle King's defenses were formidable. Despite Liang Hongying pouring all her strength into the strike, she could only breach its feathered armor before being flung away by its rapid rotation. Enraged yet unwilling to linger, the Hurricane Eagle King turned to flee. Unexpectedly, a fish spear shot forth from below, striking one of its legs and ensnaring it tightly with its barbed hook. In a panic, it realized that no amount of struggle could free it from the spear's grip. Just as a sonic wave struck forcefully at the junction between the spear and the ground, suddenly, a sea turtle emerged. unleashing a water projectile that collided with the sonic wave, dissipating the attack entirely. Seizing this opportunity, Yichuan and his companions surged forward under the cover of the crossbow bolts, propelling Yichuan high into the air, where he beheld the wound Liang Hongying had inflicted moments earlier. This was the pivotal point for defeating the Eagle King, determined to create an opening for Yichuan. The trio committed themselves wholeheartedly, even the three great beasts joining the fray, exacerbating the already wounded Hurricane Eagle King's plight. Die! Just as the Hurricane Eagle King found itself in dire straits, a furious shout echoed from above, causing it to gasp in shock. As it attempted to turn and defend itself, it remembered its foot was bound, the reinforced steel rope taut, rendering it unable to maneuver amidst the trio's relentless assault. As Yichuan focused intently on the wound, he gripped the forbidden gun tightly. In an instant, the gun's tip expanded in size, unleashing a tremendous force that drove the over 2-meter-long tip deep into the wound. The Hurricane Eagle King, in excruciating pain, let out a piercing scream. Yes. Little Flying Dragon laughed heartily, exuberantly shouting, "Brother, that's amazing." However, in the next moment, the three of them, along with the wind god Pterosaur, were sent crashing towards the ground. The gun tip remained lodged in the Eagle King's back. After plummeting nearly 1,000 meters, the Hurricane Eagle King abruptly turned and unleashed a sonic attack at Yichuan, while simultaneously attempting to strike him with its other claw. Yichuan shook his head slightly. The long knife in his hand emanated a faint glow, characteristic of an elite warrior, as he met the Eagle King head-on. Boom. The next instant, man and beast collided violently. Although his counterflow technique and air blast mitigated the sonic attack, the Eagle King still suffered a scratch from its claws. Despite its impressive feathered defense, having already endured a barrage of crossbow bolts and fireballs to its chest, it now faced this terrifying blow, feeling its ribs fracture. It found itself unable to muster any strength to flap its wings, rapidly descending towards the sea. Is it over? Lu Shuai's expression shifted as he quickly withdrew the steel wire, aware of the lurking great white sharks in the ocean, their eyes glinting with hunger. Though they respected the terror of an SSS creature, a severely injured body falling into the sea would likely not bode well. Chapter 415. This great eagle is actually a pet. When the Hurricane Eagle King was just over 100 meters from the island, it finally descended to the ocean's surface, where all the great white sharks surged forward, eager to feast. However, in the next moment, the reinforced steel wire sprang into action, swiftly pulling it toward Turtle Island. The Hurricane Eagle King spread its wings wide, increasing its speed. In a mere 7 or 8 seconds, it was drawn to Turtle Island. Yet, to avoid being restrained, the Eagle King summoned all its strength, swiftly rotating its body and tearing off the already injured claw ensnared by the harpoon. At that moment, a golden eagle appeared, wings spread wide, coldly fixating on Yichuan and his companions who had returned to the ground. Its resounding cry resonated with an unwavering defiance. Yichuan raised his hands in a gesture of peace, saying, "Friend, we were merely passing by. However, we sensed you would surely attack us, which is why we chose to resist. You cannot entirely blame us for your present predicament, can you?" The Hurricane Eagle King, already bearing the weight of a hero's melancholy, seemed to comprehend Yichuan's words, releasing a mournful cry. The relentless pain in its chest and back tormented it continuously, and it now felt a grim certainty. Its time was short. Yet, unwilling to yield, the Hurricane Eagle King summoned its final reserves of strength and lunged at Yichuan, unleashing one last sonic attack. With a resounding boom, Yichuan summoned a torrent of water to unleash a powerful water projectile, enhanced by the reverse flow technique, transforming the sound wave into an unprecedented echo. In an instant, he found himself behind the Hurricane Eagle King, seizing the forbidden spear and withdrawing it as the creature diminished in size. Blood erupted forth as a pearl burst from his body, marking the end of the Hurricane Eagle King's reign as the aerial sovereign. Brother, is this creature also SSS rank? It feels comparable to the water claw dragon from the Sea Dragon Palace. Could it possibly be an adolescent? Little Flying Dragon inquired, drawing closer. It is in its growth phase, yet to undergo metamorphosis into an adult form, Yichuan affirmed, acknowledging the astonishing power it exhibited in the skies. Brother, look, Lu Yue suddenly exclaimed. The group quickly gathered around to witness a modest steel ring affixed to one of the creature's claws, a clear indication that this SSS-level Hurricane Eagle King belonged to someone. What in the world is this? Little Flying Dragon gasped in astonishment. To tame an SSS-level marine creature, the individual must be extraordinary. Have we inadvertently slain someone's pet? This grudge could be significant. Yichuan nodded slightly, examining the steel ring before removing it. It was crafted from blue steel essence, marked only with the character Jiang and a locator, devoid of any further inscriptions. Jiang, Lu Yue mused, scrutinizing the character before shaking her head. Brother, there is no family by that name among the top-tier clans or the 4 major financial conglomerates in the 9 provinces. Could it be a foreign island lord? If it were a foreign island lord, it wouldn't be Jiang but rather in English, Blueberry Jam retorted. Perhaps they are akin to you, brother? Independent and not belonging to a grand family, yet equally formidable. When I first entered the novice zone, my father once presented me with a pamphlet regarding the Forbidden Sea. Zhao Feiyu pondered, his expression turning serious. There was indeed a person with the surname Jiang on that list, one of the first humans to venture into the oceanic world. However, the records indicated that this individual had already perished. How impressive! Little Flying Dragon gazed at Zhao Feiyu in awe. If that old man could raise a long-term SSS-level aerial creature, he must still be alive, provided one enters the realm. It is entirely possible to live beyond 100 years, Liang Hongying interjected. System, is it possible to reverse track this locator? Yichuan inquired, intrigued by the matter. The super radar possesses a counter-tracking system. The system promptly responded. Upon hearing this, Yichuan hurried back to the villa, meticulously examining the super radar until he discovered a sizable recess capable of accommodating various tracking devices and locators. Yichuan promptly placed the locator into the groove, and a faint beeping sound resonated as the interface of the super radar underwent a profound transformation. The displayed area gradually expanded until a small red dot appeared, situated over 200,000 nautical miles away from Turtle Island. Brother, is this the individual with the surname Jiang? Several others followed in and gazed at the super radar, prompting Little Flying Dragon to inquire. I cannot ascertain if he is indeed the one named Jiang, but this locator undoubtedly belongs to him. Yichuan replied solemnly. Do you see? The distance between us is steadily decreasing, indicating that he must have learned of the Hurricane Eagle King's demise and is hastily making his way here. Zhao Feiyu elucidated. The steel ring is equipped with a life monitoring system, which likely detected the cessation of the Hurricane Eagle King's heartbeat, thus alerting him to the situation. What should we do? Blueberry Jam expressed her anxiety. If he is as formidable as rumored, we may not stand a chance against him. Let us affix this steel ring onto a megalodon and send it to locate the shark, Yichuan decisively suggested. Even if he manages to find us, that will be a matter for the future. Excellent idea. Little Flying Dragon's expression shifted as he swiftly took the steel ring, smeared it with some of the Eagle King's blood, and cast it into the sea, where it was immediately engulfed by a megalodon that surged up from the depths, before plunging back into the ocean. Let us leave it at that. As long as no one provokes us, we shall refrain from instigating any conflicts. For now, let us pretend this incident never occurred, Yichuan stated coolly. Saturday, you all must proceed to handle the Hurricane Eagle King. Let us aim to feast on roasted bird meat tonight. Rest assured, Brother Chuan, we will commence immediately. Saturday replied, promptly beginning the task. At that moment, the system announced, Congratulations, host, for your first successful kill of an SSS-grade aerial creature. You have been rewarded with a lucky gift package. Would you like to open it? Open it. Yichuan commanded. Opening successful. Congratulations, host, on acquiring 30 units of medium nutrient solution, 1 SSS-grade marine creature inner core, 2 experience value packages, 2 resource packages, 2 time-sensitive super defenses, and 2 island stabilization devices. The system promptly responded. Chapter 416. Entering the Treasure Land. The fertile black soil was gone, the miraculous pills were absent, yet 2 island stabilization devices were added. Could it be that the Hurricane Eagle King was still a juvenile? Yichuan couldn't help but shake his head slightly. Although the outcome was not as anticipated, receiving such an abundance of items was still commendable. Particularly, the previous evolution value package had been 10,000 points, and now it had doubled to 20,000 points, which was quite gratifying. However, it seemed that Turtle and the others would require some time to reach level 20. In the evening, the group joyfully indulged in a feast of roasted bird meat, complemented by a small bowl of snake soup and fine wine, allowing for a thoroughly enjoyable night. Upon returning to his bed, Yichuan swallowed the 2 inner cores he had obtained that day and settled into a cross-legged position, initiating his enhancement process. In the span of a single night, the fissures in the small inner elixir within the dantian had widened slightly, yet it still appeared quite difficult to fully rupture. However, the circulation of vital energy within the body had become increasingly smooth and effortless, accompanied by an inexhaustible force surging forth from within, providing Yichuan with unparalleled vigor. The SS-class creatures could now be effortlessly dispatched. What a thrill! Upon awakening, It was already past 8 in the morning. Yichuan could not help but stretch languidly, uttering a sign-in phrase as he exited the villa. Sign-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 evolution points and an island propulsion device, resonated the system's voice. As he relished some jam, Yichuan stepped outside to find the sea turtles had ceased their movement, while several individuals were deeply engrossed in studying the area. Upon seeing Yichuan, the little dragon immediately exclaimed, "Big brother, we have arrived at the treasure site of the Tier of the Moon, yet after an hour of investigation, we still have not discerned where exactly the treasure lies. Hence, I suspect that this treasure site might only reveal itself under the moonlight at night. Much like when we discovered the treasure map previously, right? System, is that so?" Yichuan promptly inquired. As before, the system remained silent. After a moment of contemplation, Yichuan glanced at the earrings once more and ultimately shrugged in agreement, stating, "The particulars are of little consequence. We have reached our destination. Since we cannot ascertain anything during the day, we shall wait until nightfall to attempt once more. For now, let us establish camp here." Thus, throughout the day, the group engaged in leisurely activities at the site. In particular, Blueberry Jam resumed her live stream, though she disabled location settings, unwilling to disclose their whereabouts and invite trouble upon the small team. As night descended, following their dinner, the grand moon ascended high into the sky around 10 o'clock, illuminating the vast ocean like a radiant disk. It was then that Yichuan retrieved the 2 earrings for integration, shining them around, yet no reaction ensued. "Are we searching in the wrong location?" the little dragon queried skeptically, feeling it improbable that there would be absolutely no response. "Did we perhaps reverse the map? Are you foolish? The map has textual markings. If it were reversed, the words would t miraculously transform," Liang Hongying retorted, casting an incredulous look at the little dragon. "What were you thinking? Why not take a mirror, reflect the moonlight onto the earrings, and then cast it upon the sea?" suggested Lu Yue at that moment. "Let us give it a try." Yichuan pondered briefly and promptly commenced the operation. Yet, even with this approach, no effect was observed. They illuminated the surroundings for several minutes until Lu Yue's expression shifted. "I found it." With that, she swiftly adjusted the mirror's angle, directing the light onto the ocean. And indeed, a door more than 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide emerged upon the water's surface. Although it was not particularly clear, the existence of this door was undeniable. "Ah, Vivi, you truly are remarkable, effortlessly locating this door," exclaimed the little dragon joyfully. "Indeed, your thoughts are astute. It seems the sea turtle cannot enter," Yichuan stated directly. The group proceeded to bind ropes around themselves and took turns leaping through, with Yichuan volunteering to go last, intending to collect Turtle Island in the process. Following his suggestion, they swiftly secured the ropes and sequentially jumped into the doorway. As Yichuan leapt through, he captured the sea turtle in a bottle, and with a soft whoosh, the scene transformed to daylight, revealing them amidst a lush jungle, situated on the edge of a vast ocean. "My goodness, this place appears vast, resembling yet another gigantic island," remarked the little dragon as he surveyed his surroundings. "This is an island from another dimension, yet it is connected to the Forbidden Sea, akin to a lost treasure," Vivi noted, scanning the area. "However, we only possess the map to the treasure site, and given the immense size of this island, locating the treasure may prove to be a formidable task. System, you fool. Tell me how to find the treasure." Yichuan grumbled darkly. "I need to evolve quickly, but under these circumstances, even searching for the treasure here could take 7 or 8 years. You imbecile, the secret lies still within the Tier of the Moon," retorted the system promptly. "Vivi, take a closer look at these 2 earrings," Yichuan instructed. He then turned his gaze to Vivi, suggesting that there might be a map embedded within them, outlining the routes on this island. "Really?" Vivi questioned skeptically, immediately taking the earrings and scrutinizing them. She diligently pieced them together, spending a full 10 minutes before she tapped her forehead, aligning the 2 earrings, which revealed a brand new map before her eyes. "Brother, look," Vivi whispered excitedly. Yichuan took the newly revealed earring map, magnified it, and used the system to imprint it onto the back of the treasure map. Soon, a clear route appeared on the treasure map. "My goodness, brother, how did you manage this? This is astonishing," the little dragon exclaimed in wonder as he gazed at the path. "This is my ability. How else would one seek treasure?" Yichuan replied with a smile, pointing at the path and declaring, "Let us set off." With that, the group of 7 swiftly progressed along the designated route. Whenever they encountered a dead end, a new path would miraculously emerge, as if someone were guiding them to the treasure site. This only deepened their admiration for Yichuan. Although they were uncertain how he achieved this, the method was undeniably impressive. However, after more than an hour of travel, they faced a daunting chasm blocking their way. Chapter 417, Creatures in the Magma, the Ugly Dragon. If it were merely a chasm, they could simply ride flying creatures across. The crux of the matter lay in a most peculiar phenomenon present in this location. The chasm sprawled nearly 10,000 meters wide, beneath which lay a sea of fire, with molten lava flowing at temperatures soaring into the thousands of degrees. Above, a colossal dark cloud loomed, unleashing rain upon the lava, which in turn generated thick plumes of black steam. In that moment, as steam billowed and rain fell, the temperature in the center reached at least 1,000 degrees, rendering even flying creatures incapable of passage. Goodness, is this some sort of deliberate trap? How could such a canyon possibly exist? The little dragon exclaimed in disbelief. Even an SS-level creature would likely be cooked by the steam. Yichuan nodded, acknowledging the dilemma. The chasm's vastness posed a significant challenge, no matter the approach. It seemed impossible to traverse, even for someone of his formidable strength. After a moment's contemplation, a smile broke across Yichuan's face. The sea turtle. He immediately inquired of the system. Can the protective shield withstand such extreme temperatures? Indeed, the system replied without hesitation. The protective shield can endure temperatures up to 10,000 degrees, while the molten lava below hovers around 3,000 degrees. Excellent, Yichuan thought, feeling reassured. The sea turtle's current levitation ability allowed it to float 2 meters high for 20 minutes. Given the chasm's width, crossing it would only take a few minutes, an effortless endeavor, akin to transforming an impassable divide into a seamless passage. Without delay, Yichuan summoned the sea turtle. Upon their return to Turtle Island, they activated the temporal defense. The sea turtle then dove headlong into the chasm, startling everyone to exclaim in unison. However, the sea turtle halted steadily 2 meters above the lava, navigating swiftly through the black steam and splattering lava. Wow, this is incredible! Blueberry Jam exclaimed, excitement bubbling within her. She swiftly retrieved her phone, asking, "Brother, can I capture this place on video? It would surely be a hit on short video platforms." Of course, it's no concern. After all, who would know where this place is? And even if they did, who would dare come here? The little dragon chuckled. Blueberry Jam agreed, recognizing the truth in his words, and began filming. Suddenly, as the sea turtle advanced, a dull thud reverberated through the air. Something had struck the turtle with considerable force, causing its massive form to sway slightly. What was that? Everyone gasped in alarm. They were in the midst of molten lava, with no means to engage in battle. If a creature were to attack, they would be left helplessly watching. To err on the side of caution, Yichuan promptly activated the island stabilization device, choosing to ignore the disturbance and push forward rapidly, aiming to reach solid ground without confronting any monsters lurking in the lava. In the next moment, a grotesque dragon with a fiery red belly erupted from the molten lava, its massive form blocking the path of the turtle. With claws bared, it lunged at the turtle, intent on crushing it into the lava. Boom! In that instant, the turtle sprang to its feet, revealing its formidable claws, which tore viciously at the dragon's body, inflicting a ghastly wound upon its chest. The dragon let out a pained cry, arching backward before plunging back into the lava. Its enormous tail, tipped with a large spherical appendage, crashed violently into the turtle's abdomen. Fortunately, the shield absorbed the impact, causing no harm. What on earth is that creature? The little dragon exclaimed in astonishment. With its elongated head, dual wings, bulging belly, and pointed tail, how does it differ from a Western dragon? Zhao Feiyu retorted, asserting it was a quintessential Western dragon. The incredible part is that it can maneuver effortlessly in lava. Lu Shuai murmured. Brother, should I initiate a ground-to-ground strike and unleash several rounds? Liuya, you handle the crossbow bolts, Yichuan instructed, nodding to Liuya Weiwei. At once, the group sprang into action. Yet, within a minute of retreating into the lava, the dragon launched another attack. With wings flapping, its body stretched nearly 100 meters in length, its entire form a blazing crimson. It roared defiantly at the sky, exuding an aura of terror. The wound on its belly had now healed completely, but after enduring the turtle's onslaught, it dared not attack recklessly again. Instead, it glared coldly at the turtle and spat out a plume of white lava. Protected by the shield, the lava splashed against it, slowly trickling downwards. Liuya Weiwei activated the spinning crossbow, unleashing a volley of massive bolts at the dragon's belly. The speed was so astonishing that even the dragon was taken aback, as the bolts pierced its body with little resistance. In the following moment, Lu Shuai's ground-to-ground strike was ready, targeting the dragon directly. Unlike other invincible creatures, 18 ground-to-ground strikes obliterated the dragon into a puddle of lava, leaving the onlookers dumbfounded. Had it truly been vanquished so easily? Quick, let's go. Yichuan shouted urgently. The turtle immediately surged forward again. Yichuan, with a serious demeanor, remarked, "This western dragon is likely a manifestation of something from the lava, possessing neither strong defense nor attack power, yet proving to be exceedingly troublesome. If I'm not mistaken, it will resurrect shortly. Is it immortal?" The little dragon asked in disbelief. Yichuan nodded gravely, stating, "At least within this 1,000-meter-wide lava canyon, it truly seems to be immortal." As he spoke, the turtle reached the opposite side of the canyon, gazing at the towering ground before preparing to strike. However, the dragon chased after it, intent on engaging in a decisive battle. "Shoot it!" Zhao Feiyu commanded Lu Shuai immediately. In an instant, the sea turtle unleashed its absolute gravity in reverse, propelling its entire body forth like a bolt from a crossbow as the levitation spell began to compress downward. Simultaneously, it was imbued with the force of an upward surge by the reverse current technique and water bomb. At that moment, the hideous dragon surged forth, colliding with 18 ground-to-ground projectiles. Having learned from its previous encounter, the dragon opened its maw wide, unleashing a torrent of molten lava towards the incoming projectiles. Chapter 418. Transformation into SSS level. The fiery dragon, a violent explosion erupted as the magma clashed with the projectiles. Although the ugly dragon was affected by the blast, it managed to perform several flips in midair before flapping its wings and pursuing the sea turtle, ascending into the heights. Once the turtle reached the ground, it surged forward several thousand meters before stabilizing its form, turning to face the advancing dragon, and opening its jaws wide to fire a powerful air bomb at it. To everyone's surprise, the dragon did not evade the attack, enduring the blow. However, it did not sustain any injuries. Instead, it executed a somersault before landing on the ground. Lowering its gaze, it discovered a fissure had formed at the point of impact on its chest. Soon, a cracking sound echoed as more fissures appeared, culminating in a resounding crash as fragments of its body exploded away, leaving it cloaked in a pitch-black hue, emanating a terrifying aura that sent chills down spines. "Is this fellow shedding its skin?" whispered the little dragon. "What is going on here?" Yichuan murmured, bewildered. Fiery dragon, SSS-level terrestrial creature, known for its volatile temperament and enmity towards goodness. Skills include invincible flame wave, terrifying heavy strike, absolute impact. The system promptly responded. Damn. Yichuan furrowed his brow. He was certain that the creature, while submerged in lava, was not an SSS-level being. At best, it was merely an SS level. Yet now, after shedding a layer of skin, it had transformed into an astonishing powerhouse. Everyone, be cautious. It has now ascended to SSS level, with its combat prowess significantly enhanced. Yichuan warned in a hushed tone. Hey, we can now engage it on land. Regardless of whether it's SSS or S, let us take it down. The little dragon scoffed, swiftly donning its battle armor. Come. In that moment, the 7 members each assumed their roles, preparing for the confrontation. 4 of them, alongside the sea turtle, charged forward, intent on battling the fiery dragon. After all, the turtle's defensive efficacy still had 15 minutes of potency left, providing a prime opportunity to vanquish the beast. In the face of their assault, the fiery dragon displayed a flicker of disdain, unleashing an absolute impact. The terrifying force erupted instantaneously, creating a shockwave that rippled through the ground. Unyielding, the sea turtle countered with its own absolute gravity, concentrating tens of thousands of tons of force at a single point and launching a fierce collision against the fiery dragon. The two forces clashed with an intensity akin to the sharpest of blades meeting. One wielded absolute impact, while the other embodied sheer gravity. In that fleeting moment, a cataclysmic sound reverberated through the air, and the ground surrounding them split open, a terrifying chasm forming at the epicenter of their confrontation. A fierce shockwave erupted, radiating outward, sending even the 4 companions of Yichuan hurtling backward. Within a kilometer radius, everything was reduced to mere powder, and 10 kilometers were flattened in an instant before this formidable force finally dissipated. Having recently evolved into an SSS-level terrestrial creature, the combat prowess of the sea turtle, while formidable, still paled in comparison to the super S-level beings. After a brief encounter, it was sent flying, though as it soared backward, a massive hammer swung upward. Crashing down upon its chin, the sea turtle instinctively retracted its head, and at that moment, a powerful air blast collided with the hammer. This blast, comparable to a ground-to-ground missile, detonated upon impact, causing the flame dragon to roar in agony. As it landed, a wave of invincible white flames erupted forth. Directed at the turtle, the sea turtle did not attempt to defend, its protective shield rendering further effort unnecessary. With determined strides, it advanced, the ground trembling beneath its might as it rose up to press down fiercely upon the flame dragon. With a resounding roar, the flame dragon flapped its wings, re-engaging in battle with the turtle. Meanwhile, Yichuan and his companions flanked the sides, rushing in to assist the turtle. However, post-mutation, the flame dragon's defenses had augmented nearly 100-fold, rendering Yichuan's blade ineffective against it. In response, Yichuan brandished the forbidden spear. As the three companions maneuvered, he seized an opportunity to strike. The spear surged, expanding hundreds of meters in an instant, descending with tremendous force. The flame dragon had already taken note of the spear, yet both the turtle and the trio held it firmly in place, preventing any distraction for defense. With a fierce roar, the dragon braced itself to absorb the blow, charging recklessly toward the small flying dragon, determined to take a hit if it meant securing a companion's safety. Boom. 3 seconds later, the forbidden spear crashed down with overwhelming force. At that precise moment, Yichuan employed absolute gravity, amplifying the spear's might to over 30,000 tons, driving it into the flame dragon's back. A shockwave surged toward the small dragon, which had been focused solely on thwarting the flame dragon's assault on Yichuan. Unaware of the impending impact, its body was sent flying from the force of the blow. Small dragon, Yichuan shouted sharply. The flame dragon, struck by Yichuan's attack, collapsed to the ground, only to be met again by the turtle's absolute gravity, which propelled the forbidden spear deep into its body, penetrating at least 2 meters within. For the fiery dragon, the pain was ineffable, causing it to emit anguished cries as it rose from the ground and charged recklessly towards the sea turtle. In that pivotal moment, the spinning crossbow arrows of Lu Yiwei proved decisive, 3 of which found their way into the dragon's mouth, eliciting another piercing scream. In a fit of rage, the dragon pivoted sharply, swinging its colossal hammer towards the side of the sea turtle while simultaneously wrenching the arrows from its maw, blood spurting forth as if it had pierced an artery. Simultaneously, the massive hammer crashed into the turtle's shell, nearly cleaving it in half and causing the creature to momentarily levitate. In retaliation, the sea turtle unleashed an overwhelming gravitational force upon the fiery dragon, just as the dragon prepared to unleash its invincible fiery wave once more. It was then that the turtle lunged forward, grasping the dragon's jaws with its powerful claws. The fiery dragon, taken aback by this unexpected maneuver, began to thrash violently, a terrifying shockwave erupting from its mouth. In that fleeting instant, the reverse flow technique and air blasts surged into the dragon's maw. This indescribable force sealed the mouth of the severely wounded fiery dragon. The dragon's meticulously prepared ultimate attack, intended to deliver a fatal blow, was thwarted by the turtle's intervention, causing it to choke on its own power and struggle uncontrollably. Was this a case of self-destruction? The little dragon sat on the ground, chuckling to itself. With a thunderous crash, mere seconds later, the fiery dragon's throat was ruptured by the formidable fiery wave, leaving it lifeless on the ground. Is it dead? Blueberry Jam and the others exchanged glances, with Lu Yiwei shooting another arrow at it, yet still met with silence. As they approached the fallen giant, they were left speechless at the absurdity of how such a formidable SSS-class land creature had met its end. How do we even eat this? Blueberry Jam pondered aloud, pacing back and forth. Let us skip this one. I imagine it would taste like molten rock. Yichuan replied nonchalantly, adding that there was no time for a barbecue. Treasure hunting was paramount. Hee. Blueberry Jam burst into laughter. The little dragon limped over, lamenting. That shockwave was truly unbearable. After taking that hit, I still feel nauseous, as if I'm about to vomit blood. Yichuan handed the little dragon 300 milliliters of S-class fresh water, patting its shoulder. Well, thanks to your intervention, we might not have been able to slay it otherwise. Then I am indeed a hero. Little Flying Dragon was taken aback, which elicited laughter from everyone. Let us continue our journey, Yichuan declared, as he proceeded to extract its inner core. Congratulations, host, on your first defeat of an SSS-level terrestrial creature. You are rewarded with a lucky gift pack. Would you like to open it? At that moment, the system's voice echoed. Open it. Yichuan responded. Successfully opened. Congratulations, host. You have received 30 units of nutrient solution, 1 SSS-level marine creature's inner core, 2 experience value packs, 2 resource packs, 2 time-limited super defenses, and 2 island stabilization devices. The system promptly replied. Darn it, no miraculous pills again. System, are these things also minors? Yichuan couldn't help but inquire. So many minors. They are already of age. The difficulty coefficient is low. The system answered, unusually. What a chilling response. If that's the case, the challenge posed by the isolated Reef Bull King is significant, yet I haven't seen you provide many good rewards. The system fell silent, perhaps too lazy to respond or feeling guilty. Yichuan decided not to dwell on the matter, stowing away the sea turtle and resuming his journey. According to the markings on the treasure map, the group had traversed half the distance from dawn until sunset. If all went well, they would reach the treasure site by the following afternoon. However, with the sun now set, Yichuan found a clear area to release the sea turtle. Everyone rested on the turtle's back while Saturday began preparing dinner. Donning protective shields, they indulged in hearty drinks and meats, commencing a night of merriment. In another dimension, the watch displayed a panel that had lost signal. After a quick freshening up, Yichuan drifted into slumber. However, throughout the night, ominous sounds incessantly invaded his ears, causing him great annoyance. He promptly ventured outside for a look. To his astonishment, a wind of at least 10 on the Beaufort scale was raging across the island, swirling debris into the air, creating a terrifying spectacle. What on earth is going on here? Such fierce winds at night. Little Flying Dragon and the others had also awakened, gazing outside in disbelief. This must be a test. If it weren't for the protective shield on Turtle Island, such winds would have blown us away long ago. Yichuan remarked with a smile. As long as we are not assaulted by missile-like strikes on the protective shield, it remains unharmed. There's no need for concern. You can all return to sleep. With that, the group dispersed to resume their rest until the following morning, when Yichuan awoke to the system's reminder. Check-in, he announced as he exited the villa. However, upon observing the outside, it appeared as if the fierce winds of the previous night had never occurred. Nothing seemed amiss. Yet the tempest could not have been a mere dream. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 evolution points and a large MPV. The system's voice followed. What is happening? Wasn't there a storm last night? Why does everything look unchanged? As Zhao Feiyu and his companions stepped outside, they were greeted by a serene landscape under a clear blue sky, prompting an inquiry. It can only be attributed to the peculiarities of this island. Everything around us exudes an unusual aura. It would be prudent for us to locate the treasure swiftly and depart, Yichuan remarked with a slight shake of his head, his demeanor serious. After their meal, the group prepared to leave. However, when they unfolded the treasure map, they found themselves momentarily dumbfounded. What was initially a journey of less than 10 hours now appeared to have extended considerably, seemingly requiring a span of 2 days and 1 night. Could it be that the ferocious winds from last night triggered tectonic shifts? Xiao Feilong speculated in frustration. Such occurrences are unlikely. If there had been significant tectonic activity, this map would have long since lost its credibility, Lu Yue countered, shaking her head. Although the cause of this situation remained a mystery, the reality was that they would need to walk significantly more. Yichuan smiled, waving his hand to produce a large MPV. This spacious vehicle could accommodate 7 passengers, boasting a full charge with a range of approximately 300 kilometers, which left everyone in awe. Blueberry Jam was so thrilled that she could hardly express herself. My goodness, we actually have a car. Does that mean we won't have to walk anymore? With that, she dashed into the vehicle. As the others climbed aboard, they noticed the ample space across the 3 rows, which could even recline to a 120-degree angle, while the genuine leather seats exuded unparalleled comfort. Big brother, let me drive. Xiao Feilong volunteered, taking the driver's seat. You all just relax, he added. Well, we shall not refuse your kindness. Yichuan replied with a smile. He placed the treasure map on the navigation console, and with a swift press of the accelerator, Xiao Feilong propelled the vehicle forward. Chapter 420. The pirates forever trapped here. Though the road was exceedingly rugged, the vehicle's resilience was remarkable, maintaining a speed of around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, with the passengers merely experiencing slight jolts as they reclined in their seats. After more than 3 hours, they had covered over 200 kilometers and finally halted at the edge of a cliff. Wow, this place is astonishing, Xiao Feilong exclaimed, gazing incredulously at the breathtaking view below. The cliff descended over 200 meters into a vast, crescent-shaped basin that spanned several square kilometers, presenting a truly spectacular sight. Did you all see that? Yichuan murmured as they swallowed hard in awe. This place feels remarkably familiar, Lu Yue remarked. Retrieving the earring known as the Tear of the Moon, she restored it to its previous crescent shape and aligned it with the pattern below, revealing a perfect match. Big brother, do you see that? Lu Yue pointed excitedly to a specific area. If all goes as expected, this should be the location of the treasure we seek. Let us head down. Yichuan nodded, stowing away the vehicle as Xiao Feilong and the others donned their battle armor. Little Flying Dragon seized Lu Shuai by the collar and leaped down first, followed by Zhao Feiyu, who embraced Lu Yue, and Yichuan, who held onto Blueberry Jam, all plunging downward. Upon landing, a sound reminiscent of clanking chains echoed, causing the group to furrow their brows in concern. Could it be another trap? Just as this thought crossed their minds, a louder noise emerged as a stone door in a nearby wall swung open, revealing a battalion of pirates clad in swashbuckling attire. Glaring fiercely at Yichuan and his companions, bellowing, "This is my territory, and the treasure is mine. How dare you come here to meet your demise?" These pirates appeared as mere corpses and skeletons, instilling a sense of dread, particularly in Blueberry Jam and Lu Yue, who nearly shut their eyes, unable to bear the sight. Little Flying Dragon gasped in surprise, taken aback by the multitude of pirates. Could they be cursed to remain eternally bound to this place? With this thought, he strode forward, voice raised in anger. "What treasure do you speak of? You are all dead. What use do you have for it? How dare you claim we are dead?" The lead pirate retorted with fury. As this group of pirates emerged, more and more pirates streamed out from various stone doors, amounting to nearly 1,000, effectively surrounding Yichuan and his companions. "Enough!" In response to the cacophony of the pirates' chatter, Yichuan bellowed, his expression darkening. "Do not speak of whose treasure this is. You sought wealth only to become trapped here as mere corpses. You have no right to claim this treasure. Stop your incessant babble." His words rendered all the pirates momentarily speechless. They seemed taken aback that this young man dared to address them so boldly. The lead, an unsightly old pirate, seethed through clenched teeth. "These people are our enemies. Kill them all. Kill!" Yichuan shouted in response. And Little Flying Dragon and the others immediately charged at the pirates. Additionally, several large drones equipped with automatic weapons hovered above, commencing fire upon the pirates, prompting Blueberry Jam and Lu Yue to scream in terror. Though they had been consuming high-grade liquids, they had never engaged in battle, resembling two frightened little rabbits. Frozen in place, unsure of how to proceed, as pirates charged towards them, Zhao Feiyu swiftly dispatched 3 or 4 of them and urged, "Did I not teach you martial arts? You all possess weapons. Today presents an excellent opportunity for practice." But I'm afraid," Blueberry Jam replied pitifully. "There are too many pirates, and they possess combat strength," Zhao Feiyu said sternly. "We cannot eliminate them all in a short time. This is a valuable training opportunity for you." With that, Zhao Feiyu resumed his assault. The two women exchanged a glance, seemingly perceiving a hint of determination in each other's eyes. They then let out a piercing scream and charged forward, desperately recalling the combat techniques imparted to them by Zhao Feiyu, engaging in battle against the half-human, half-corpse pirates. Most of these marauders were equivalent to D and C grade beings, with some formidable ones having even reached A grade. Their strength was not particularly overwhelming. Rather, their sheer numbers were daunting, as each individual found themselves entangled with dozens, if not hundreds, of pirates, rendering their attacks ineffective for a time. Yichuan furrowed his brow and swiftly leaped into action, unleashing a spell of absolute gravity upon the ground, while simultaneously casting a countercurrent technique in all directions. The absolute gravity amplified the countercurrent's potency nearly tenfold, sending every pirate within a 100-meter radius hurtling backward. Liang Hongying sprinted forward with remarkable speed, her long blades slicing through the airborne pirates, effectively incapacitating them. In just 15 minutes, nearly 1,000 pirates were rendered incapable of fighting. Although they had transformed into grotesque half-human, half-corpse creatures, their capacity for pain remained, and they writhed on the ground, howling in agony. "Kid, do not get too complacent." The leading old pirate gritted his teeth. "Soon, you shall become monsters like us, eternally trapped in Moon Valley. You need not worry about that," Yichuan replied with a smile. "At least we are not pirates." With that, the group pressed onward. The previously frightened Blueberry Jam and her companion seemed to have regained their confidence, with Blueberry Jam cheerfully exclaiming, "This is so exhilarating. I have killed 7 pirates. I thought I was weak and incapable, yet I fought fiercely. How remarkable am I? Having consumed so many potent liquids, it's merely that you haven't engaged in systematic combat before. Otherwise, both of you would possess the strength to slay S-grade beings," Yichuan remarked with a grin. "Thus, strive to participate in battles whenever possible, at the very least. You will gain the strength for self-defense, right?" "Absolutely." Blueberry Jam chuckled, rubbing her fists together, eagerly anticipating the next battle. "Brother, look over there." At this point, Xiao Feilong pointed towards a certain direction as they had traveled approximately 1,000 meters. Chapter 4:21. The Treasure Appears. The fountain of immortality runs dry. The group halted and turned to follow Xiao Feilong's indication. Before them stood a remarkably smooth, cylindrical stone, entirely yellow. Although surrounded by lush greenery, it stood in stark contrast to its neighboring elements. Lu Yue glanced around before nodding and saying, "Brother, we are still 500 meters away from our destination. But look, There is a stone pillar every 100 meters. Could this be some sort of mechanism? 6 stone pillars? Yichuan mused, stroking his chin. There are 6 stone pillars here too. Blueberry Jam exclaimed. This was indeed intriguing. However, I feel it prudent for us to prioritize the treasure site for now. Yichuan chuckled and remarked that it was perhaps merely a commonplace decoration. To verify the veracity of his assertion, he directly unleashed an air blast against a stone pillar. The pillar descended by a meter before it promptly began to ascend, ultimately reaching a height of approximately 12 meters before coming to a halt. Simultaneously, a series of sounds erupted as 12 crossbow arrows suddenly sprang forth from the ground, their formidable propulsion rivaling the lethal strikes of seasoned experts, causing a shiver to run through the gathered individuals. Brother, this is indeed a mechanism. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed in astonishment. If you hadn't triggered it, we might have been able to withstand the sudden onslaught. But Vivi and the others would have been in grave danger. Indeed. Blueberry Jam gazed at Yichuan with eyes sparkling like stars. You've saved our lives once more. This made Yichuan feel a touch embarrassed. He was unaware that it was a mechanism. He had merely stumbled upon it by chance. Otherwise, wouldn't that imply he was exceedingly clever? With this thought, Yichuan promptly executed another air blast, launching the remaining stone pillars into the air. In an instant, all the pillars were propelled upward, and the 12 mechanisms were deactivated. Only then did the group continue their advance. However, upon reaching their destination, they were met with a series of thuds as the 12 stone pillars seemed to be drawn back into the ground. What on earth is happening? Little Flying Dragon questioned skeptically. It feels as though the opportunity has not entirely vanished. This place is rather peculiar, Zhao Feiyu murmured. Moreover, we have yet to encounter any guardians of the treasure. It appears these mechanisms were triggered for the first time, suggesting that those pirates had already transformed into ghastly entities long before reaching this location, which is indeed perplexing. The group nodded in agreement. Yet, Yichuan suddenly broke into laughter. We are here to seek treasure, not to solve riddles. Shouldn't we confront challenges as they arise? Our objective is the treasure. Everything else is inconsequential. His words elicited laughter from the others, and without further ado, they followed Yichuan eagerly towards the treasure hidden within the earring. It was evident that passing through the stone door ahead would grant them access to the treasure. However, there were no keys or mechanisms in sight. And even with all his might, Yichuan could not force the door open. What kind of stone is this, so incredibly solid? Little Flying Dragon inquired, astonished. Yichuan stepped forward to caress the stone door, his voice solemn as he declared, blue steel essence stone. What? Little Flying Dragon glanced at Yichuan in disbelief. Are you saying this entire door is made of blue steel essence stone? Indeed, Yichuan affirmed gravely with a nod. Just this door alone is a tremendous find. Impressive. Little Flying Dragon laughed heartily and charged towards the stone door, attempting to kiss it. However, if it truly was blue steel essence stone, then brute force would be utterly futile in opening it. Zhao Feiyu shook his head and remarked, the mechanism may very well be activated at night. We cannot dismiss this possibility. Yichuan shrugged and suggested, then let us temporarily set up camp and await the night. Thus, the group returned to Turtle Island to rest. As darkness descended, the 7 of them finished their dinner and put away the turtle before returning to the stone gate. Under the gentle glow of the moonlight, a crescent-shaped design emerged on the stone gate, its intricate patterns evoking a sense of the mystical. Brother, this design resembles the pattern on the tier of the moon. Lu Yue exclaimed softly, her expression shifting. It seems we must align it with the moonlight to unlock this stone gate. Yichuan nodded slightly, finding her reasoning sound, and promptly handed the stage over to Lu Yue. Following her intuition, Lu Yue began her manipulation. As the shadow of the tier of the moon perfectly aligned with the pattern on the gate, a faint sound resonated, suggesting that a mechanism had been triggered. Almost immediately, an unparalleled suction force emerged from Lu Yue's hand, drawing the tier of the moon to the stone gate. A cacophony of sounds ensued, reminiscent of a massive iron chain beginning to turn as the stone gate was slowly raised, unveiling a long-sealed space. Almost instantaneously, a chilling aura seeped forth from within, followed by the ignition of torches, one by one. As the gate fully opened, 12 torches blazed to life, revealing the true nature of the interior. Though the area measured merely 1,000 square meters, it was brimming with an array of treasures, diverse and eclectic, particularly a colossal green orb that shimmered brilliantly under the torchlight. Upon entering, Liang Hongying eagerly searched for the fountain of immortality, but after a thorough exploration, she found nothing. Nothing. Yichuan also surveyed the space, equally unsuccessful, and then his gaze fell upon the mound of treasures. With a swift motion, He gathered everything into the system's inventory, only to notice a stone pedestal resembling a lotus, tiered and over a meter high. Could this possibly be the fountain of immortality? But why is it dry? The group hurried over, and Xiao Feilong reached inside, finding it completely barren, devoid of even a hint of moisture. Liang Hongying, overwhelmed by despair, sank to the ground, her face reflecting a profound sense of loss that was evident to all. After all, this had been the hope of the Liang family, their very pillar of spirit. Yet, having finally discovered the fountain of immortality, they found it utterly desiccated. Did this mean that the Liang family's curse would endure for generations to come? Chapter 422. The Perfect Mechanism, the Nine-Tailed Fox. Liang Hongying crouched on the ground, her disappointment lingering like an unshakable weight. Having believed that this curse would meet its end at his hands, and having long awaited this day, the outcome was far from what he had envisioned. No. Yichuan furrowed his brow and uttered a low exclamation as he noticed the groove within the stone platform, which seemed to perfectly align with the green gem atop the treasure pile. Without hesitation, Yichuan retrieved the green gem and embedded it into the stone platform. In that instant, a gurgling sound echoed as the entire stone platform began to tremble slightly, prompting Liang Hongying to take notice, her expression shifting into a smile. It became apparent that the fountain of immortality was not dried up, but required the gem to be placed within it for its power to be unleashed. Within mere minutes, Liang Hongying's emotions oscillated from immense joy to profound despair and back to elation, a tumult of feelings that was almost indescribable. Suddenly, after a brief interlude, a soft sound announced the eruption of vibrant green spring water, filling the stone platform to the brim. In that fleeting moment, Yichuan waved his hand, transferring at least 20 liters of the fountain's water into his system's inventory, nearly depleting the entire source. At that very instant, the stone platform shattered into myriad fragments, revealing a resplendent green fox that leapt forth, letting out a sharp cry. The fox boasted 9 tails, its entire form radiating an enchanting green hue, particularly its eyes, which seemed capable of bewitching anyone who gazed upon them. Notably, Lan Mei, Lu Shuai, and Lu Mei's expressions softened, clearly entranced by the fox's allure. Without a moment's hesitation, Yichuan swiftly transported the 3 into a sealing bottle on Turtle Island, simultaneously striking at the fox with his blade. A nearly imperceptible glimmer surged toward the fox, which deftly evaded the attack with grace. Xiao Feilong and the others donned their battle armor and approached Yichuan, their eyes fixed on the fox as they whispered, "What is this creature?" Yichuan, with an air of seriousness, inquired about the entity's details from the system. Nine-tailed demon fox, SSS-grade creature, peak adult form, vindictive, and possessing formidable combat capabilities. Skills: mind manipulation, nine-tailed barrage, tail severance for survival. The system promptly responded. Yichuan's heart sank at the mention of tail severance for survival. Could it be akin to a cat, possessing 9 lives? The fierce flame dragon outside exhibited immense strength even in its juvenile state. What could be expected from this peak adult form? Yichuan promptly conveyed the situation to his companions, their expressions growing increasingly grave. Finally, it was Xiao Feilong who, with a dismissive scoff, declared, "When soldiers come, we shall meet them. When water flows, we shall dam it. Let us disregard the rest and engage. Let us go." Zhao Feiyu urged, and the trio charged forward. The 9-tailed demon fox remained motionless, its tail suddenly elongating like terrifying whips, relentlessly striking at the 3 individuals. Despite their formidable battle armor and combat prowess, they found themselves forced to retreat under the relentless assault of the fox. In a moment of confrontation, as the little dragon's blade clashed with one tail, another tail lashed out from the side, sending him flying through the air. Yichuan furrowed his brows, his body flickering as his long blade manifested, swiftly positioning itself before Liang Hongying to fiercely cleave at the approaching tail. A resounding clash echoed as the tail met the blade. Even Yichuan felt his hands tingle from the impact. The creature's combat strength was indeed enigmatic, rivaling that of the elusive octopus of the eerie hand, making it a formidable opponent not easily dealt with. With a mighty roar from Yichuan, all 4 retreated from the stone cave, the 9-tailed demon fox pursuing closely behind. All 9 tails launched forward once more. In response, Yichuan summoned the sea turtle, activating a temporal defense along with an island stabilization device, causing all 9 tails to collide against the protective barrier with a thunderous crash. The 9-tailed demon fox shrieked in alarm, regarding the suddenly appeared sea turtle with a hint of trepidation. Lu Shuai had already prepared ground-to-ground missiles. Without hesitation, he unleashed 18 missiles towards the 9-tailed demon fox, barely having just arrived on the battlefield. The fox immediately entwined its 9 tails together, forming a near-circular shield. As a radiant green gem emerged, unleashing a blinding green light towards the incoming missiles. Those struck by the attack disintegrated into nothingness, leaving no chance for explosion. However, several dozen warheads still detonated against the 9-tailed demon fox, creating several holes in its once smooth green fur, though it suffered no real harm. Witnessing this, the 9-tailed demon fox seemed to go wild, the green gem shooting out in all directions, instantly obliterating anything it hit. Fortunately, the sea turtle's protective shield was remarkably robust, remaining unaffected by the chaos. Indeed, that pirate's design was ingenious, Yichuan remarked coldly. This green gem was not only the key to unlocking the fountain of immortality, but also crucial in awakening the 9-tailed demon fox. The moment the fountain's waters surfaced, the fox appeared, leaving no time for anyone to collect the water before being struck down by the creature. Indeed, Zhao Feiyu sighed. This fox's power is truly terrifying, especially the green gem on its tail, which is extraordinarily potent. As he spoke, the sea turtle launched its counterattack. Air projectiles rained forth, amplified by the powerful thrust of the reverse flow technique, enhancing their potency, while it began to maneuver slowly closer to the 9-tailed demon fox. The 9-tailed demon fox appeared oblivious to the subtle movements of the tortoise, as green beams relentlessly struck the air bubbles, its eyes radiating an eerie green glow. Even the tortoise, for a brief moment, seemed momentarily entranced. In an instant, all 9 tails coalesced, launching toward the tortoise with astonishing swiftness. However, the tortoise quickly regained its clarity, unleashing absolute gravity, propelling its entire form forcefully against the 9 tails of the demon fox. With a thunderous roar, the earth trembled, and the stone door behind them crashed heavily to the ground, sealing the treasure chamber once more. The impact of tens of thousands of tons collided with the demon fox's confident strike, sending it hurtling away, while a fist-sized hole abruptly appeared on the protective shield of the tortoise. This demonstrated the formidable power of the demon fox's attack, rivaling the destructive force of hundreds of missiles exploding in a single location. Chapter 423, Severed Tails for Survival, the 5-tailed demon fox. The 9-tailed demon fox spun in the air, stabilizing itself just before crashing into the stone wall. Soon after, a barrage of fireballs erupted around it, causing violent explosions and sending flames soaring high into the sky, a truly terrifying sight. Yet, within moments, the flames ascended into the air, vanishing without a trace, as the 9 tails of the demon fox spun like a fan, rendering the explosions almost inconsequential. Goodness, this creature. The onlookers were momentarily stunned. Does this mean missiles have no effect on it? The little dragon exclaimed in a hushed voice. This creature is indeed formidable. An SSS-level adult at its pinnacle. If it were easy to deal with, it would be quite peculiar. Yichuan replied coldly. What shall we do? The little dragon said, somewhat at a loss. However, its attack power isn't particularly terrifying. Our bodies can withstand it. Yichuan shook his head slightly. We can only engage it. Seeking a flaw, there are no other options. We need to divert its attention. After all, we still possess a super missile. Perhaps it can inflict some damage. There's no other choice. It must be done. Liang Hongying urged, and the 4 of them steadied themselves, preparing to strike once more. The expression of the 9-tailed demon fox darkened considerably. This was the first time humans had entered the treasure vault and drawn forth the waters of immortality. It was hard to believe that these humans possessed such strength, especially with an unadulterated Ultra S-level marine creature among them. Though it was immensely powerful, the demon fox was not foolish. It had no desire to engage in a reckless confrontation with these individuals, lest it risk its own life. Contemplating this, its 9 tails surged forth once more, targeting the 4 individuals and the tortoise, seeking new breakthroughs and attempting to eliminate them with a single strike, so it could focus solely on the tortoise. As an SSS-level adult at its zenith, subduing an Ultra S-level juvenile was not overly challenging. Be aware, their assault is entirely directed at us. They likely intend to eliminate us first. Yichuan exclaimed, urging his companions to entangle the foe while he prepared to deliver a decisive blow. With his words, the trio intensified their onslaught, particularly Liang Hongying, whose fiery battle armor erupted in brilliant crimson flames. Each slash of her blade unleashed a wave of terrifying fire, compelling the 9-tailed fox to hesitate in unleashing its tails. Yichuan meticulously observed the patterns of the tail's attacks and ultimately discerned a modest, yet significant flaw. With a determined shout, he pivoted and leapt onto the island of the sea turtle, grasping his long sword tightly. He soared high, aiming a fierce strike at the body of the 9-tailed fox. The nine-tailed fox regarded Yichuan's approach with disdain. Its 9 tails once again formed a protective circle, and the green gem began to glow, unleashing a barrage of beams directed at Yichuan and his sword. Yichuan's reflexes, agility, and speed reached their zenith, rivaling that of an SSS-class creature, as he deftly evaded the green beams. Ultimately, he positioned himself before the nine-tailed fox and unleashed absolute gravity, striking down upon the gem with tremendous force. In that fleeting moment, the nine-tailed fox retaliated with a beam, aiming to obliterate Yichuan. To its astonishment, as the attack approached, Yichuan's body shifted sideways mid-air, landing a brutal blow on one of its tails. The fox emitted a piercing shriek, utterly baffled by how this man could maneuver so skillfully, even as an attack loomed. The power of his strike was astonishing. Despite the formidable hardness of its tail, it was severed in that instant, the remaining half curling swiftly in retreat. Simultaneously, the sea turtle sprang into action. Utilizing absolute gravity, it charged directly at the nine-tailed fox, while Yichuan positioned the forbidden spear before the turtle. Following the turtle's momentum, the spear surged forward with the force of a super shockwave. In its agony, the nine-tailed fox could only watch helplessly as the spear and the turtle converged on it. In a frantic effort, it raised its remaining 8 tails to defend itself, but it was far too late. The sea turtle's cunning attack caught the nine-tailed fox completely off guard. Even though its tails interposed, the moment was lost. The forbidden spear pierced through its body, followed swiftly by the turtle's impact, which sent the fox hurtling away, crashing against the stone door of blue steel. Even that door trembled from the force of the collision. Let us see if you survive. Little Flying Dragon laughed heartily as the group approached the sea turtle. Halting their advance, they observed as the tails of the nine-tailed fox continued to fall, one by one. First 1, then 2, then 3, culminating in a total of 4 tails, including the one severed by Yichuan. The once severely injured nine-tailed fox began to recover rapidly, soon regaining its vitality. With a sudden turn, it bared its teeth and let out a piercing scream towards the 4. One might ponder whether it should now be referred to as the five-tailed fox. The young dragon gazed in astonishment at the former nine-tailed fox and remarked, "Is that not so? This is one of its abilities, tail severance for survival." Yichuan replied solemnly. "However, I sense that its rebirth has diminished its combat prowess significantly. It is no longer at the pinnacle of the SSS class adult form. Is that not advantageous for us?" Upon hearing this, the young dragon chuckled with delight. "Yet, we must remain vigilant." Yichuan cautioned, "We have yet to reclaim the green gem, which certainly retains its formidable power. Lu Shuai, prepare for a ground assault." Lu Shuai had long been ready. Upon receiving Yichuan's command, he launched 18 missiles towards the nine-tailed fox. The creature shrieked, its 5 tails enveloping the green gem, attempting to intercept the missiles. However, this time, not only was the speed of its attack considerably slower, but the number of energy beams it unleashed had also diminished by nearly half, only managing to render 7 of the missiles harmless. The remaining missiles, undeterred, continued their relentless trajectory towards the nine-tailed fox. It immediately began to evade, but alas, the missiles were equipped with an automatic tracking system. No matter where the nine-tailed fox sought refuge, it was relentlessly pursued. Given the confined space, over 70 missiles encircled it, culminating in a catastrophic explosion upon impact. "Engage the super missile, let's finish this," Yichuan commanded with narrowed eyes. Chapter 424, Taming the Demon Fox. Gratitude from Hong Ying. With this declaration, the group returned to Turtle Island and commenced operations on the super missile without hesitation. The nine-tailed fox, battered and disheveled from the blasts, felt an indescribable sense of impending danger as it beheld the colossal missile ascend from Turtle Island. Instinctively, it trembled and turned to flee. While it might withstand the impending assault, it would undoubtedly incur a grave cost, and it dared not take the risk. The super missile, equipped with a tracking system and remarkable speed, left little room for escape in such a confined area. Boom. In the next instant, the super missile struck the nine-tailed fox, which instinctively curled its 5 tails protectively around itself as the missile detonated with a deafening roar. A mushroom cloud ascended into the sky, accompanied by a blinding flash of light. The terrifying shockwave radiated outward, obliterating everything in its path, reducing the entire crescent-shaped canyon to a flat expanse in mere seconds, with not a single structure remaining, including the treasure vault. Even with its temporal defenses, the sea turtle was thrust backward by the shockwave, retreating several hundred meters before it could momentarily halt its backward motion through the use of the reverse flow technique. The sheer terror was overwhelming. It was my first time experiencing the devastating power of a super missile explosion up close, and it was truly horrifying. Even the little dragon was left in awe by the spectacle. One must ponder, who else could feel the might of a super missile at the epicenter of its explosion? Aside from us, I find myself at a loss for words to describe the magnificence of it all. Blueberry Jam had been diligently recording everything on her phone. At that moment, she swallowed hard, overwhelmed by the sheer grandeur and terror. Had it not been for the protective shield, she mused, she would surely have been reduced to mere rubble by now. 3 full minutes passed before the explosion finally subsided. The once moon-shaped bay had been forcibly transformed into a rectangle, and a group of us rushed towards the nine-tailed fox. There it lay upon the ground, seemingly lifeless. Yet its tails began to fall, 1, 2, 3, 4, leaving a pitiful single tail remaining. As the tails dropped, the nine-tailed fox revived with a sudden surge, rising to face Ch12 and the others, roaring in anger, though it refrained from launching another attack. At that moment, it had lost levels and was reduced to an S-class entity, clearly no match for us. It was weighing its options, contemplating whether to continue its assault or retreat. Brother, it seems its power has diminished considerably. Perhaps we should eliminate it? Little Dragon chuckled, brandishing his sword. As if comprehending Little Dragon's words, the nine-tailed fox turned and fled. Suddenly, a soft sound echoed as a fish spear shot forth, piercing its leg with brutal precision. As the barbs opened, the nine-tailed fox let out a shriek and collapsed, unable to move. The group paused, realizing it was Blueberry Jam's doing. With a mischievous grin, she said, "Brother, look. They all have contract beasts, but I do not. Can't you help us tame a contract beast? How about this one?" Ch12 finally understood the reason behind Blueberry Jam's sudden action. It was for this very purpose. The nine-tailed fox's strength had evidently dropped to the pinnacle of S-class, making it feasible for Blueberry Jam to form a contract. This would not only grant her a means of self-defense, but also enlist the nine-tailed fox as an ally in battle, a mutually beneficial arrangement, far preferable to outright slaying it. Ch12 nodded in agreement, then waved his hand, using a contract slot to bind the nine-tailed fox to Blueberry Jam. Instantly, Blueberry Jam felt a shift within her, as if something had changed. The nine-tailed fox's form transformed from green to white. Though it retained only a single tail, it appeared less menacing and far more endearing, exuding a playful charm. Retrieving the harpoon, Ch12 poured some S-grade fresh water directly onto the creature's wound and offered it to drink as well, which hastened its recovery both internally and externally. Ultimately, it appeared before everyone in full form, shedding the previous aura of hostility that had kept strangers at bay, now exuding an increasingly adorable charm. "Hee, truly beautiful and cute," Blueberry Jam exclaimed cheerfully, approaching to embrace the nine-tailed fox. "Since you had 9 tails before, I shall call you a Jew from now on." The nine-tailed fox merely opened its mouth, emitting a few delightful sounds, seemingly approving of the name. At that moment, the group collected the 8 tails, as they were dropped by an SSS-grade creature and remarkably resilient. Even if sold, each would be worth billions, rendering them nearly impossible to part with. Ch12 retrieved a green gem from the ruins, placing it back into the system inventory. The treasure trove was no more, leaving only the solitary blue steel stone door lying desolately on the ground. Little Flying Dragon and Zhao Feiyu hoisted the stone door back to Turtle Island, laughing heartily. "Brother, with such a large piece of blue steel, I reckon we can enhance our weapons yet again." "That is indeed the case. But let us discuss it upon our return to the Forbidden Sea," Ch12 replied with a smile. Now, it was imperative for them to hasten their return. Having previously scouted the route, they knew that once they exited this area, the terrain would open up, allowing the turtle to advance swiftly without adhering to a predetermined path, thereby having their journey, and traveling faster and more safely than by car. At that moment, the turtle commenced its journey, and Ch12 handed 5 liters of immortal spring water to Liang Hongying. "Hongying, fortunately, I gathered it quickly. You can give this immortal spring water to your grandfather." Upon seeing the large bottle of immortal spring water, Liang Hongying's eyes glistened with tears. She stepped back a few paces and bowed several times to Ch12, leaving him momentarily stunned. He hurried to assist her up. "What are you doing, girl?" "Brother, if it weren't for you, our Liang family's curse might never have been lifted," Liang Hongying stated earnestly. "Everything has changed because of you, and I sincerely wish to express my gratitude." "Why dwell on that? We are a team. We ought to support one another." Ch12 chuckled. "Following you has been the most fortunate and correct decision of my life," Liang Hongying proclaimed with conviction, biting her lip. Chapter 425, Weapon Upgrades, Return to the Forbidden Sea. Seeing Liang Hongying's heartfelt declaration, Ch12 couldn't help but laugh heartily. Without uttering another word, he simply patted her shoulder. Liang Hongying, with a resolute expression, vowed to remain by Yichuan's side no matter what transpires, until the very end. With no means to communicate with the outside world and nothing urgent at hand, Yichuan waved his hand, filling the entire courtyard of the villa with the treasures obtained from this venture. A multitude of onlookers gazed at the treasures within the courtyard, their eyes widened in astonishment. Though the most coveted treasure at the moon's tier, the legendary site of hidden riches, was the elixir of immortality, the wealth represented by these treasures, if converted to currency, would be inexhaustible for 10 lifetimes on the blue star. Brother, we have indeed struck gold, chuckled the little dragon, delighting in the pursuit of treasure. While the journey was enjoyable, nothing compared to the exhilarating sensation of claiming all the treasures as one's own. System, how can I separate this blue steel crystal? At that moment, Yichuan inquired of the system. Use the green crystal, the system replied decisively. But the nine-tailed fox has but one tail left and cannot utilize the green crystal. Yichuan exclaimed, raising his hands in exasperation. A laser can activate the green crystal beam, the system responded once more. This revelation sparked an idea in Yichuan's mind. He promptly positioned the massive stone door in front of the invincible laser cannon, attaching the green crystal to the barrel. He instructed the little dragon to press the cannon's button, and with a thunderous roar, the laser struck the green crystal, unleashing hundreds of emerald beams that bombarded the stone door. The once impenetrable barrier was instantaneously shattered into hundreds of pieces, each fragment of blue steel crystal exhibiting a remarkably smooth surface, and each piece was 2 to 3 times larger than the original. This crystal is astonishing, the little dragon exclaimed in disbelief. The nine-tailed fox, standing nearby, wore a look of disdain, as if mocking the little dragon for his naivety. With a smile, Yichuan nodded and declared, hand over your battle armor to me. Incorporating 30 pieces of blue steel crystal into each suit should significantly enhance their capabilities. That should at least multiply their efficacy by a dozen or even 20 times. The little dragon grinned, readily surrendering his armor to Yichuan. Yichuan swiftly employed the system to infuse 30 pieces of blue steel crystal into the armor. The armor shimmered with a radiant blue glow, which then dissipated into the ether. Remarkably, the once unsightly armor transformed into a more refined and striking appearance, far more impressive than before. The little dragon donned the upgraded armor and, feeling its improved fit, nodded in satisfaction. Brother, this armor now aligns perfectly with me, and I sense its power has greatly intensified. He then brandished his long knife and struck a blue steel crystal with a fierce blow, astonishingly cleaving it in twain. This spectacle left the others in awe, for the blue steel crystal was renowned as one of the most indestructible materials in the oceanic world, and witnessing it sliced so effortlessly was a testament to the formidable nature of the little dragon's weapon. Subsequently, Yichuan enhanced Zhao Feiyu's and Liang Hongying's battle armors as well, incorporating 20 pieces of blue steel crystal into each of their weapons, while reserving the remaining 200 pieces for future use. System, the previous individual mentioned that the current forbidden gun is merely a fragment, and that there exists another part. As he found himself with some leisure time, Yichuan solemnly inquired, do you know the whereabouts of the other half of the forbidden gun? If united, its power would undoubtedly be amplified, wouldn't it? You must seek it out yourself, the system replied curtly. I am aware that I must search for it, but the crucial point is that you should first inform me where to look. Yichuan lamented, exasperated. I must say, system, when did you become so foolish? Has your reasoning slipped away? The system fell silent, perhaps feeling a twinge of embarrassment. However, it was already past midnight, and amid their excitement, everyone finally succumbed to slumber. It was not until after 9 the following morning that Yichuan stirred awake, taken aback by how long he had slept. Upon stepping outside, he discovered that the sea turtle had successfully navigated the lava gorge and was nearing the shore. Goodness, this turtle's speed is truly remarkable, Yichuan murmured, then declared, Sign in successful. Congratulations, host, you have received 2,000 evolution points and a super missile set 1. The system's voice chimed in. To his surprise, having just utilized a super missile, another one promptly followed. The system was indeed generous. Brother, we are about to leave this dimension, Liang Hongying remarked as she gazed ahead after exiting the villa. Indeed, this treasure hunt has proven to be quite challenging, Yichuan nodded. Yet, what lies ahead is a long and arduous journey. Not to mention, the 2 remaining side quests were already enough to give one a headache. Setting aside the merfolk's task, the dwarven quest was a must, both for the sake of the side quest and to acquire the water of the firmament. Perhaps it would be prudent to visit the dwarves first. With that, Yichuan promptly instructed the little dragon and the others to categorize the treasures, what to sell and what to keep. After a thorough morning's work, they finally organized everything. The items designated for sale were taken away by the little dragon, who, upon returning to the Forbidden Sea, immediately sought out his mother with a plethora of antique coins and treasures. Liang Hongying also wasted no time in contacting her grandfather, Liang Maowei, a veteran island lord who had dominated the marine world for decades. Despite his esteemed position as the head of the family, he appeared considerably older than his contemporaries. Gazing at the exceptional young Liang Hongying, Liang Maowei's face radiated warmth. "Hongying, have you discovered something valuable?" "Grandfather, I have found the fountain of immortality that our family has long sought," Liang Hongying replied, her excitement barely contained. Liang Maowei involuntarily trembled, staring incredulously at Liang Hongying. "What did you say?" Without further ado, Liang Hongying produced the vial of water and placed it in the trading panel. "We have uncovered the treasure of the Tear of the Moon, acquiring the fountain of immortality. Here it is, 5 liters. Grandfather, our family's curse can finally be lifted. For countless years, both our families have seen their second generations extinguished. I once believed I would witness your generation perish due to the curse. However, you have astonishingly fulfilled your mission and discovered the fabled fountain of immortality." Gazing upon the verdant waters, Liang Maowei knelt, tears streaming like a torrential spring. Chapter 426. Journey northward in search of the floating continent. Ever since the curse befell him, Liang Maowei was initially skeptical, yet one by one, his family members succumbed to death, transforming the quest for the fountain of immortality into a solemn duty for the entire Liang clan. Over the years, despair had begun to seep into his heart. Perhaps the heavens intended for him to witness the demise of his loved ones as a form of punishment. Yet now, Liang Hongying had miraculously found the fountain. What an extraordinary achievement this was. It undeniably heralded a future where the Liang family, under her leadership, could grow ever stronger and possibly ascend to the ranks of elite families. With a deep breath, Liang Maowei uncorked the bottle and took several hearty swigs. Instantly, the sweet and invigorating essence of the spring flooded his mouth, coursing through his body. Somewhere deep within, a long-held shackled burden seemed to be unlocking, and he felt as though he had regained 20 years of youth in mere seconds. Simultaneously, Liang Hongying furrowed her brow, feeling an immense sense of relief. As if a malignant presence within her had vanished, joy surged within her heart, for it was evident that the curse upon her grandfather had been lifted, granting salvation to the entire Liang family. Contemplating this, her gratitude towards Yichuan deepened. Liang Maowei inhaled deeply and, with utmost seriousness, declared, "Hongying, your grandfather was indeed wise in his judgment. The Liang family shall be led by you henceforth, and I have no doubt you will make it even more formidable. Grandfather, you are as vigorous as ever, now rejuvenated by 20 years. The Liang family shall only thrive under your guidance." Liang Hongying quickly interjected, "For now, I wish to remain in the ocean world. Perhaps this is heaven's compensation for the suffering our family has endured due to the curse." Liang Maowei pressed his lips together, saying, "Hongying, should you tire, remember that the Liang family will always be your staunchest support. Your grandfather will forever stand by your side." "Indeed." Liang Hongying nodded emphatically. Meanwhile, Yichuan, with some leisure time, opened his super tablet to check the recent chat records in the public forum. Wow, this guy is truly remarkable. He managed to send that foreign adversary fleeing, crying for mercy, truly a figure of a first-class family. However, it appeared that the island lord had not been vanquished and was planning a comeback. A friend from abroad mentioned that the island lord had gathered several seasoned island leaders and was heading towards the treasure site to reclaim his honor. What of it? It seemed that the prominent figures of our Kyushu were also making their way there, ensuring a fair contest, was it not? That evening, I will reach out to the influential figure of that family to ascertain whether assistance is needed. If my fleet of warships is required to set sail immediately, we cannot afford to lose face as citizens of Jiuzhou, can we? Observing the recent discussions regarding the rivalry between domestic and foreign island lords over the treasures of the seas, Yichuan furrowed his brow. Previously, in the novice zone, Jiuzhou had engaged in a fierce clash with the foreign regions, ultimately thwarting their plans to invade Jiuzhou's novice territory. Now, those foreign island lords dare to stir trouble again. Do they believe Jiuzhou is devoid of capable defenders? Although this matter does not directly concern Yichuan, as a fellow Jiuzhou citizen, he would not hesitate to venture into the open seas and join the fray should the foreign island lords overstep their bounds. During lunch, Yichuan solemnly inquired, "Do you know the whereabouts of the Dwarven clan?" The mention of the dwarves startled Xiao Feilong, who glanced at the others, pondering whether they resided within the Forbidden Sea or perhaps in some dimension of the outer seas. "They inhabit the floating continent above the Forbidden Sea." Yichuan shook his head, expressing the necessity to locate this floating continent, though its exact location remained unknown. System, I trust you possess this knowledge? He posed the question once more to the system. The malevolent dwarven clan is a rare find, only discoverable through sheer luck. The system promptly responded, indicating that heading north might yield sufficient fortune. Blast it! Yichuan muttered under his breath, mildly exasperated, as he scolded himself for being instructed to head north in such a roundabout manner. When did the system become so unnecessarily pedantic? Nevertheless, he promptly commanded the sea turtle to hasten towards the north. With little to occupy their afternoon, everyone busied themselves with their individual pursuits. Blueberry Jam commenced a live stream, prominently introducing her new pet, the nine-tailed fox, which elicited immense envy among the viewers. Some even proposed extravagant sums to acquire the S-class terrestrial creature, undoubtedly a status symbol. In response to such unreasonable requests, Blueberry Jam swiftly retorted. Meanwhile, a few opportunistic netizens began inquiring about the conflict between the Eastern and Western Island Lords over the treasures. Goddess, the Jojo Island Lords are clashing with the foreign ones. Given your strength, do you not plan to lend your support? Another chimed in. Indeed, the goddess has always been a formidable presence in the Forbidden Sea. It would be unreasonable not to assist this time. They believed that should the goddess intervene, Jojo would undoubtedly prevail. To those inciting discord, Blueberry Jam firmly responded. To the chatty netizens, on what grounds should I assist? We are all human. If someone were to seek my help, could I truly extend it? Another netizen remarked. You should lend a hand. We are all from Jojo, and you are a major influencer. Why don't you help? If your wife cannot bear children, would you allow someone else to assist you? Blueberry Jam remarked with a scowl. We have our own thoughts on the matter. It is not for a keyboard warrior like you to comment with disdain. I am here to share my life and the breathtaking vistas of the oceanic world I inhabit. If you wish to gaze upon them, do so. If not, no one is forcing you. Management, please expel this little troll and blacklist him. At that moment, several disruptive netizens were promptly removed. Blueberry Jam then continued, My dear friends, our strength does not equate to my individual prowess. While I can indulge in playful charm, who could I possibly contend with in battle? Regarding this matter, should it escalate significantly, we may take action. But let it be clear that others cannot leverage morality to intimidate us. Enough of this. Now, allow me to serenade you with a song. Chapter 427. Hello. I am Count Colt. The day swiftly came to a close. As the group dined, the super radar emitted an urgent alarm, prompting several to glance at the device. They observed a dozen missiles crossing the 1,000-mile boundary, rapidly approaching their location. Goodness, we are in the Forbidden Sea, and someone dares to trouble us? The little dragon questioned suspiciously. The oceanic realm is inherently a place where the weak are preyed upon by the strong. This is hardly surprising, Liang Hongying replied coolly. However, those bold enough to strike against us in the Forbidden Sea are likely not benign. Examining the trajectory of the missiles, Zhao Feiyu speculated. It appears they are targeting us directly, though the distance remains uncertain. This feud has been ignited. They must be dealt with. Yichuan nodded slightly and commanded the little dragon to deploy the heavy artillery once the missiles fell within range. Minutes later, a barrage of cannon fire erupted, detonating 2 kilometers away and triggering a chain reaction that obliterated the incoming missiles. Enormous fireballs erupted in the sky, and even from 2 kilometers away. A terrifying shockwave swept toward them within seconds, akin to a gale of 7 or 8 on the Beaufort scale. Soon after, the group awaited the super radar's alarm once more. After more than 2 hours, it finally sounded, indicating a super battleship was en route to Turtle Island, traveling at nearly half the speed of Zhao Taifeng's previous vessel. At this pace, we shall encounter them in 4 to 5 hours. The little dragon exclaimed in astonishment. They have yet to strike again, likely intending to confront us directly. Could there be a master among them? This is the Forbidden Sea. Anything is possible, Yichuan asserted, promptly establishing a protective shield around Turtle Island, acknowledging the possibility of formidable creatures on their adversary's side. It is getting late. Let us set our alarms to awaken in 4 hours for battle. Why not stay awake? It would be rather dispiriting to be roused from a beautiful dream for combat. The little dragon suggested. Let us enjoy a cup of coffee and watch a couple of movies. The time will pass swiftly. Don't you agree, brother? Quite reasonable, came the reply. With a slight nod, Yichuan heeded the advice of the little dragon. As the clock struck past 1 in the morning, the radar emitted its signal once more. They could even hear the resounding horn of the super battleship, prompting a disdainful snort. It seemed they had arrived. In an instant, Blueberry Jam and Lu Yue dashed towards the mountain's peak, while Lu Shuai made his way to the ground-to-ground position. The 4 of them gazed at the slowly descending super battleship, and moments later, a dozen missiles were launched once again. Despite the mere 100 meters separating them, the missiles were still fired, indicating an intention to incapacitate Turtle Island before making their move. Fortunately, under the protection of the shield, all the missiles were thwarted, resulting in explosions that occurred outside the barrier. Following this, 18 ground-to-ground missiles, along with heavy artillery, commenced their assault. If they sought to incapacitate him first, then he would retaliate in kind and see whose weaponry was more formidable. Under Yichuan's directive, Lu Shui unleashed a barrage of 54 missiles. Amidst the heavy artillery's alternating harassment of the enemy's anti-aircraft defenses, at least 400 warheads bombarded the super battleship. The deck was almost entirely covered in warheads, leading to the paralysis of most weapon systems, with a gaping hole over a meter in diameter appearing below as seawater poured in incessantly. Inside the command bridge, a pale-faced man, whose appearance was somewhat unsettling, wore a grim expression as he listened to his subordinates' reports. The realization that this small island possessed such formidable offensive and defensive systems surprised him. Yet, this suited him perfectly. He could envision spending countless years on this island in the future. Count. This small island boasts an exquisite environment, and, most importantly, it is mobile. I sincerely congratulate you on acquiring such a perfect island, remarked an elderly man with a face lined with deep wrinkles, bowing deeply to the man. I believe we should uncork a bottle of red wine to celebrate. Bring out my treasured wine and let it breathe until our return, Count Karl said with a smile. His entourage, numbering around 14 or 15 individuals, approached the deck, intent on storming the small island, only to see the wind god pterosaur flash overhead and land on the deck. Yichuan and the others scrutinized the newcomers, prompting the little dragon to exclaim in astonishment. Buddy, have you spent too much time at sea? Your face is as pale as a ghost. His words instantly soured Count Karl's expression. You insolent human. How dare you speak to me in such a manner? Do you seek to court death? The system's voice rang in Yichuan's mind. This is not a human. Taken aback, he immediately inquired, what is it? Vampire, in the early stages of entry, possesses power between SSS level juvenile and SS level pinnacle. The system promptly explained. A vampire? Yichuan exclaimed almost reflexively. Holy cow, a vampire! The little dragon echoed in surprise, then nodded in understanding. After all, if there were werewolf clans, it stood to reason that vampires existed as well. Indeed, there were quite a few beings in the West that defied humanity. Had you ever crossed paths with the Dracula family? Karl paused in astonishment. Not merely crossed paths. The Dracula lineage has been decimated, leaving only a few ships. The little dragon scoffed, remarking that if they were to strike again, only that colossal wolf would be able to contend. Damn it. Karl's expression shifted dramatically as he glared coldly at the group, roaring in fury, eliminate them. With his command, the dozen or so subordinates screamed incessantly, their bodies undergoing a tremendous transformation, ultimately becoming akin to vampires, mere blood slaves transformed by Karl himself. The little dragon chuckled heartily as the three of them took the initiative, ruthlessly attacking the blood slaves. Karl intended to target one of them, but felt a sudden rush of air. Yichuan had already appeared before him, delivering a punch to his chest that sent him flying a distance of several meters. In midair, Karl swiftly reversed his position, needing no ground to land upon. And with a powerful push against the void, he dashed toward Yichuan like lightning. True to his vampire nature, this individual's speed nearly surpassed that of Yichuan after his entrance into the scene. His elongated claws glistened like cold blades in the night, striking towards various parts of Yichuan's body. With a sharp sound, Yichuan's long blade materialized, spinning rapidly like a whirlwind. Grasping the hilt, he forcefully struck, severing Karl's claws while simultaneously slamming the blade against his forehead, causing him to stagger backward by several dozen meters. Chapter 428. This battle is utterly juvenile. Karl found himself somewhat bewildered, looking down at the claws that had accompanied him for centuries, now severed with such ease. His eyes widened in disbelief. He could not comprehend how, despite his formidable combat prowess, he was still no match for this human. This was simply inconceivable. He initially thought it was an illusion, gritting his teeth as he declared, I shall transform you into my blood slave, to be enslaved by me for eternity. With that, he swayed and made another attempt. However, his speed felt agonizingly slow, and to Yichuan, he seemed no more than an opponent unworthy of consideration, merely relying on his vampire status to presume invincibility. With a slight shake of his head, Yichuan shouted, no longer holding back. Dodging an attack, he swung his long blade towards Karl's chest, causing the latter's heart to race. With no time to utter another word, he hastily retreated, yet the tip of the blade still grazed his chest. Black blood oozing forth, thick and viscous. My blood. Carl's face paled, and he screamed in panic, frantically trying to reclaim the spilled blood. However, the wound on his chest had already healed within mere seconds. You have wasted my precious blood. Carl trembled with rage, his earlier gentlemanly demeanor vanished. His previously neatly styled hair now lay in disarray. In that moment, Carl let out a scream, his long hair billowing, his eyes turning a deep crimson, with blood-red veins spreading across his entire body. Yichuan furrowed his brow, acutely aware of the escalating aura emanating from Carter, which had evidently surpassed that of Zhozha from before. Yet, that was merely the beginning. Carter bellowed and charged once more at Yichuan. This time, he exhibited no trepidation towards the long knife, his body seemingly forged from steel, impervious to its edge. Observing Carter's almost audacious grin, Yichuan couldn't help but let out a soft sigh. This individual could be deemed the most inept, yet ostentatious fighter. Seizing the moment, Yichuan exchanged his long knife for a spear, unleashing an absolute force that propelled his entire being fiercely against Carter. Relying on his seemingly impenetrable defense, Carter dismissed Yichuan's close-range assault, intent on delivering a fatal blow in return. However, when that strike landed, Carter was instantly sent flying. The overwhelming power of the spear piercing through his chest and pinning him against the ship's bridge. This was unfathomable. Carter stared in bewilderment at the spear that had penetrated his heart, utterly unable to grasp this reality. Logically, only a sharpened stick could breach his formidable defenses. Yet how had this spear achieved such an extraordinary feat? As he felt the swift passage of life ebbing away, Carter found himself devoid of time to ponder further. His once robust body rapidly withered, ultimately transforming into a desiccated husk, devoid of any vitality. Meanwhile, those blood slaves, merely classified as S-class beings, and even incapable of besting the pterosaur, had all been dealt with by Yichuan before he dispatched Carter. The little dragon chuckled, rubbing his hands together. Brother, this battle felt like child's play. It is the first time I've experienced combat as effortless and delightful. These vampires possessed the innate ability to heal rapidly from injuries. Yet they had evidently overestimated their prowess and underestimated their adversaries, leading to their dire fate. They brought this upon themselves. They deserve no mercy. The little dragon laughed heartily as the group ventured into the ship's cabin. Upon entry, they were greeted by a vast wine cellar brimming with an array of champagne and fine wines, particularly a bottle of red wine nestled in a decanter, untouched. Is this their way of celebrating our demise? The little dragon chuckled, lifting the bottle and taking a few hearty swigs, remarking on its surprisingly delightful flavor. The four quickly surveyed the ship's interior. Apart from the wine cellar, they discovered an abundance of gold and silver treasures, and even found over 100 captives confined in the ship's hold, all intended to provide Carter with fresh blood. All of them are Easterners. Yichuan remarked with a frown, his voice cold. Even in the world of the ocean, the oppression between East and West persisted. These Western scoundrels truly regard us Easterners as less than human. Zhao Feiyu coldly declared. It is high time we found an opportunity to teach them a lesson. Yichuan nodded slightly, his expression impassive. Hidden mission detected. Will the host accept? At that moment, the system suddenly emitted a sound. What hidden task? Yichuan was taken aback. How could a hidden task be triggered at this point? Hidden task. The host must represent the 9 provinces and suppress the island masters of the Western Seas. A substantial reward awaits upon completion. Will you accept? The system responded. Yichuan was momentarily stunned. Just as he mentioned this matter, the system presented him with this task. It seemed the system intended for him to uphold the honor of the 9 provinces in the maritime realm. After all, despite the formidable strength of the 9 provinces over the years, they had also faced various forms of oppression. The host may choose to accept or decline. The system reiterated. I accept. Yichuan declared without hesitation. Before he could even voice his thoughts, a new option appeared before him. How could he possibly refuse when it concerned the 9 provinces? Detection confirms the host has accepted the hidden task. Please complete it promptly. The system quickly replied. All right, let us transfer the supplies to the island and then repair this super battleship. It can still be utilized. Yichuan nodded slightly and spoke. Can it really still be used? The little flying dragon asked in surprise. Of course. It only suffered a temporary paralysis of its basic systems due to ground-to-ground attacks. With some essential supplies, we can make it as good as new. Yichuan shrugged. Immediately, everyone began the transport process. And with the aid of Yichuan's system inventory, they swiftly moved the items to Turtle Island. After nearly an hour of labor, having stowed away the super battleship, Yichuan finally stretched and said, Today has been a fruitful day, but it's quite late now. Everyone should rest. Let us sleep in a bit tomorrow and recuperate. Hee hee, seeing so many good things, I don't even feel tired. Blueberry Jam chuckled cheerfully, gently ruffling Blueberry Jam's hair. Yichuan then returned to rest, while instructing the turtle to head towards the open sea. The intensifying conflict between the East and West was something he felt compelled to engage in. Chapter 429, Encountering the Floating Continent, Landing on the Island. Upon awakening, it was just past 9 in the morning. Yichuan stretched lazily and walked outside, declaring, Sign in successful. Congratulations, host, you have obtained 2,000 evolution points and absolute defense level 2. The system's voice resonated immediately. Yichuan nodded, observing the others enjoying breakfast, and chose not to disturb them as he exited the villa. The turtle was making its way to the open sea. However, it would require approximately 10 days to reach that treasure-laden location. Yichuan glanced at the messages in the public chat room. The battle had come to an end once more. But this time, both sides were evenly matched, and the tensions had escalated further. Nearly 100 battleships clashed, and even some formidable beings had joined the fray, resulting in a devastating confrontation. I am currently en route to that location, uncertain if I will arrive in time for the next battle. There is no immediate urgency. A coalition of nations has stepped forward, preparing to engage in a confrontation between the 9 provinces in the West to determine the ownership of the treasure-laden land. However, this foreshadows a great battle that pertains to the honor of our 9 provinces. If we were to suffer defeat, our standing in the realm of the ocean would be irreparably diminished. Is the coalition of nations truly so foolish as to pit a singular 9 provinces against the entirety of the Western powers? Such an arrangement is evidently inequitable. Yet, there is little recourse. Nonetheless, the West has begun to assemble warships near the treasure site, and the coalition intends for the conflict to commence in 2 weeks. Upon receiving this news, Yichuan could not suppress a cold snicker. This development aligns perfectly with the hidden task assigned by the system. However, to challenge the entire Western archipelago with the strength of the 9 provinces alone indeed reflects the coalition's profound folly. The stipulated fortnight allows Yichuan to breathe easier, providing ample time to arrive, and should any minor mishaps occur along the way, they would be inconsequential. Nevertheless, as this battle concerns the honor of both East and West, it is likely that many reclusive ancient beings will emerge to participate, promising a fierce confrontation. Furthermore, once the battle concludes, the balance of power between Eastern and Western forces in the outer seas will undoubtedly be reshuffled, marking a pivotal moment for the resurgence of the glory of the 9 provinces. Perhaps it is due to a collective apprehension of the sea turtles that they have encountered no formidable creatures or disturbances over the course of 2 full days. On the 3rd morning, Yichuan awoke as usual and uttered, Sign in successful. Congratulations, host, you have gained 2,000 evolution points and the Super Defense 2 ability. As the system's voice resonated, Yichuan gazed through the window at the sights beyond the island, momentarily taken aback, before hastily stepping outside. Brother, what is going on? Little Flying Dragon exclaimed. This was supposed to be the route back to the outer sea. How did we end up lost next to this enormous, fog-laden island? Could this possibly be the floating continent we seek? Liang Hongying inquired. After casting a glance at Liang Hongying, Yichuan promptly addressed the system. System, is this truly the floating continent? Indeed, this is the floating continent. But you said we would only encounter the floating continent if we traveled north. We are not heading north now, because it is called the floating continent. Who knows where it might drift? Yichuan's query was unexpectedly met with a retort from the system, leaving him momentarily speechless. However, the system's explanation was, in fact, quite reasonable. He nodded and remarked, This is indeed the floating continent. The dwarves reside here. Perhaps we should ascend to investigate. With Yichuan's gesture, the sea turtle made its way ashore. And after traversing several hundred meters, the group disembarked from the island. The sea turtle was temporarily stowed away, as they were on the dwarves' territory. Riding the sea turtle in an ostentatious manner would surely render them easy targets. Thus, it was wiser to remain discreet, possibly yielding